Welcome back to BALA Manhua Recaps. In the previous part, we witnessed the unbelievable reincarnation of Zhang Yuan. Despite carrying the freezing zero-heartbeat body of a dead man, the power of the mysterious Golden Coffin granted him a completely broken infinite leveling cheat system. To protect his younger sister Zhang Lan, Zhang Yuan secretly wiped out alien threats under the legendary alias War God Zhan Ming. He even split his consciousness to transform into a cute, odd-eyed black cat and dominated the school tournament. Part 1 ended with his identity as Zhan Ming being exposed on a live broadcast. Zhang Yuan was in the middle of decomposing his wooden sword into a deadly rain of splinters, preparing to give his stubborn opponent Lu Zijing a lesson he'll never forget. But hold on, before we dive into the next chapter, for those of you who haven't watched it yet or want to recap the entire journey from the beginning, we already have a massive Part 1 video on the channel that is nearly 12 hours long. I've placed the playlist link in the description and pinned it in the comment section below, so you can easily binge watch it. In this next part, the battle is officially exploding to a whole new level. The dark conspiracies of the aristocratic supernatural families are slowly unfolding, and the real secret behind the Golden Coffin as well as the origin of the void itself will finally be exposed. Can Zhang Yuan protect a peaceful world for his younger sister until the very end? Let's find out, let's go. He breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Phew, continue." Zhang Yuan paused for a moment and asked Lu Zijing, "Was that copper skin iron bones you used just now?" Lu Zijing replied, "Yes, I used copper skin iron bones to enhance my body's defense, so even if the strips hit me, they won't draw blood." Hearing an answer almost exactly as he'd guessed, Zhang Yuan took out 8 strips this time. With an innocent and handsome face he uttered spine-chilling words, "Then I won't hold back." Lu Zijing was a bit taken aback. He froze, uttering a dazed "ah" like a startled fawn. Zhang Yuan said nonchalantly, "Anyway, since you've already exposed my Zhan Ming identity, I don't have to hide my healing abilities anymore. You can take the hits without worry. I'll heal you before you die." Watching this match, though a practice session, was full of excitement. Cheng Yun guessed that Zhang Yuan's throwing technique was like flowers scattering from the sky. Could he really be from the legendary Tang clan of Shu? Kui Shusheng replied, "None of the known void abilities are like this. He's probably just relying on his throwing skill." Cheng Yun was somewhat skeptical. In the previous matches his boxing skills were textbook worthy. "I didn't expect his hidden weapons to be this formidable." Kui Shusheng was also curious. Zhang Yuan had already thrown dozens of strips. Could Lu Zijing learn precognition before being riddled with holes? Back at the match, after a considerable time struggling against Zhang Yuan's attacks, Lu Zijing was exhausted. A look of fatigue appeared on his face. He seemed to have expended all his energy in this practice. Panting heavily, he said, "Huff, huff, continue." Seeing Lu Zijing in this half-dead state, Zhang Yuan felt a bit pity. He proposed, "How about I heal you first?" Lu Zijing had no idea this step was the most foolish move in the world and would make him regret it. He stubbornly said, "No, I need to get closer to death to grasp the essence of precognition." Zhang Yuan had to give up. He said, "All right then." So Zhang Yuan summoned Yi Zhen. He communicated with Yi Zhen via subconsciousness. "Yi Zhen, give me control of the shadow servant's body." Yi Zhen obeyed, then Zhang Yuan prepared the wooden strips in his hand ready for battle. Actions speak louder than words. "I'll grant your wish." Seeing the sheer number of strips about to fly towards him, Lu Zijing was terrified. He panicked, "If that many strips hit me all at once, I'll really die." Without giving Lu Zijing more time, Zhang Yuan shouted, "Ready." He had thought Lu Zijing would fight to the end for his obsession and determination. But Lu Zijing was instantly scared out of his wits, his eyes filled with tears, and he interrupted, "Wait, wait, I surrender, I surrender." Zhang Yuan asked innocently, "How you don't want to learn precognition anymore?" Lu Zijing, scared out of his mind, quickly replied, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, I've already learned it." Seeing Lu Zijing surrender, the referee had to announce the result. Winner, Zhang Yuan. The situation had developed a bit fast, leaving Zhang Yuan a little puzzled as he scratched his head. "Oh really," he thought to himself, "I have a feeling you gave up before even learning it." The scene shifted to the utility room at Zhang Buyu's house. Zhang Yuan wore that apron, and with that face, that figure, and that personality, he looked more handsome than ever. Truly, clothes make the man, but at this moment he held a sprouted potato and spoke amiably to his quoted friend. "Zhang Shao, your Guangyuan winters are warm and humid. Potatoes sprout after just a day in the fridge." On the other side, Zhang Buyu, also wearing an apron, looked at him and said, "Sprouted potatoes are poisonous, better throw them away." Zhang Yuan said gloomily, "What a waste. I heard sprouted potatoes are a famous dish in the southwest. I'll try making some." Zhang Buyu looked a bit worried and said, "Yuan Shao, your negative energy has been fully digested. Ready to, Zhang Yuan glanced at Zhang Buyu with a dangerous expression, his eyes cold, his tone extremely provocative. He said, "No, even if it's over, there will be a next time." Zhang Shao brand stomach medicine and digestive aids are essential products for those who like to devour spirit beasts while traveling at home. Seeing Zhang Yuan's expression and tone, Zhang Buyu got goosebumps but still stiffened his neck and said, "I don't believe you unless you let me use synergy." Zhang Yuan replied, "Sin." He then held Zhang Yuan's slender wrist, used the synergy ability, and obtained the toxin eater ability, which surprised Zhang Buyu and made him somewhat concerned. Holding his bowl, Zhang Buyu ate excitedly while talking. "The poisonous potatoes are really poisonous. The toxin eater I just synergized is activated." All his abilities increased by 101.2. The dining table before him was filled with extremely tempting and delicious-looking dishes. Zhang Buyu wolfed down his food, not forgetting to praise between bites super poisonous. Seeing Zhang Buyu so excited, Zhang Yuan said somewhat speechlessly, "It's poisonous, yet you like it so much." Zhang Buyu replied nonchalantly, "Being poisonous doesn't affect its taste." Zhang Yuan sat for a while, then asked curiously, "You've used synergy twice and both times got abilities closest to the standard. That's incredibly lucky." Zhang Buyu explained, "There's an unproven theory about synergy. What ability you synergize isn't entirely random. It depends on intuition. People with stronger intuition are more likely to absorb the synergy from the void crystal and more likely to synergize the needed ability." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan became thoughtful. "Intuition, it seems a bit like precognition," Zhang Buyu suggested. "I've watched some of the University League matches. Everyone around you seems to have precognition. How about teaching me too?" Zhang Yuan was speechless. He replied, "I don't even understand it myself. How can I teach it?" Zhang Buyu proposed a suggestion. "Just try throwing skewers at me first." Zhang Yuan was silent for a moment, then ordered Yi Zhen to bring out all his knives. Yi Zhen happily agreed. "Understood." Zhang Buyu was puzzled why Zhang Yuan would send Yi Zhen to scare people. "Don't be afraid. If you really get killed, I'll personally cook the funeral feast for you. Stewed winter melon with tofu." Zhang Buyu said fearfully, Don't go all Yi Zhen on me." Zhang Yuan said seriously, "Then show me what you've got." With that, he threw a knife at Zhang Buyu. Just as Zhang Buyu's hand dropped slightly, the knife embedded itself in the wall and bounced out. It scared Zhang Buyu stiff for a moment. After a moment, Zhang Buyu's face turned pale, and he jumped up, cursing at Zhang Yuan. "Yuan Shao, you have no martial ethics," Zhang Yuan replied innocently. "Can't you predict it?" Zhang Buyu was a bit annoyed. "What precognition? That was purely body memory and extreme reaction. I saw your movement. If I couldn't dodge, it would just mean my hand speed wasn't fast enough." Hearing such an explanation, Zhang Yuan felt a bit disappointed. He muttered gloomily, "That's how I understand precognition." Zhang Buyu replied helplessly, "Shangguan Yi and Feng Jing don't use their eyes, yet they react simultaneously with their opponents." Zhang Yuan argued blankly, "That's unscientific." Zhang Buyu grew impatient. He said, "I remember clearly. That day you turned into Wang Padi and investigated the drone with me. The enemy fired a shot, you immediately pushed me away, and then you calculated the bullet speed based on the confiscated sniper rifle model. Existence is reasonable. At the very least, you reacted at the same time the enemy pulled the trigger. We both had our backs to the enemy then." Zhang Buyu continued, "I think the essence of this precognition is intuition, not calculation." Zhang Yuan retorted, "Isn't the essence of intuition just subconscious calculation? Arguing about this is exhausting." Zhang Buyu said, "Sitting here talking won't help. I have a training room at home. We'll go practice later and see what's really going on." After a while, they moved to the training room. Looking at the equipment, Zhang Yuan asked curiously, "Your training room has flying discs too?" Zhang Buyu chuckled lightly. "This machine at my place is recognized as the most difficult first-generation model. I can clear the second level with fixed targets, but I can't even pass the second level with random directions." Zhang Yuan replied, "Let me try first." Zhang Yuan began practicing. His fast speed easily threw lightning-fast discs. A prompt tone sounded, "You have passed the final stage," standing by and watching. Zhang Buyu praised, 666, perfect score 100. Zhang Buyu walked over to Zhang Yuan, hugged his arm and acted coyly. "Yuan Shao, teach me how to play with the flying disc, please. I feel like the secret to precognition is hidden in this." Zhang Yuan said with some exasperation, "You don't lack hand speed or accuracy. How can I teach you?" Zhang Buyu proposed a specific plan. "Let's use the rational formula and telepathy to connect. Theoretically, we can synchronize our thoughts. You predict the direction and I'll operate." Zhang Yuan agreed. "All right." It was Zhang Buyu's turn. He used a sword with his agile speed and everything seemed to go smoothly. The system prompt sounded, "You have passed the final stage. Score 100. Zhang Buyu was a bit surprised. He was stunned for a moment, then said, "So this is precognition?" Zhang Yuan commented, "I didn't even expect you to use melee combat to hit the flying discs." Zhang Buyu explained, "I tried shooting them but my accuracy wasn't as good as with the sword, so I gave up. After pondering for a moment, Zhang Buyu said, Yuan Shao, I carefully experienced the feeling of mental synchronization. I found that your precognition feels more like a time-related ability than intuition. Could it be that you absorbed a void crystal that allows you to foresee the future without realizing it yourself? Zhang Yuan wondered, do you have any basis for that? Zhang Buyu replied, no basis, but maybe it can be directly verified. Zhang Yuan let out an intrigued, oh, Zhang Buyu said, set the flying disc to random directions, one at a time, 1 per second. When the first one flies out, think about the direction of the second. When the second flies out, you'll know if the prediction was accurate. Zhang Yuan said, let me try. He stood in front of the flying disc machine and began to guess. Now for the first. I predict the second will go in that direction. Just as he finished thinking, the disc flew exactly in the direction he predicted. He thought in surprise, I really did foresee the future. Zhang Buyu walked over to the machine and pressed some buttons. He said, Yuan Shao, your future prediction is real. Let's continue the experiment, okay, please. Zhang Yuan was a bit puzzled. He asked, what else do you want to test? Zhang Buyu answered. The flying disc machine generates a random number sequence when it launches the first disc, determining the direction of all subsequent discs. This direction won't change because of your actions. If you've read some time-related stories, you might know something called the observation effect. Specifically, the act of foreseeing the future can cause it to change. Now I'll just stand here without moving. You can predict my next move. If you predict I won't move, throw a punch at me. If you predict I'll be hit, I'll deliberately avoid it. If there's some intervention that makes the actual future align with your predicted result, it means that the observed part of the future is unchangeable. Zhang Yuan pondered quite worriedly. Predict what? I only know how to precognition. Zhang Buyu's gaze changed, becoming bright. He said excitedly, imagine, if you do nothing, will you hit me in 1 second? Zhang Yuan had no choice but to accept helplessly. I'll try. I'll do nothing. 1 second later. Just as Zhang Buyu was speaking, Zhang Yuan closed his eyes to sense, and in his mind appeared an image of Zhang Buyu being punched in the face, looking quite painful. Suddenly realizing this, Zhang Yuan thought in surprise, I saw the image. It was actually young Master Zhang getting hit. Then he abruptly swung his hand, forming a fist as he flew toward Zhang Buyu, expecting to land a punch. But instead he pinched Zhang Buyu's cheek, leaving Zhang Buyu utterly bewildered, not knowing what had happened, letting out an, ah? Zhang Yuan said nothing, only murmuring to himself, good, the future has changed. After a moment of composure, Zhang Yuan explained to Zhang Buyu that he had just tried to predict what would happen if he didn't act, but instead I saw a future where you got hit. So I took a third action. Zhang Buyu replied, I understand. Your subconscious knew you would take the opposite action, so this logical layer was incorporated into the prediction. Your precognition of the future is essentially a form of reasoning. Zhang Yuan fell into thought. He said, reasoning requires relevant information. If I can predict the direction of a frisbee, there must be a way to obtain that information. Zhang Buyu interjected. But in the end I changed the future. This shows that my own will surpasses this method. Zhang Buyu said, this reasoning proves that my will has a higher spatial dimension above time. In the world we live in now, time is no longer unique, and my will is the only unique thing. Hearing this, Zhang Yuan was utterly shocked. He froze, and his mind suddenly began to race. He pondered uniqueness. So when he activated dual mind, why couldn't he reflect 2 Zhangyuans? Was it because Zhang Yuan possessed uniqueness? When did he start having this uniqueness? Was it when he was sucked into the Golden Coffin? Or when he was reborn after being crushed by the giant buttocks? Or during the accident in his past life? Or even earlier, after some thought? Zhang Yuan felt deeply conflicted. He held his head in contemplation, though he couldn't be certain. Now he vaguely sensed that the time limit for his precognition was 4 years, exactly the period of his rebirth. Seeing that his friend seemed unwell, Zhang Buyu approached with concern and asked, Young Master Yuan, are you okay? Is precognition too draining? Zhang Yuan replied, precognition does consume mental energy, but it's not that extreme. Zhang Yuan thought for a moment and said, Young Master Zhang, I suddenly have an extremely bad premonition. I can't explain this feeling. I just know that if I predict now, it might backfire. Zhang Buyu, who understood Zhang Yuan well, suggested, if you can't articulate it, how about trying dream divination? Zhang Yuan was somewhat skeptical. Divination doesn't sound like something you'd say, Zhang Buyu replied. It's just a mystical way of putting it. Essentially, it uses infinite dreams to tap into your subconscious, presenting the factors troubling you in a more intuitive way. Curious, Zhang Yuan agreed. Let's give it a try. Zhang Buyu activated infinite dreams. Heaven's way is constant, not existing for Yao's sake nor perishing for Jia's. Responding with order brings good fortune. Responding with chaos brings calamity. Amid a hazy purple aura, Zhang Yuan gradually sank into his subconscious, and the scene shifted to a place where something seemed to be happening. An announcement echoed through the venue. Due to a temporary fire drill, the museum will close in 10 minutes. All visitors, please leave immediately. Zhang Yuan was like a spirit now. He stood there watching the bustling crowd move, quite astonished. This was the East Upper Museum, where a void rift had opened before his rebirth. Was he returning to the scene as an observer? He wandered elsewhere to see what was happening and why he had come here. Passing through an area of handicrafts and landscape paintings, he saw a couple flirting and pulling at each other in a corner. The girl said, "Can I treat you to dinner?" The boy didn't seem to know the girl. He dodged. "I'm leaving first." Seeing the boy seemed scared, the girl quickly reassured him. "Oh, it's just a fire drill. What's the rush?" Looking out through the glass window, Zhang Yuan heard the second announcement. Gold-level void rift expected to appear early at 3:40. 3 anchors activated. Terrain instance completed. Boundary realm opened. Zhang Yuan thought to himself. The phone signal had suddenly dropped back then, definitely caused by the boundary realm. The sky in this boundary realm was night. It seemed China's boundary realm technology had advanced in 4 years. Suddenly, a massive arm emerged from a huge purple black hole in the sky. It extended a giant palm toward the city. With a crash, the hand destroyed many things. A voice suddenly rang out. This alien creature damaged the boundary realm with one claw. It's entering reality. The alien's arm smashed a corner of the ceiling, crushing the couple from earlier into unconsciousness, their life signs unknown. Chaos ensued. Watching the scene, Zhang Yuan rested his chin on his hand and said, "I remember Lan said the giant claw outside was an illusion, so the one striking the golden coffin is the real body." He walked to the rubble, where the golden coffin lay sideways, next to his own corpse and that of the girl who had harassed him earlier. He thought, judging by the angle of the giant claw's descent, its target was the golden coffin, and he must have been caught in the crossfire. Suddenly, Zhang Yuan saw something shocking. That was his own corpse, but it wasn't his current age. It had reverted to his 16-year-old face. He froze. His corpse had turned into that of a 16-year-old. Time had reversed, but he couldn't come back to life. This ability was clearly Su Ri's. Standing by the large glass window of the building, Zhang Yuan pondered, was this what made him uneasy? No. That bad premonition hadn't fully dissipated. There must be other important information in the dream. Outside was a fierce battle scene. The captain of Zhang Lan's team said, "Zhang Lan, I order you to come back." Zhang Lan was now utterly frenzied. She shouted, "No, no, no, I want to kill, whether it's an illusion or the real body." Lin Dongliang ordered in panic, "Chen Jun, release life resonance immediately. Zhang Lan is the first genius in East Upper City in 10 years to absorb all 8 abilities. We can't let anything happen to her." Chen Jun replied, "Already released." Lin Dongliang shouted helplessly, "Zhang Lan, obey orders. Come back now," a nearby girl said in terror. "The boundary realm isn't complete yet. If she retreats, we'll all die," Lin Dongliang ordered. "Everyone retreat. Wait for the boundary realm's 9 anchors to complete." Chen Jun, while activating life resonance, stopped him. "No, if we retreat, how can those setting up the boundary realm complete their task? I can still hold on. They can guard with their lives, but there's only one Zhang Lan, and there are still ordinary civilians who haven't been evacuated." Lin Dongliang shouted viciously. "At a time like this, who cares about those civilians?" Watching this group's coldness and ruthlessness, Zhang Yuan clicked his tongue. "Tisk, what a twisted and disgusting form of concern," he thought to himself. Maybe Zhang Lan dying in battle in this life would be the best outcome. Suddenly, the surroundings were enveloped and wrapped in golden light. It illuminated the entire museum, emitting a strange radiance. Zhang Yuan looked around in confusion. He was utterly amazed by this phenomenon. The environment was changing. Time was flowing backward. Watching the surging and intertwining golden light, Zhang Yuan guessed that 4 years of time were converging. Then he saw the light invade his body, ultimately sealing itself within him. At the same time, a doctor's voice rang out. "Zhang Lan, you don't want your brother to lie in the hospital forever, eventually becoming a vegetable, do you?" Zhang Yuan listened to this conversation in silence. The scene shifted to some time after returning to reality, with Zhang Yuan and Zhang Buyu sitting on a bench. Zhang Yuan spoke, "Young Master Zhang, I might need to use infinite dreams again, but not now." Zhang Buyu asked in surprise, "Wasn't the effect strong enough this time?" Zhang Yuan replied, "That's only part of the reason." Then the two fell silent. Zhang Yuan thought after the accident in his past life, when he woke up, his injuries were still there, at least proving that the person treating him wasn't Feng Jin. His injuries had nearly made him a vegetable. It absolutely couldn't have been cured by an unknown person. There were other secrets hidden here. The real reason for his unease was this. The 4 years had been extracted into his own body, and his body was now merged with the dark world inside the Golden Coffin, located in the East Upper Museum. Perhaps only by reinforcing infinite dreams on the Golden Coffin could he find the key to changing fate. After thinking for a while, Zhang Yuan turned and said, Zhang Buyu, I know you're someone who can bet your life. I want you to. Before Zhang Yuan could finish, Zhang Buyu reached out and stopped him. He said, no you don't. Zhang Yuan pushed his hand away and said, if you refuse I'll use 1200 super cuteness to force you to do it. Zhang Buyu said quietly, can you just bet your life like that? You dare to trust me, but I don't dare to trust myself. Zhang Yuan threatened, you dare to lie and say you don't dare? Quite bold. Zhang Buyu had no choice but to blush and say, all right, but first I'm warning you, I'm pretty weak. I only got to the top of the youth rankings by being thick-skinned. If I can't do it, forcing me won't help. Zhang Yuan made his request. I want to enter a deeper dream, one that can make me sleep for a long time, even to the point where I can't wake up on my own. During this time I need you to judge for me. When exactly should you wake me up? Zhang Buyu looked up at Zhang Yuan and asked, what's the criterion for judgment? Zhang Yuan replied, the more you believe in my premonition, the more important this dream is. Also, if my sister is in danger, wake me up at all costs. Zhang Buyu was a bit puzzled. What if your sister is in danger but can handle it herself? Zhang Yuan replied, she's only 12, it's normal for her not to be able to handle it. Zhang Buyu answered, the onlooker sees the game best, she might not be as weak as you think. Zhang Yuan responded with an oh. Zhang Buyu glanced at him and chuckled softly. He suggested, today you messed up in the League livestream but she didn't call you. Have you never wondered why? Zhang Yuan thought for a moment and said, right, the hotel, the school, they've all become crime scenes now. Why hasn't Lan reacted at all? Could it be she didn't watch the live stream? Zhang Buyu proposed, young Master Yuan, if I directly analyze the reason you might find it hard to believe. How about you see for yourself? Zhang Yuan asked doubtfully. How? Zhang Buyu rested his chin on his hand, a bold idea popping into his head. Tomorrow's university match. I'll use infinite dreams to play for you. Guess what your sister's reaction will be. The scene shifted to the next day at the University League venue. Zhang Buyu, in the guise of Zhang Yuan Liang, strode into the venue, majestic and imposing, making everyone around look up in awe. A passerby remarked enviously, no wonder he's ranked second on the Xuanming list. His strength is no less than the young marshal back in the day. My roommate and I analyzed all night, comparing Xuanming and the young marshal. We still haven't reached a conclusion. We even analyzed in our sleep, and the verdict is that Xuanming's looks crushed the young marshal. Zhang Buyu arrived and sat down next to Feng Jin. Feng Jin glanced at him and was silent for a moment. He thought this person's height and build were almost identical to Yuan's. The face was a realistic mask, the eyes wore colored contacts, and the hair was real and dyed. This length was likely swept out by Yuan using life authority. Daring to do this in front of the camera, this must be the release of infinite dreams ability, capable of penetrating the screen and affecting concepts. Gong Jing leaned in and said, Big Demon King sterilized. Zhang Buyu froze, inwardly complaining. Damn, Zhang Buyu said awkwardly, I don't have that nickname. Wait, how did you figure it out? Feng Jin replied. Why don't you first tell me how you know Zhang Yuan? Zhang Buyu quickly covered up. Zhang Yuan and I are pen pals. We've known each other for over 10 years and only recently met, Feng Jin said incredulously. Bullshit, pen pals in this day and age? Zhang Buyu showed off his pen. Those friends who exchanged pens for points at Yang's convenience store. Ask him if you don't believe me. Feng Jin had no choice but to drop it. He said, fine. For things Zhang Yuan allows, I won't say anything as long as you don't hold us back. Zhang Buyu hummed smugly. Soon you'll see the new ultimate move Zhang Yuan and I invented together, Zhang Buyu inwardly complained. During the invention process, Senior Yi settled a personal grudge by stabbing him 17 times, each through the heart. He was covered in wounds at the time. Zhang Buyu thought to himself, luckily Zhang Yuan's life authority kept me alive and even made my hair grow longer. My rational general knowledge and young Master Yuan's mind reading record each other. As long as they're activated simultaneously, we can communicate instantly over infinite distances. Even if Senior Yi is hiding in my shadow, I can rely on young Master Yuan's judgment ability for remote contact without delay. Zhang Buyu suddenly became confident. This is called the Divine F2A, connecting each of our minds. Seeing Zhang Buyu suddenly go crazy again, Yi Zhen said, Junior Zhang, can't you go a day without causing trouble? Want me to use the cut character to fix you? The black cat chimed in. Zhang teases Feng Jin for a moment of fun, but when it's over it's a funeral. The scene shifted to Zhang Buyu drawing lots. The referee said, the final round of drawing lots to avoid tied team scores has already begun. Team Feng Jin has won 5 in a row and draws Team Kong Shao of Jinling University, which has lost 5 in a row. The black cat was very dissatisfied with this result. Zhang the liar, you said your luck was good, was that a lie too? Yi Zhen also interjected. Lord 8, Zhang Buyu has been nicknamed China's child of fortune, not just lucky but a tsunami. Truly deserving of death. The black cat was silent for a moment. It said, "The word anger isn't enough to vent, let's just take him out and execute him." Suddenly, someone walked over and said, "Zhang Yuan, I have something to say to you. Can you come with me for a moment?" Seeing this, the black cat explained to Zhang Buyu, "Young Master Zhang, this person is Zhang Tianshuo, a friend of mine." The two went to a relatively secluded place to talk. Zhang Buyu spoke first. "What is it? Go ahead." Zhang Tianshuo suddenly rushed over and grabbed Zhang Buyu's clothes. He said angrily, "Confess honestly, who are you? Why are you impersonating Zhang Yuan?" Zhang Buyu played dumb. "I don't know what you're talking about." Zhang Tianshuo said angrily, "Don't play dumb with me. If you don't tell me, I'll expose you right now." He thought to himself, Zhang Yuan is clearly a delicate beauty, pure and lovely. This guy is as weird as a muscular Barbie, earth-shatteringly strange, and he thinks he can fool me. Zhang Buyu said helplessly through divine sense communication, "Young Master Yuan, all your friends have sharp eyes. They saw through my dream at a glance." The black cat also said helplessly, Probably only these two can see through it at a glance." Zhang Buyu didn't want to cause any internal conflict. He said softly, "I'm acting on Zhang Yuan's behalf to play this match. Could you pretend not to know?" Zhang Tianshuo was somewhat skeptical. "Playing for him? Are you Zhang Yuan's friend?" Zhang Buyu replied, "A very close friend." Zhang Tianshuo wasn't easily convinced. He asked, "Any proof?" Zhang Buyu took out a photo showing Zhang Yuan wearing an apron and cooking, looking very virtuous. Zhang Buyu said proudly, "Today she made me breakfast at my place." Zhang Tianshuo stared at the photo as if he wanted to devour it. Zhang Buyu asked helplessly, "Believe me now?" Zhang Tianshuo replied, "Add 30 more and I'll believe you." Zhang Buyu was confused. Faced with this baffling situation, he forced a smile on the surface, but inwardly he was sending distress signals to Yi Zhen and the black cat. "This guy Yuan Shao is radiating murderous intent, asking for your photo. He probably wants to use you as an imaginary enemy and throw darts at it," Yi Zhen said angrily. "Old 8, sir, Zhang Tianshuo is plotting something sinister with your photo. Please allow me to beat him up." The black cat's reaction was the most indifferent. At the very least, the photo shouldn't be given away for free. With permission granted, Zhang Buyu gradually turned sinister. He picked up the photo and flashed a cunning smile. "Zhang Tianshuo, you're working for Zhang Yuan now. You won't show any respect and you're trying to take advantage of the situation. Aren't you afraid I'll complain to Zhang Yuan?" Hearing this, Zhang Tianshuo got scared and shrank back in panic. After a moment they each got what they wanted. Zhang Tianshuo held the photo, drool dripping down his face, and ran off gleefully. Meanwhile, Zhang Buyu was also overjoyed. 30 photos in exchange for 3 times Zhang Tianshuo's right to sell himself. What a huge profit. The black cat said, "Split it 3-7. I take 3, you take 7. Zhang Buyu didn't mind at all. He hopped around happily and replied, "Wow, I get a share too. I heard Su Kai from Shangjing University is a super cat lover. How about we sell him a few photos of the black cat?" The black cat replied, "Wait until you take some next time." After returning to their seats, Zhang Buyu patted Feng Jing on the shoulder and said, "Let's go, we're up." As soon as the two left, the others couldn't help but gossip. The atmosphere between Zhang Yuan and Feng Jing today was weird. Had they fought, Zhang Yuan must have been messing around. Little wife Feng Jing was angry. Impossible. Zhang Yuan was warm, cute, upright, and introverted. If anyone was messing around, it would be Feng Jing. Hearing these remarks clearly, Zhang Buyu said cheerfully, "Feng Jing, you've worked hard." Feng Jing was a bit annoyed and said, still laughing, "If I start a rumor that Zhang Buyu and I are in love, let's see if they still dare to pair you up with anyone." Zhang Buyu replied confidently, "Hurt the enemy 8,000, lose yourself 800. Do you know what wet rain pulling at the hem means? Enough talk. Both teams are in position." The referee shouted for Feng Jing's team and Kong Zhao's team to prepare for battle. Among the contestants, Zhang Yuan was carrying a pile of wooden practice swords. Was Feng Jing's team trying to stir up trouble today? Zhang Buyu snapped the swords into sticks, breaking them down into evenly sharp little wooden rods. The commentator was amazed at Zhang Yuan's technique of snapping wooden swords into sticks, resulting in an incredibly exaggerated quantity. The battle began. Contestant Zhang Yuan started moving. Zhang Buyu charged forward first, supported by the others. Like a whirlwind, the commentator excitedly shouted Zhang and Xie Yi. Han simultaneously applied his support ability to him. With a wave of his hand, Zhang Buyu activated his ability, creating a chaotic phantom noise path. His opponents stood in a row as if sprayed with glue, their mouths wide open, unable to process what was happening. Those little wooden sticks were now whistling toward them. At first they were just ordinary sticks, but with Zhang Buyu's power, they looked more dangerous than modern weapons. The commentator looked at the scene and couldn't help but feel surprised. Oh my god, after being thrown, those sticks seemed to stop mid-air, piling up more and more. The 4 opponents across from them were all stunned, frozen in place. Could this be the legendary time stop ability? The sticks flew at an astonishing speed, leaving their opponents wide-eyed with shock. Except for the only girl, the others were successively struck, their flesh torn and blood splattering. A truly gruesome scene. Zhang Buyu waved his hand, looking incredibly suave, and said, "I won't hit a healer, you concede." The girl was scared out of her wits, her legs trembling uncontrollably as she knelt down, barely squeezing out the words, I concede. The referee, stunned by the rapid development of the scene, took a moment to announce, Feng Jing's team wins. Zhang Buyu was smug inside. The actual fight only took 8 seconds, plus the 20 seconds for the opponent's surrender, and the referee's dazed moment. A total of 28 seconds. This time he should break the record, right? The Black Cat praised, "Impressive. It looked like time had stopped, but it was just an illusion. I used super camouflage to make Senior Yi invisible." Yuan Shao activated his own amplification. By remotely transmitting to the photo's burst point, Senior Yi's ability skyrocketed after I threw the sticks. Senior Yi grabbed them with his tentacles, making it look like they were frozen in midair. Once enough accumulated, Senior Yi threw all those sticks at once. Thousands of sticks were hurled, piercing the opponents. As for freezing the opponents for a few seconds, Infinite Dream could easily do that. While Zhang Buyu was happily replaying the situation, a group of people wasn't too pleased. They were the event organizers, holding a meeting to discuss what had just happened. What to do? Zhang Yuan had broken the young master's record again. Should we side with Zhang Yuan or the young master? Tisk, the current youth rankings still have the young master in first place. They must have planned it in advance. One of the organizers hit the nail on the head. The individual competition had already seen Zhang Yuan break the record. For the team competition, let's save some face for the young master. Sitting in the waiting area, Zhang Buyu waited for the organizer's announcement. The announcement came. The battle between Feng Jing's team and Kong Zhao's team had ended. The entire fight lasted 35.5 seconds. Unfortunately, it was just 0.5 seconds slower than the young master's record. Zhang Buyu couldn't believe his ears. He was utterly stunned, countless question marks flashing through his mind. The Black Cat wasn't surprised either, saying, "Young Master Zhang, surprised, shocked?" Yi Zhen chimed in. "Haha, Junior Zhang, now you see how many tricks there are in the University League," Zhang Buyu said gloomily. "Yuan Shao, you wanted to switch back to plead my case, but I've already dyed your hair." The Black Cat, helpless and tired, could only indulge him, saying, "Take my bag to the bathroom. I'll teleport over, turn into you, and speak for you." Yi Zhen kept laughing on the side. "Junior Zhang, you're really something. The wave in your tea box must be you, right? Ha ha ha." Scene change. A moment later, Shang Yun reported on the news. Just now, Zhang Buyu, commander of the Southern Military Region, personally inspected the University League and submitted an appeal to the organizing committee. The battle time has finally been corrected to 28 seconds. The young master doesn't mind his record being broken, and even wants to help Zhang Yuan create a double record in the league. This is true, unparalleled grace. No wonder he is the leader of the younger generation of military personnel in the country. Zhang Lan watched the league news in disbelief. She felt her brother would never use such flashy means to fight, nor would he give special treatment to a healer. Zhang Lan thought angrily, this person is not her brother. Then in his own room, and Zheng Feng stared at the tablet screen, his face full of confusion as he deduced. Cameras can only record images and sounds, not abilities. Then he added, what can penetrate the screen are only abilities that ignore distance and act based on concepts like Infinite Dream's Halfming. Without further ado, and Zheng Feng's eyes flashed with a golden, penetrating light. Observing the surroundings of Zhang Yuan and Zhang Buyu's fight on the screen then confirmed in his mind, Zhang Yuan only had the power of Infinite Dream, but Zhang Buyu had an extra super Halfming. Then he asked himself in confusion, what act are the two of them putting on? Suddenly, and Taij and Zhang Lan walked in. She followed behind, reporting to her father. Dad, Zhang Lan seems to have been upset about something. She's crying and says she wants to talk to you alone. She's still rubbing her eyes and crying, woo woo woo. Seeing this, and Zheng Feng looked at them and confirmed, all right Taij, you go out first. I'll talk to Zhang Lan. Then the whole room was left with just the two of them sitting on chairs. And Zheng Feng looked at her standing there and asked seriously, Zhang Lan, what's the matter that requires seeing uncle alone? Zhang Lan stopped crying, wiped her eyes, and reported pitifully, Commander Un, something's wrong with my brother. Can you save him? Hearing this, he couldn't help but be slightly surprised, concluding in his mind, Zhang Lan doesn't have the ability to resist Infinite Dream, yet she can see the problem. Then Zheng Feng showed a proud and relieved smile, glancing at the pensive little girl. This child felt something was off with her brother, didn't tell those around her directly, but found an excuse to see me alone. Then he sighed inwardly. This kid is indeed not as simple as she appears on the surface. Connecting the dots, and Zheng Feng seemed to understand, silently pondering. Feng Jing had just modified Zhang Lan's medical records. Zhang Yuan and Zhang Buyu were putting on an act together. It was to test us. Then he calmly confirmed, "That's right, the Zhang Yuan in the live stream is not the real him." Seeing this, she looked at him, stopped rubbing her eyes, her face full of confusion. Then with teary eyes she leaned in to confirm again, "Uncle, you noticed it too." Hearing this, and Zhang Feng added, "Uncle can not only tell that it's not him, but also the reason behind it." Hearing this, Zhang Lan stammered as she looked at him and asked, then, and Zhang Feng's expression changed. He squinted, looking at her darkly, and said coldly, "If Uncle said he's beyond saving and then asked you, aren't you going to save your brother, what would you do?" Hearing this, Zhang Lan stared at him, stunned and frightened, not knowing what to say next. Immediately after, Zhang Lan's expression changed, looking at him with hostility and asserting warily, "Commander Un, you are a command type, I am an attack type." Then she added hypothetically, "We are less than a meter apart now, without your guard up you might not get the better of me." Hearing this, and Zhang Feng looked at her sitting beside him with an unreadable expression and asked, "Have you considered, if you lay a hand on Uncle, what consequences will you and your brother face?" Zhang Lan placed her hand on the armrest of the chair and asserted seriously, "My brother is a strategic level ability user." Strategic level means he is not bound by ordinary rules, she added. Similarly, if I am punished by such rules, he will directly trample on them. Saying this, Zhang Lan's eyes narrowed as she coldly looked at Zhang Feng and threatened, "I admit I don't have the ability to kill you." Then she asserted, "But I have the ability to blow this up. If we fight, you'll be the one in trouble." At some point, and Zhang Feng had left his seat and come before Zhang Lan, one hand in his pocket, the other patting her head, and praised, "Ha ha ha, good, very good, Uncle was right about you." Seeing this, Zhang Lan looked up at him blankly, her eyes full of questions, and asked, "Huh?" And Zhang Feng continued to sigh, "You've got guts, and that little head of yours is quite clever, but your ability to analyze situations is still a bit green." Then Zhang Feng calmly sat back in his chair and analyzed for Zhang Lan. "If you already know your brother is a strategic type," he paused and added, "then you should know we can't just stand by and do nothing." Then Zhang Feng asserted, "If we don't save him, it only proves he was never in danger." Seeing this, Zhang Lan looked at him, stunned as if a light bulb had gone off, her eyes wide. Then she lowered her head, her face full of embarrassment, blushing as she said, "Commander An, I'm sorry." Zhang Lan nervously put her hands on her knees and said in a trembling voice, "I was impulsive just now and spoke without thinking." Hearing this, Zhang Feng softened as he looked at her and comforted her. "It's okay, it's not a bad thing that you're a bit overly reactive." Hearing this, Zhang Lan looked at him puzzled and asked, "Why?" And Zhang Feng calmly looked at her and explained, "To put it bluntly, the more you try to exert your combat power now, the more you'll hold your brother back." Then he added, "On the contrary, if you focus on protecting yourself, allowing your brother to fight without any worries, the combined combat effectiveness of the two of you will be higher." And Zhang Feng looked seriously at Zhang Lan and asserted in a low voice, "Combat is not the goal but the means," he added. "If you can achieve the goal better without fighting," then he concluded, "then the one who restrains their impulse and sheathes their weapon is the true warrior." Then he confirmed again, "Of course, not saving your brother doesn't mean doing nothing." In another building surrounded by a blue sky, a sword was pressed against Zhang Buyu's neck. A girl holding a sharp sword pressed it against Zhang Buyu's neck and interrogated him. "Tell me the truth about Zhang Yuan, or else," she paused, then confirmed, "even if you are the commander, I won't go easy on you." Zhang Buyu remained calm, his hands clasped together on the desk. Then he turned to look at the girl and questioned, "Is this how Jushu handles things?" Seeing this, the girl with the ponytail didn't let go, still holding the sword to his neck, and shouted, "Stop changing the subject. Tell me what happened to Zhang Yuan." Hearing this, Zhang Buyu calmly placed his hands on the back of the chair, leaned back, and replied, "Zhang Yuan is in the office, but he's dead." Hearing this, the girl exclaimed in shock, "What?" Before she could react, he brought the tip of his index finger close to the blade at his neck. Zhang Buyu used his super-decomposition ability to disintegrate the sword in her hand, and he still looked at her calmly and asked, "I want to see who exactly has the right to go easy, is it you or me?" The ponytail girl looked at her now empty hand and the gradually disintegrating weapon, her face full of shock as she frowned. Zhang Buyu's eyes were filled with coldness as he said word by word, "Or me." Then, Zhang Buyu's body suddenly jerked, pushing the startled ponytail girl away. She fell to the ground, but Zhang Buyu's attack was still closing in. The female assassin frowned, her body stiff as she reached out a hand, frowning to block. Then she pushed off the ground with both hands, ready to stand up. Next, she swept her leg in a circle on the ground, kicking at Zhang Buyu. But he dodged quickly, then turned and pinned the female assassin down, making her fall awkwardly to the ground, subdued. Then Zhang Buyu looked at a glowing ring on her hand and was suddenly startled. A huge explosion followed, blasting him away. Finally, his body dissipated as well. The ponytail girl stood up, saw this scene, and frowned in panic, shouting, "It's not the real person." A cabinet door in the room opened. Zhang Yuan pulled the door open and walked out, asserting, To be able to destroy my projection clone with one move, even defeating an immortal body, your strength truly lives up to expectations. His eyes were red, containing a hint of anger as he asked the girl, "What number are you in Jushu?" Seeing him, the girl understood. She looked at the photo and frowned, questioning Zhang Yuan and Zhang Buyu's fake body. "Did you make that?" Hearing this, Zhang Yuan still calmly walked forward, hands behind his back, and reminded her, "Miss, I'm the one asking the questions." Seeing this, the assassin warily watched him approach and reminded him, "I won just now, you answer me first." Hearing this, his face turned cold, his eyes narrowed, and he sneered with killing intent. "You can't even tell who won or lost. Your hair is only good for making you taller, isn't it? Ah." Hearing this, the girl frowned in confusion and asked, "What do you mean?" Zhang Yuan had somehow closed in on her and further explained, "If I had used super decomposition on the back of your neck just now, you would be dead by now." Then he asserted the situation. "I went easy on you, but you tried to kill me in return. If we fight again, don't blame me for not holding back." Seeing him getting closer and closer to her, she backed away but soon hit the edge of the table, struggling to answer. "Jushu number 1, Yan Ruonan." Then she added, "I just received an urgent mission to rescue my uncle. I was following the clues." As soon as she finished speaking, the table in front of her collapsed rapidly, causing Yan Ruonan to fall to the ground as well. Zhang Yuan, seeing this, had no choice but to remind her, "Auntie, can't you calculate your own weight yourself?" Hearing this, the girl lying under the table pushed herself up with her hands, stood and looked at him sideways. Seeing her in such a disheveled state, he decided to drop it. "All right, no need to explain." Then Nakahara looked at her kneeling before him and calmly commented, "Your strength barely passes, but your brain isn't too sharp." He added as a reminder, "I'm the one who designed this situation. I won't blame you for today, but you'd better remember this." Yan Ruonan could only kneel with her head lowered, listening. Then he lowered his head, stared directly into her face, observed her, and threatened again, "Being stupid isn't scary. What's scary is being stupid and thinking you're clever." Faced with his cold, intimidating face closing in, Yan Ruonan was so frightened her eyes widened and she couldn't speak. Nakahara added, "Next time, if you dare use a killing move without understanding the situation, don't blame me for not being reasonable." Then only the two of them remained in the room. He reminded her again, "Your office at Zhang Baiyu's place is wrecked like this. It's fine if the repair costs come from Jushu's funds, right?" Hearing this, Yan Ruonan darkened her face and reminded him, "You're also funded by Jushu, so of course use it as needed." At this point, Nakahara suddenly remembered and sighed, "Oh, I forgot, I haven't resigned yet." Then he confirmed to her, "You can go. I'll personally talk to Boss Chi." In a certain apartment, Nakahara lifted the coffin lid with his hand and looked around. Then he sat up, pushed the lid fully open, rose from the coffin and stared at everything before him, somewhat dazed, concluding to himself, wasn't this coffin supposed to be in Commander Shah's office, moved somewhere else?" He then walked to the only door in the room. Opening it, Nakahara confirmed the door wasn't locked and could be opened. Outside, Boss Chi was watering flowers with a spray bottle. Seeing him, he looked over, smiled happily and stammered, "Nakahara, old buddy, you're here." He looked at him, utterly speechless. Finally, Nakahara helplessly stared at him and retorted, "Boss Chi, why are you even competing with Commander Shah for a bed?" Then Nakahara and Chi-Tu sat by the coffee table. Chi-Tu looked at him, awkwardly stammering, "Well, it's not appropriate to keep Jushu's personal items in the military district office. Your uncle just helped move that coffin, that bed back to Jushu." Nakahara sat across from him and denied it. "I don't want to hear your trivial excuses anymore." Then Nakahara coldly crossed his arms, looked at his uncle, and asked, "Was the person who called themselves number 1 and was sent to rescue you arranged by you?" Hearing this, Chi-Tu's face was covered in sweat. He looked at him and confirmed, "Your sister called me, saying you were in trouble," then added, "and told me to find a way to save you. I sent nearby number 1 to investigate." Then Chi-Tu looked at him, smiled awkwardly, sweating profusely, and retorted, "You could run back to Jushu yourself, so you're fine, right?" But Nakahara didn't let up. He put down his hands, looked at him, and asked back, "Boss Chi, have you ever wondered why my sister has your number?" Hearing this, Chi-Tu looked confused and answered, "Didn't you tell that girl to call me if she had trouble?" Seeing how simply he thought, Nakahara smiled bitterly, closed his eyes in frustration, and thought to himself, "Commander An is indeed an old fox, directly playing Jushu. Fighting you, Boss Chi, is too naive." He made this judgment, then suddenly stood up from his chair and said to his uncle with certainty, holding the teacup across from him, "Anyway, the matter is resolved. Don't ask about the details. In the future, if my sister calls you, please answer quickly." Hearing this, Chi-Tu thought he was leaving and voiced his doubt, "Hey, wait, about the last time the organization department didn't accept you. Did Zhang Buyu help you solve it?" At this, Nakahara's face turned cold, and he looked at him as he answered, "Zhang Buyu not only took the blame for me," Nakahara interrupted, then added, "but also tried to persuade me to stay in Jushu. To him, Jushu is the military district's solid backing, the guardian of Washa. She too looked up at him, listening. Then Nakahara asked him, puzzled, "And to you, what is Jushu?" Before the man could answer, he had already turned and left. As he walked, leaving the silent Chi-Tu behind, Nakahara asked, "Is it a blanket to escape reality, or a fruit box to wrap yourself in?" Then as he continued walking away, he confirmed, "I don't need your answer, but I need someone surnamed Feng." At the Feng residence, Nakahara touched one of the 6 coffins before him. The bald man behind him looked at him and said, "Nakahara, the batch of beds you ordered is ready." Then the man added, "Check them. If there's no problem, give me the delivery addresses." Nakahara opened one coffin to inspect it, then calmly instructed, "Send 3 of these coffins to Commander Sha Jiwi of North China, Commander Un Zhengfing of East China, and Commander Zhang Buyu of South China. Just write their office addresses." Then he added, "Send one to the last Chengying Academy address, and one to your place in Guangyuan City." The bald man beside him looked at him, astonished. Then he put his hand on Nakahara's shoulder and added, "Keep the last one for yourself, or give it away as you like." Seeing the bald man's face quickly turn sour, Nakahara confirmed to him, "Sending one to each of the 3 commanders at once, are you serious?" Hearing this, Nakahara leaned in and whispered, "If you understand, you understand," still keeping his hand on the bald man's shoulder, adding, "If you don't need to." Then he glanced at the coffins and fell into his own thoughts. "This bed is big enough. I've left a trace of dark world energy inside." Then he added his judgment, "When used for teleportation, it can instantly appear in human form without needing to explain to that cat, and can turn back into a human." Soon the moon quickly covered the night sky, and his voice sounded again, "Oh, and I want to customize something like this. Can you make it here for me?" Then when Nakahara returned to Zhang Lan's side, he handed her a strawberry necklace, leaving Zhang Lan confused as she asked back, "Ha?" She confirmed again, "Giving this to me." Hearing this, Nakahara stood opposite her and asked back, "Do you like it?" Zhang Lan looked at the necklace in her hand and replied solemnly, "Brother, I like it, but is this worth you coming all the way back for?" Hearing this, Nakahara confirmed to Zhang Lan, "This is a specially customized amulet from your brother, so I'm giving it to you. It's very, very important. I had to hand it to you in person." Nakahara looked at the strawberry necklace and fell into his own thoughts. The strawberry pendant was actually a sealed box that could be opened from the inside. He had already left a trace of dark world energy inside, then added, "It can project and turn into an insect to teleport at any time. Ah, the ultimate trump card to protect Lan. I'm the only one I trust with it." Hearing this, Zhang Lan happily raised the necklace, her eyes smiling, and asked her brother, "Then brother, help me put it on." Seeing his sister so happy, Nakahara quickly agreed, answering, "Okay." Immediately he took the necklace, wrapped it around Zhang Lan's neck and carefully fastened it, while she lowered her head to make it easier. Then Zhang Lan's voice sounded, "Brother, I've actually noticed some of your little secrets." Then Zhang Lan choked up a bit, her eyes watery, and she bit her lip. Then she touched the strawberry necklace, smiled at the reflection of the siblings in the mirror before her, and made her judgment. "Since the car accident during summer break, you've seemed lost, like you've lost yourself." Then she expressed her feeling, "You're no longer the Nakahara who only wanted to be Zhang Lan's brother. Everything that doesn't fit you, you try hard to hide." Then she vaguely realized, "You want me to be Zhang Lan, and I'm not Nakahara's sister." Hearing this, Nakahara listened to her, smiling with affectionate eyes. Then Zhang Lan looked up, smiled, and confirmed, "But without this bond, the sibling Zhang Lan wouldn't be complete Zhang Lan. Nakahara wouldn't be complete Nakahara either." Then she smiled brightly, still holding the strawberry necklace around her neck, and made her own decision. "So," she interrupted. Nakahara bent down, looked at his sister, full of surprise. Zhang Lan continued, "Protect your weaknesses so you can fight without any worries." Hearing this, Nakahara's eyes widened and his eyes reddened. Zhang Lan turned around, her heels pivoting, and then judged, "This is the best way to fight, only for me." She hugged him tightly with love and affirmed, "This time let me as Nakahara's sister protect the world and protect you." Hearing this, Nakahara's hand froze. He looked at his sister, stunned speechless, then quickly broke into a happy smile and said, "Okay." Then he reached out and patted his little sister's head, and the scene shifted to a dining table with a plate of dumplings and a cup of hot coffee. Nakahara looked at the dining table and couldn't help but ask in confusion, "Everything goes with coffee. Is this the breakfast style of Shandong people?" A confirming voice came from the side, "Yes." Then Zhang Buyu, with twin ponytails, ran out in pajamas, grabbed the back of a chair, pulled it out, and smiled enthusiastically. Seeing this, Nakahara looked at him helplessly, his face calm, and continued asking, "By the way, Zhang Xiao, you spent half an hour in front of the mirror just for this hairstyle?" Hearing this, he shamelessly confirmed, "This is called physical cuteness, using active cuteness to counter your passive cuteness." Hearing this, he quickly walked behind him, grabbed a ponytail, looked at it, and curled his lip. Faced with his action, Zhang Buyu looked over with puzzled, narrowed eyes. Finally, Nakahara unhesitatingly picked up scissors and with a snip, cut off the ponytail. Seeing this, Zhang Buyu jumped up and cried out in pain, "Ah!" Hearing this, Nakahara stared at him awkwardly and shouted, "What are you yelling for? Hair has no pain." Then he reached out and used the life authority on his hair. Immediately, the hair grew back. Then Nakahara calmly confirmed, "There, I've changed your hair color back. Cut it however you want." Zhang Buyu looked at his hair, now reaching his ankles with the top half turned white, and gaped in shock, then confirmed, "Then after I eat, I'll use super-decomposition to cut it myself for fun." Then he sat at the table and happily ate breakfast. Nakahara sat across from him, sighed while holding his phone, and fell into thought. The finals of the University League are coming up. To ensure the player's condition, the rest period is relatively long. Today's team matches are ranking battles, deciding the top 10 and top 8. None of my business. Same for the individual matches. Thinking this, he looked at Zhang Buyu again and sighed, thinking to himself, "On the contrary, this guy, even with his office broken, wants to work from home, working all year round, even weekends as a commander. More exhausting than a slave." Suddenly Zhang Buyu remembered something, looked up at him, and calmly asked, "Young Master Yuan, how's the absorption of the negative energy from the ruined star going? How much longer will you be moonlighting?" Hearing this, Nakahara, while tapping his phone, looked at him and answered, "Actually, it's almost done now. I just plan to finish the league first, then deal with that bad premonition and then absorb the ruins energy." Then he remembered the team that was being treated in the hospital last time, and coldly concluded, "Since that Yangsheng team was injured by me and sent to the Ruins Bureau for investigation, it seems all members of the Yangsheng team have mental issues. They directly withdrew. Principal Bai Shanli of Jiangnan claims to be on vacation, but his whereabouts seem to have vanished from the world. No need to rush investigating them in a day or two. Don't pick the time when they're most alert." Then Nakahara rubbed his chin, his eyes sharp, and further pondered, "Also regarding the ruins energy and the ruins star, I've always felt they have an extremely chaotic feeling." Then he recalled the 4-color grading table from low to high, yellow, blue, red, purple, and calamity, and concluded, when humans directly gain abilities from the ruined star, they get immediate hints about the ability's name, level, and usage. Then asked himself and answered, who named these abilities, who wrote the hints? Then he remembered a youth holding a blazing fire sword, and further wondered, I can understand many auxiliary abilities enhancing other abilities, but why can they also enhance weapon attack power? Immediately, other questions surfaced. Many abilities, when used in practice, don't fully match the hints. Why is that? Back to reality. Zhang Buyu put down his chopsticks on the plate, looked at him, and answered Nakahara. Actually, the Academy of Sciences has launched a research project on your questions, but so far no conclusions. Hearing this, Nakahara looked at him calmly and confirmed. Was that so? The plate on the table was already empty. Mentioning this, Zhang Buyu's face darkened, and he looked at him seriously, saying, There are many guesses, he added. The widely accepted guess is that Ruins energy itself is something that continues to self-develop. The total number of Ruins rifts opening each year is increasing, and the number of alien races is growing. There's reason to say Ruins energy might be evolving. Then he quickly leaned in, put his hand on Nakahara's shoulder and smiled with narrowed eyes, reminding him, All right, stop dwelling on it. Leave these questions to the Academy of Sciences to study. Hearing this, Nakahara closed his eyes and curled his lip, not responding. His hand clenched into a fist on the table, the plate completely clean. Then he called out to Nakahara, telling him to look at this beautiful thing to change his mood. He, the once popular boy band idol hairstyle, handsome right? His head was completely bald with only hair on the sides, his hands spread out and his eyes full of coquettish pride. Seeing this, Nakahara got goosebumps and reluctantly shouted, Give me back your old hairstyle. Hearing this, Zhang Buyu whined to him, Let me play with it a bit. Hearing this, Nakahara walked over, grabbed his head, pressed it down to make his hair grow and angrily ordered, No, your mental energy is mine now. No wasting it. Zhang Buyu's head was pressed down and he screamed in pain, Ah! Then, in a spacious venue, a male and a female commentator sat at the commentary desk. The male commentator, named Uncle Kui, excitedly said, The team match points competition ended yesterday. The points and rankings are the same. A total of 14 teams have entered the top 10. Despite this, the female host Cheng Wan added, Some teams with the same points will compete in today's ranking matches to determine the 9th and 10th places for special rewards and the top 8 for the finals. Below the stage, 8 people stood in 2 rows facing each other. The commentator's voice excitedly rang out again. Today's first match is between Chengying Academy's Lu Bo team and Sanshan Academy's Guan Tisheng team. The result will determine who enters the quarterfinals for the finals. Nakahara, in cat form, sat on a small chair observing the match. Suddenly, Yi Zhen appeared beside him and confirmed, "This time, Zhang Jiyuan is going to lose." Hearing this, Nakahara just glanced at him and said, "Oh," while Yi Zhen continued explaining, "The opponent has 3 controls, unless she uses Jiyuan from the start. Otherwise, it's over." Then he angrily straightened up and shouted, "And that kid surnamed Guan is definitely from the Guan family in Guangfu City. This family especially likes to absorb notorious confusion abilities." Then Nakahara glanced at Yi Zhen, who had turned into a black blob, and asked back, "Confusion? I've seen it in the Ruins Energy textbook. Isn't it just a normal mental control ability?" Hearing this, Yi Zhen looked at him, frowned, and explained, "It's weak against alien races but effective on humans. When released, it doesn't distinguish friend from foe, only based on range." Then added, "People who absorb this ability more or less have impure motives." Upon hearing this, he also understood and sighed in realization. So that's how it is? Below the arena, Lu Bo was giving instructions to Su Weiniang. As soon as the referee announced the start, Ji Yuan immediately sprang into action. Seeing this, she looked at him in surprise and confirmed, "Ha, are you sure?" But before she could finish speaking, the referee had already blown the whistle and raised his hand to shout the start command. Upon hearing this, both teams stood facing each other, assuming combat stances. Immediately after, Guan Tisheng quickly extended his hands, revealing a lecherous grin, and shouted the name of his interference skill while frowning. Disrupting the thoughts of all targets within range, purple energy vortices were released from his palms. Seeing this, the 4 on Lu Bo's side were all startled and fell into a daze. In the stands, Cheng Yun raised a hand to shield his forehead and made a judgment. Guan Tisheng of Sanshin Academy has started releasing interference. Su Weiniang and Lu Bo's resistance is too weak. They were disrupted on the spot. Shang Guani and Situ Ming are still barely holding on. Next, an opponent named Wan Wei, wearing glasses, touched his own head with both hands, looked at them, and used Heart Mei's finger, targeting a specific person to induce confusion. As his fingertips touched his head, a purple vortex appeared, and Situ Ming was controlled into a state of delirium. Commentator Cheng Yun again analyzed the situation. Wan Wei coordinated quickly, and with Heart Mei's finger he successfully controlled Situ Ming. Immediately after, his eyes spun, and he reached out toward Shang Guani to use Mental Cage, leaving him stunned and dazed until he was stupefied. The commentator shouted again, "Situ Ming is in a state of extreme confusion and has released a mental cage on Shang Guani. Unbelievable." Seeing this, Guan Tisheng quickly glanced at his teammate and urged, "Wen Renju, hurry up." Upon hearing this, he quickly responded, "Coming." Then fine sand spread beneath that person's feet. Standing on the sand pile, he opened his arms and smugly executed Sand Domain. Immediately after, a fierce sand current surrounded the 4 like a cage, leaving them looking around in bewilderment. Commentator Cheng Yun saw this and analyzed the situation. The 4, including Lu Bo, have not yet awakened from the mental control and have fallen into Wen Renjia's quicksand domain. Then the male commentator's voice rang out again, filled with doubt. "It's been a minute since Lu Bo and the other 4 were buried head to toe in sand. Can they still turn things around with Ultimate Wish?" Meanwhile, Zhang Yuan walked over to the referee and asked why he wasn't counting down. Yi Zhen, standing beside him, looked at the referee in confusion. Seeing this, he glanced over and asked back, "Can Su Wanying's Ultimate Wish last 3 minutes? What if this is their delaying tactic?" Then Zhang Yuan activated his own energy, squinted to look inside and confirmed, "Is that so? Let me see." His body flashed with purple light as he used the super perception skill. Inside the sand pile, Su Weiniang had already fainted, and the sand was still continuously wrapping around them. Zhang Yuan thought to himself, "These quicksands keep trapping Su Weiniang. She's been filled with sand and is exhausted." Immediately after, he shouted to the referee beside him, "Declare them losers immediately and go save them." Seeing this, the referee turned to look at him, panicked and stammered as he obeyed, "Ah, yes." Then he hurried over to confirm, "Team Guan Tisheng wins. Withdraw your ability quickly." Seeing this, the guy named Wen Renju was still unwilling to stop. He looked at the referee with a sneer and confirmed, "My ability takes time to withdraw, it's not that fast." Immediately after, his soul returned to Zhang Buyu's office, looking at him in panic. Then Zhang Yuan regained his composure, lowered his head and instructed, "Master Zhang, use Infinite Dreamscape to cover us." Beside him, Zhang Buyu left the computer, looked at him in confusion but still confirmed, "Okay." The cat he had transformed into suddenly had purple energy flows appearing on its body, squinted its eyes and resolutely stepped down from its seat. Immediately after, Zhang Yuan used Constant Speed Light to appear quickly on the arena, bypassing Wen Renju, who turned to look at him in bewilderment. Guan Tisheng also shouted in panic, "How did Zhang Yuan suddenly appear here?" Ignoring them, Zhang Yuan quickly walked toward the sand pile where Lu Bo and the others were buried. He stomped his foot on the ground and used the Super Analysis Penetration skill, unleashing powerful green energy from beneath his feet. Immediately after, the few people were quickly blasted away, and a gap appeared in the ground, with the 4 lying scattered on the ground unconscious. Then he looked at them seriously and judged, "The 4 are covered in sand, my life authority can't help them clear it. It's best to call Feng Jin over." Immediately after, he used constant speed light again to appear behind Feng Jin, reaching out to touch his shoulder, startling him and leaving him full of confusion. Zhang Yuan, however, added a serious judgment in his mind. When activating constant speed, the activator immediately gains the target's speed. Then he added, "This acceleration and speed from the combination of internal and external forces won't harm the human body, but the air resistance at high speed will have an impact." Immediately after, he teleported the 2 to the arena while using constant speed air bullets to decelerate. Still holding Feng Jin's shoulder, Zhang Yuan added, "I need to run slower when taking Feng Jin." Immediately after, he threw him into the pit and said calmly, "I'll leave the rescue to you." Feng Jin, thrown down, fell in free fall with a bewildered look and protested loudly, "Can you be a bit gentler?" After solving the problem, Zhang Yuan coolly put his hands in his pockets, looked at the referee and asked, "If Wen Renju continues attacking after the match, will he get a card?" The referee broke out in a cold sweat upon seeing this. Immediately after, he quickly raised a yellow card and announced loudly, "Wen Renju of Sanshin Academy continued attacking after the match. Yellow card warning." Seeing this, he looked on in confusion and started shouting discontentedly, "When did I attack?" Immediately after, Feng Jin in the pit looked at the people on the ground gradually waking up. The referee above the pit was also stunned. Then he used mind reading, and looked at Wen Renju again, frowning deeply, and asserted to him seriously, "Facts won't change because of your denials." Immediately after, that person frowned, gritted his teeth and looked at him with full anger. Zhang Yuan read his thoughts. "Impossible. No one knows what happened under the sand except me, he's just bluffing." Immediately after, that person opened his mouth wide, frowned, and full of anger tried to weasel out, "I'm wronged. It really takes time to withdraw my ability. It's not something I can control." But a completely different thought echoed in his mind. "As long as I keep my mouth shut, I'll be fine." The referee didn't find a problem. "Can you blame me?" Feng Jin stumbled up from the pit and said to Wen Renju, "Your sand domain was used before. Compare how many seconds it takes to withdraw." Upon hearing this, the referee quickly frowned, took out another yellow card and announced, "Wen Renju, your attitude toward the referee." Add another yellow card, accumulating into a red card. That person became even angrier, glared at the referee with gritted teeth, and was left speechless, unable to argue further. Amid the chaotic thoughts of the crowd, he silently listened to their inner voices with a dark expression. Zhang Yuan and Feng Jin are both people I can't afford to offend. Even if Wen Renju tries to argue, giving him a card was the right call. That was the referee's inner thought. "I have 1,000 curses I can't describe." That was Wen Renju's inner thought. Feng Jin's inner judgment. "This sand-playing idiot has a grudge against Ultimate Wish. He was so ruthless. If I'd been a minute late, they'd be dead." On the other side, Su Weiniing also asked herself, "Where did the sand go? Am I dead or alive?" Then someone else added, "My mental control has been lifted. Did I get rejuvenated?" Someone from the opposing team also judged, "What's Wen Renju so excited about? He got a red card. Our substitute team will have a tough time in the next match." On a cat cushion in front of a computer, light shone on the leaves. In Zhang Buyu's office, he sat upright in a chair, processing documents on the computer. Then a cat quickly appeared from the drawer, calling out, "Master Zhang." It used its 2 front paws to act cute with him. Seeing this, Zhang Buyu was startled, his expression twisted. Then he frowned and scolded, "Young Master Yuan, you scared me to death." Immediately after, his inner thoughts also erupted fiercely, acting cute with me again secretly. Then he made a judgment. "He can act cute all he wants, I remain unmoved." Then he silently chanted a mantra. "Wisdom sword cuts cute habits. The wise don't enter the river of cuteness. Prosperity, democracy, civility, harmony, freedom, equality, justice, rule of law, patriotism, dedication, integrity, friendliness." Immediately after, Zhang Buyu bent over, propped his hands on his knees, looked at Zhang Yuan with a smile, and asked, "Is it settled?" Faced with this series of thoughts, Zhang Yuan said in surprise, obediently looked at him, squinted and confirmed, "So that's the mantra to counteracting cute. I'm really impressed by you." Upon hearing this, Zhang Buyu bent down, sat down, hugged his knees, looked at him with a pitifully cute expression and asked back, "Is it fun to act cute while secretly reading my thoughts?" Hearing Zhang Buyu ask this, Zhang Yuan couldn't help but confirm, No, I mean I found that occasionally acting cute with you not only lets you use rational common sense to soothe negative emotions, but also effectively reduces the degree of assimilation." Seeing this, Zhang Buyu stared at him with a look full of disappointment and hurt and commanded, "Don't use mind reading next time you act cute." Seeing this, he also broke out in a cold sweat and confirmed. Oh, immediately after, Zhang Buyu reminded him again. Turn on rational common sense, I need to tell you something. Zhang Yuan obediently did so. Okay, then the drawer below also closed automatically. After chatting for a while, they took out a cup of water and placed it on the table. Zhang Buyu asked back, harming ultimate wish, what's his intention? Seeing this, Zhang Yuan in cat form sat beside him and answered, I heard with mind reading that it was probably a momentary impulse. He couldn't hold back his killing intent. Hearing this, Zhang Buyu propped his hand on his chin, lowered his head, frowned in thought, and asked Zhang Yuan, was he affected by the interference? Was he out of his mind? Then he explained to him, I calculated the distance between Guan Tisheng and him when the interference was activated. At least this time he wasn't affected. Seeing this, Zhang Buyu quickly took out his phone, smiled with interest and suggested, if he's asking for death, then send him to the virtual bureau to have tea with Wang Padi. After Wen Renju was taken away, the remaining 3 of the opposing team sat in the meeting room drinking tea. The guy named Wan Wei, crossing his legs, discussed, the virtual bureau people just took Wen Renju away without a word. What do we do now? Guan Tisheng leaned back in his chair, tapped his head and made a judgment. He can still substitute in for the next quarterfinal match. But if he plays and can't perform, we'll basically lose the rest of the matches. Beside him, Dong Xiaotong sat in a chair, crossed her legs, raised a hand to her cheek and thought. Then, Wan Wei shouted again, frowning with full dissatisfaction and confusion, asking them, how did they have the ability to get the virtual bureau to directly arrest someone? Hearing this, Dong Xiaotong quickly made a judgment. I checked the backgrounds of these people. Su Wanying's family is big, but their reach doesn't extend to South China. Zhang Yuan is just a nobody. Only Feng Jin can do whatever he wants relying on Su Ri. Hearing this, the guy with glasses also spoke up. We should have had Wen Renju report too. He just absorbed the Sand Spirit Burst. Definitely a unique strategic level ability. Then Dong Xiaotong calmed down, closed her eyes, and soothed the other 2. Don't rush. Seeing this, Guan Tisheng leaned back in his chair, darkened his face, frowned at her, and asked, Dong Xiaotong, at a time like this you still have the mood to drink tea and tell cold jokes? Then she asserted confidently, as long as Wen Renju is innocent, the virtual bureau can't do anything to him. As for the investigation, just stall for time. Then she called someone. The tea on the table hadn't been touched yet, but the surface began to ripple. She said into the phone, hello second uncle, it's me, Tang Tang. Then she briefly stated the matter. I'm telling you, during these days of competition, a teammate of mine was suddenly taken away by the virtual bureau people. That evening at Zhang Buyu's home, Zhang Yuan was cracking eggs into a bowl and smiled as he judged. Your cooking skills have improved quickly. It seems after I leave you won't have to eat instant noodles at least. On the other side, Zhang Buyu, tying an apron and working non-stop, complained to him. You're the one who made me the chef, so why am I always the one washing and cutting vegetables? Seeing this, Zhang Yuan calmly smiled and replied, to become stronger, you have to cut off your own weaknesses. Zhang Buyu was holding a knife when his phone rang with a ding-ding sound. He noticed it and silently asked himself, Wang Padi sent me a message. Immediately after, while reading the message, he darkened his face and reported to Zhang Yuan, who was cooking behind him. Young Master Yuan, this time it's really a case of the Great Flood washing over the Dragon King Temple. Hearing this abstract metaphor, he looked confused, turned back to Zhang Buyu like a statue, and asked, what do you mean? He glanced at him, full of seriousness, and further explained, Wen Renju had just entered the virtual bureau. Before he could even finish his tea, he was fished out by someone else. Then he added, the one who fished him out was Tong Xiangyuan, the 4th of the 9 voids. Hearing this, Zhang Yuan frowned and turned his whole body toward Zhang Buyu, who was still cutting vegetables, and confirmed, is Tong Xiangyuan, the 4th of the 9 voids, a relative of Wen Renjia's teammate Dong Xiaotong? Yes. Immediately after, Zhang Buyu also answered, yes. Then he added more information about that 4th of the 9 voids. Tong Xiangyuan came from an ordinary family and was accidentally drawn into conflicts among virtual energy users. The South China military region, for confidentiality reasons, recruited him as a clerk. Imagine him walking on a lofty career path, and he further confirmed. Not long after, he was discovered to have exceptionally high virtual energy talent, and from then on he upgraded to become a top-tier powerhouse. Joining the 9 voids, the entire Dong family also rose to prominence, becoming a new virtual energy user clan. Hearing this, Zhang Yuan understood the problem, turned back to continue cooking, frowned seriously, and judged. If he came from the bottom, he should know the pain of oppression by the powerful. How has he now turned around to oppress others? Hearing this, Zhang Buyu also looked up, frowned, and spoke with sympathy, refuting Zhang Yuan's words. You can't blame him entirely. In South China, without connections, it's almost impossible to get by. Immediately after, Zhang Buyu added, the hereditary nature of virtual energy talent further fuels clan culture. Relatives don't reason with each other. Then his eyes became melancholic, and he continued with a frown. Tang Xiangyuan has made countless military achievements, and once suppressed a catastrophic-level virtual cave, saving thousands of people. He imagined Tang Xiangyuan standing at the entrance of the abyss, walking alone on a long staircase, and further confirmed, the Nine Voids tacitly allow his nepotistic behavior just to make him more dependent on them. Then he added, the rules and benefits of this might-makes-right system are indeed tempting, so everyone wants to become Tang Xiangyuan. The only difference is whether they have the talent or not. Back in reality, Zhang Buyu finished cutting the vegetables, neatly placed them on a plate, and continued to explain, the real reason Huasha is reluctant to disclose virtual energy to the public is that if virtual energy users break free from the state's mandatory jurisdiction and become a new class, those ordinary people without talent will never escape the fate of being oppressed. Then he added, disclosing virtual energy would only create countless Tang Xiangyuans. In the long run, Huasha would no longer be the people's Huasha, but the virtual energy user's Huasha. Then Zhang Buyu lowered his head, full of self-mockery, and told Zhang Yuan with a complex expression, the irony is, I want to protect the people, protect the country. Zhang Buyu looked at the knife in his hand, grimly concluding that he had no choice but to wield this power, steeped in self-interest and injustice. Perhaps in the days to come, as he constantly compromised with the great families, he would gradually degenerate into the very thing he despised most. Hearing this, Zhang Yuan, on the other side, couldn't help but focus on cooking while coldly confirming with his reddened eyes, he wouldn't become that. Zhang Yuan carried the dishes toward where he stood, watching silently, unsure of what to say while he cooked quietly. Zhang Buyu, standing nearby, asked him in confusion, how can you be so sure I won't? At this, Zhang Yuan explained to him, I've eaten your rational common sense for so long, do you think I don't know you by now? Hearing this, Zhang Buyu had nothing to say. Then with a calm gaze he spoke, saying he had once promised to create a world where he could sleep peacefully, and then added that even he could do it. Even if you deceive me, I'll believe you. Then Zhang Yuan smiled, turned to Zhang Buyu, and reached out his hand, eagerly confirming so that he could rest easy. Zhang Yuan interrupted him, then asserted, when the day comes that I too can truly sleep peacefully, I will strive alongside you. This time let me be your support. Immediately after, Zhang Buyu looked up at Zhang Yuan with a disdainful expression and naively asked back, I understand the logic, but can we change the ritual to something other than a handshake? Seeing this, Zhang Buyu looked at him, found it troublesome, and proposed another suggestion. Then what do you want? Swear an oath by blood or activate a magic card ritual? At that, Zhang Buyu shamelessly suggested a fusion transformation. Hearing this, he also agreed. Then Zhang Yuan tilted his head with a smile, raised both hands above his head and leaned to one side like two power plugs, and shouted with a dark face, punch through the 9 ruins, kick aside the great families. Zhang Buyu also eagerly mimicked his movements with joy, shouting, eliminate the wicked of the world, usher in an era of peace. Their feet landed, striking an attack pose. Seeing him so excited, he couldn't help but think he was crazy, a black line appearing on his face as he asked, are you having fun? Zhang Buyu beside him replied, super fun. Then they reined in their madness, and Zhang Buyu asked him in confusion, what are you going to do about Tang Xiangyuan shielding Wen Renju? Zhang Yuan looked at him with a sly grin and confirmed, hit the small fry first, then the big shots, whatever evil they do they'll pay for. Hearing this, Zhang Buyu excitedly encouraged him with a smile, go for it, if you kill them, I'll cover for you. That night in Feng Jing's room he sat on the bed looking at the matchup chart. Feng Jing raised his hand to stroke his chin, sitting on the edge of the bed as he looked at the matchup chart and made a judgment. Yuan, our next opponent in the team competition, has directly conceded. He, with one leg on the bed and the other dangling, confirmed, as expected. After all, the league determines not only the champion but also rankings and rewards. Conceding is a wise tactical choice to preserve strength and aim for a higher ranking. Hearing this, Feng Jing also voiced his inference. I guess our opponent in the semifinals will also concede, and then we'll go straight to the finals. At this, Zhang Yuan also analyzed the team competition situation. We're currently ranked first, while Guan Tisheng's team is temporarily 8th. According to the scheduled process, we won't meet them until the finals. Looking at the team division chart, Zhang Yuan clicked his tongue dismissively and confirmed, Tisk, I don't mind letting them climb higher so they fall harder. Then his face was filled with grim killing intent. Feng Jing, seeing this, broke out in a cold sweat and looked at him, asking back, although that bastard Wen Renju deserves to die, is it really okay for us to make a move in the league? Hearing this, Zhang Yuan's face darkened like the bottom of a pot as he confirmed, I don't like killing people unless they really want to die. Then Feng Jing asked him again, I heard Wen Renju was sent to the Void Management Bureau but then got pulled out by someone. Could it be the Flash Lawbringer? Hearing this, Zhang Yuan calmed down, turned to look at Feng Jing beside him and asked back, "What the hell is a flash lawbringer?" He spread his hands toward Zhang Yuan and smiled, explaining, "Number 4 of the 9 ruins Tong Xiangyuan will set an example with this matter. In the 9 ruins his combat power ranks 9th, his social skills rank dead last." Seeing Feng Jing so knowledgeable, he also asked him, "In your eyes is he a good person or a bad person?" But suddenly Zhang Yuan let out an "ah." He exclaimed, crossed his arms, furrowed his brows seriously and muttered to himself in realization, "Everyone has a good side and a bad side." Then he stylishly put his hands in his pockets, stood up and confirmed, "Is that so? I understand." Feng Jing, seeing this, looked at him blankly and asked, "What are you planning to do? Forget it, I'll just play dead anyway, do whatever you want." Then Feng Jing pinched his own chubby cheeks, tears welling up in his eyes behind his glasses, watery and cute as he pitifully accused him, "Speaking of which, there aren't many individual matches left. Most people in the winner's bracket were scared off by you and conceded, running to the loser's bracket. My schedule has been packed these past few days and I'm exhausted to the point of collapse." Seeing this, Zhang Yuan showed no mercy, quickly furrowing his brows, gritting his teeth in displeasure, reaching out to pull Feng Jing's cheek and asking in a deep voice, "Have you learned to act spoiled now?" Seeing his expression, Feng Jing's face turned pale and he broke out in a cold sweat, but he still stubbornly defended himself. "Who told you to value beauty over friendship? You attract bees and butterflies wherever you go." Hearing this, he let out a confused "ah." Then Feng Jing remembered those handsome men and beautiful women and began to list them off. Lan Kang, a silver-haired girl with red eyes you saved, Fang Quan, a green-eyed, reddish-brown-haired girl whose myopia you cured, and Su Jie, who's completely infatuated with your cat, all applied to be transferred to your side. A boy with his hands clasped together and a stubborn expression. Then Feng Jing emphasized, "Especially Su Jie, who blocks the door every day to pet the cat. It took me half a day to drive him away." Hearing his complaints, Zhang Yuan quickly turned into a cat, darted out through the open window and shamelessly said, "I don't know anything, tattletale." Seeing this, he stood behind and watched Zhang Yuan, calmly commenting, "Ah, now I understand Zhang Buyu's urge to spank that cat's butt." The next morning in the arena, the female host Cheng Yun spoke with a serious expression and a high-pitched tone. "The strength of Ying'an Academy's Feng Jing team is truly too strong. Their opponents in the quarterfinals over the past few days have all chosen to concede." Then, the male host Kui Kasheng beside her also looked sternly at the audience and commented, "After several days of intense ranking battles, the teams from 3rd to 8th place have been determined. What's coming next is the highly anticipated team competition finals." Then, the female host Cheng Yun asked a puzzled question, "Could it be that Guan Tisheng's team from Sanshan Academy, originally destined for 2nd place, still has the guts to challenge Feng Jing's team?" At the arena entrance, the 4 members of Guan Tisheng's team were walking out. Wen Wei, walking with his hands in his pockets, asserted, "Tisk, the champion isn't decided yet." Guan Tisheng, walking beside him, also looked at his teammates and said, "No matter how strong Zhang Yuan is, the competition rules don't allow fatal attacks. His strategic level abilities are completely useless." Wen Renju, walking at the front, still smiled contemptuously and repeated, "Last time he only dug that big pit after I withdrew the cutting domain. If I hadn't withdrawn my ability, he definitely wouldn't have been able to do anything to me." Only Tong Xiaotong, walking at the back, was the most silent. Sunlight from outside the window shone on their group. Then in the arena, the 2 teams faced each other. Before it even started, one side was already shouting provocatively, "Feng Jing, everyone says you're the strongest healing type. Let's see how many people your radiance can save today." Feng Jing's team didn't back down either, taunting back, "Do we even need radiance to fight you? Let me make it clear, no matter how badly you're beaten, I won't save you." The other side, hearing this, turned green with anger and retorted, "Who wants you to save us? Flattering yourself." Then Feng Jing turned to ask the referee, "Is the healing type strong enough? Don't make me save people after the match." Seeing this, the referee smiled at him and confirmed, "You're a normal competing contestant. You have no obligation to save anyone." Hearing this, he also confirmed, "Good, then I'm relieved." Then the referee raised his hand and shouted to start the match. "Both sides prepare. 3, 2, 1, begin." Immediately, Guan Tisheng and Wen Wei on the other side charged together, simultaneously giving him an order, "Control him." But before he could finish speaking, he froze. On the other side, Zhang Yuan watched them charge, calmly keeping his hands in his pockets, extending only one hand to perform an ice sealing technique. His other teammates looked at him without saying anything. Suddenly, 2 blocks of ice appeared in the space, sealing Wen Wei and Guan Tisheng inside while he was lost in his own thoughts. These 2 guys have mental control abilities. To avoid them pulling any tricks, I'll use the lowest level ice sealing technique. It'll thaw automatically in a few minutes, no need to sweep away their life force as well. Then he calmly and stylishly summoned 2 arms, threw them off the stage and looked at them with a contemptuous gaze. The host above also announced loudly, Guan Tisheng and Wen Wei have been thrown out of the ring by Zhang Yuan's light burst. Guan Tisheng's team is instantly down to 2 people. He watched them calmly, judging in his mind. The remaining 2, kill or spare? Let me hear your hearts before deciding. On the other side, Tong Xiaotang's inner thoughts surfaced. So what if they're frozen? They only need to hold him off for 1 second. The tactical goal is achieved. Then she spread her hands, and behind her a dense area of darkness began to expand. This was her skill, Dark Domain, Canopy. Wen Renju beside her also pressed his hands to the ground, creating waves of sand. This move was the Sand Domain. Then she further judged. Light burst fears places without light the most. As long as the field is turned into darkness, it can counter the light burst. Seeing this, the stage was already covered in darkness. The spectators were also stunned and watching excitedly. At the commentary desk, they shouted even more excitedly. Contestant Tong Xiaotang activates the Dark Domain, plunging the arena into darkness. Nothing can be seen. Then an adjustment sound came. Camera quickly switching to infrared mode. Zhang Yuan stood in the surroundings looking at Yi Chen, who was acting as his shadow, and asked him through divine sense. Yi Chen, any effect? He quickly replied. Doesn't hurt a bit. Seeing this, Zhang Yuan remained still, his body emitting a faint glow, and instructed him. Pull my teammates out of the sand. Then Yi Chen dispersed his body into countless threads, grabbed the other 3 and lifted them from the sinking sandpit. Everything around them was pitch black and they couldn't perceive anything. Then in the darkness, Zhang Yuan grew wings and flew into the air. This was the Domain Lord. Then he looked down at the opposing team's members and taunted, "This move is useless, bring on the next one." Seeing this, Tong Xiaotang looked up at him, her face scrunched up, mouth wide open in surprise, thinking, he can fly, that's so unfair. Then she confirmed in confusion. Her Dark Domain had recorded a total of 3 abilities, including weightlessness and ultra-high temperature. Ultra-high temperature was a killing move against foreign races and couldn't be used in the arena. She'd better use weightlessness. So she constructed a theory about his lift force and judged. Weightlessness is a state where the gravity an object experiences is greater than the force resisting gravity. Then she continued thinking, when the target flies into her weightlessness space, the lift required to maintain flight decreases, causing a downward acceleration due to gravity. She was scheming in her mind about how to make him lose gravity and fall. Then, as she thought, she acted quickly, snapping her fingers to use the weightlessness ability of the dark space, and shouted firmly, "Fall down." Seeing this, Zhang Yuan still hovered in the air, his wings spread behind him, confirming in his mind, "My Domain Lord controls the rising air currents nearby, generating greater lift to compensate for the lift reduction caused by the weightlessness space." The sand waves also surged fiercely toward Zhang Yuan. His calm voice sounded again, "Sorry, this move is useless too." Below, Wen Renju forcefully reached out to him, manipulating the sand hit his face and he gritted his teeth with a determined expression. Tong Xiaotang beside him shielded her face from the wind and sand, looked at him, and reminded, "Wen Renju, retract your sand quickly." But that guy wouldn't cry until he saw the coffin, shouting at her, "Retract what? I'm going to defeat Zhang Yuan head-on." Then the stage floor was covered in quicksand. Tong Xiaotang beside him, her face dark, looked at the sand sticking to her legs, filled with terror. That guy's body began to turn to sand, and as he scattered into sand, he judged in his mind. "Sand is my home turf." He confirmed that as long as he turned into sand, he was invincible. Then a huge sand vortex formed below, and Tong Xiaotang's feet were still trapped in it. This was Sand Spirit Burst, instantly boosting ability to 600. Immune to all damage and abnormal states for 30 seconds, Zhang Yuan flew above, wings spread, watching them calmly. Then a sand pillar shot rapidly toward him. This was the Sand Domain Lord, freely transforming into sand. Then it swallowed him into the sand vortex, but Zhang Yuan still flew freely inside, seeing that guy's mind still gleefully hiding in the sand vortex approaching him. "Ha ha ha. Let's see how I drown you in sand. Come on, counterattack. With Sand Spirit Burst's help, I'm invincible." Then he asserted, "Even if you're the second-ranked youth, you can only be suppressed by me." Facing his arrogant words, Zhang Yuan also opened his eyes wide, looking at him in the sand vortex without fear, asking himself in his mind, his immortality has been activated again. Should he say this guy doesn't know his own strength or overestimates my defense? Below, Feng Jing also took off his glasses, his eyes shining as he looked at the sand vortex, assessing in his mind. Holding his glasses in one hand and letting the other hang, his face scrunched up in worry as he judged. Why is Wen Renjia's remaining lifespan dropping crazily? Has he ignored the human body's tolerance limit and activated an ability boost exceeding 448? Then he concluded, at this rate he probably won't live past 5 minutes. On the other side, the referee stood on the stage confusedly testing the cat form him who was calmly watching the show. This, in Wen Renjia's situation, should I give a red card or start the countdown? Zhang Yuan replied calmly. It's all the same. Seeing this, the referee scrunched up his face in even more confusion. Then following his instructions he began the countdown. 23, 22, the sand vortex kept spinning. Inside the vortex, one of Yi Chen's arms extended out. He threw out the already unconscious Tong Xiaotong. Then, the host above also commented excitedly, "The referee on the field believes Zhang Yuan's defense is definitely fine, so he started the countdown according to the standard for control abilities." Then the host added a report. Before the countdown ended, Zhang Yuan's light burst suddenly forcefully threw contestant Tong Xiaotong out of the ring. Then the sand vortex dissipated, leaving only fine sand falling, and the referee shouted nervously, "Guan Tisheng's team is left with only the sandified Wen Renju fighting alone. Can he turn the tide?" Then they shouted, "Oh, the sand on the field has suddenly all disappeared. Wen Renjia's sandification has also been lifted." Then Wen Renjia's body was covered in wounds, blood flowing from his eyes and mouth, and he shouted in extreme panic in his mind, "Has my skill time ended?" He muttered to himself, "Strange, why did my sandification also?" Then his vision went black, full of confusion, and he finally collapsed to the ground. As for Zhang Yuan, he flew down on his own, stood back with his team, looked at Wen Renju and made a judgment. When disaster falls from heaven, one may still avoid it, but self-inflicted calamity leaves no escape. Covered in blood and filth, he died on the spot atop the arena. Immediately after, the referee, wearing a hat, raised his hand and announced loudly, "Wen Renju, severely injured and unable to fight, victor goes to Feng Jin's team." Another referee standing beside Wen Renju looked at him lying in a pool of his own flowing blood, raised his hand and shouted, "Call the medical team." Upon seeing this, two people also approached him carrying a stretcher. Then Zhang Yuan fell backward and whispered to Feng Jin, "Ah, I think I'm about to die. Hurry and take me to the hospital." Seeing this, Feng Jin quickly reached out to support his shoulder, thinking in shock, "Is it the Yi escape technique? This is what I'm best at, acting." Then, hoisting Zhang Yuan onto his back, he dashed off the arena like the wind, shouting in panic, "Zhang Yuan is severely injured. I need to treat him continuously for a whole day and night. No one disturb us during this time." Upon seeing this, the audience in the stands looked up with bewildered concern. Meanwhile, Wen Wei and Guan Tisheng, drenched and lying in a puddle of melted ice, shivered as they sat beneath the stands. The one wearing glasses hugged himself, trembling, and asked, "It's so cold. Can someone blow a healing wind on me?" The person beside him barely managed to sit up, frowning in confusion, and said, "The battle is already over." Was that an enhanced version of freeze we just took? Then he confirmed again, "It's over. Wen Renju is on his last breath. Add one more life resonance." The four-member medical team stood awkwardly at the four corners, staring at Wen Renju lying on the ground, disfigured and barely alive. Puzzled as they wondered what ability he had used, his life force was depleted and beyond saving. Another person, quick-witted, shouted loudly, "Go find Su Ri." Upon hearing this, another healer beside him reminded him, "Su Ri went to save Zhang Yuan. Call someone to assist him." Then another person spoke gravely, "It's hopeless. Su Ri has already run off without a trace. We can't contact him." The representative of the opposing team glared angrily at team leader Ji Yu and shouted at him in accusation. "Team leader Ji Yu, what's wrong with the students from your academy? After crippling our student, they fake death and run away." Upon hearing this, a girl from the team behind couldn't help but speak up to question him. "Fake death? Why don't you go in and eat half a minute of sand to see if you die?" Team leader Ji Yu looked at him, calmly stuffing his hands into his pockets, and repeated nonchalantly, "Team leader Lu, our students are clearly the victims. Your people abused their abilities. Where's the logic in asking us to treat them?" Then he added, "Before the fight started, Guan Tisheng himself said he didn't need Feng Jin's treatment." Enraged, he turned his head, glared, and grabbed Guan Tisheng by the collar to question him. "Guan Tisheng, why did you say that? If Wen Renju dies, are you responsible?" The man now shrank like a turtle, his eyes full of fear, stammering. On the other side, a healer collapsed to the ground and confirmed loudly, "It's no use, I can't hold on anymore. He's dead." Upon seeing this, the manager of the opposing team shouted in panic, "No, please hold on a little longer. I'll report to the military district immediately." Then Guan Tisheng turned and put his hand on Tong Xiaotang's shoulder, urgently pleading with her. "Xiaotang, quickly ask your second uncle for help. The Virtual Control Bureau listens to him. He'll definitely get Feng Jin to come." Upon hearing this, Tong Xiaotang hesitated, stammering at him, but the man interrupted her. "A life is at stake." Seeing this, Tong Xiaotang reluctantly compromised. "Fine." Then she walked to a corner and made a call. "Second uncle, my classmate is injured. I want to find Feng Jin to treat him." Then she added, "But Feng Jin's backing is too strong, we can't get him to come." "Why can't even second uncle move him?" the voice on the other end warned her worriedly. "Tang, Feng Jin's background is bigger than you think. It's not worth offending him for a classmate." Hearing this, Tong Xiaotang on her end let out an "ah," and then Tong Xiangyuan on this end reminded her, "Feng Jin responds to softness, not hardness. He was harder to deal with as a kid, wouldn't take either soft or hard, only pineapple-flavored candy." Then he instructed, "Forget about your classmates' business. Building a good relationship with Feng Jin is what matters most." Hearing this, Tong Xiaotong held the phone, listening, and thought to herself in panic and helplessness, "All he talks about is how to please Feng Jin. Is second uncle Feng Jin's bootlicker?" Then they hung up. Tong Xiaotong turned to look at Guan Tisheng, who quickly asked her how it went and if it was possible. Hearing this, Tong Xiaotong frowned and relayed apologetically, "Second uncle said he doesn't have time to deal with this." Suddenly a voice rang out, "No need to save him." Among the healers, one who was receiving orders on his phone confirmed again, "The young marshal said if he can't be saved, give up. Don't exhaust the healers." Hearing this, the healers gathered around Wen Renjia's corpse widened their eyes in shock. Then in the courtyard of 9 ruins, sunlight spilled everywhere. Chi Su sat at a wooden table, staring at the battle on his computer screen, and sighed, "Is that sand-playing kid crazy? If he doesn't want to live, he doesn't have to use such a vicious move on Zhang Yuan." Seeing this, Feng Zuzan beside him also propped her chin on her hand and scolded Zhang Yuan. Yuan is really something. Why did he just stand there and take the hit?" Then she added, "If I didn't know that kid has skills, I'd almost think he was seriously injured." Hearing this, Chi Su beside her asserted, "Send a message to Han. Don't say you can tell at a glance that kid's fine." After hearing his explanation, Feng Zuzan looked at him puzzled with an innocent expression and asked, "Why can't I say that?" Chi Su scratched his head, embarrassed and unsure how to explain. He stammered, "There's a classic line to describe this feeling, I like flowers, but I won't tell you I want flowers." After hearing his explanation, Feng Zuzan posed an even more perplexing question, "Isn't that the love theory those young girls use?" Then he looked at her and confirmed further, "It applies to family, friendship, love, old and young, men and women alike." Thinking this over, Chi Su pointed at his fingers, frowned seriously, and linked it to Zhang Yuan's coffin and Feng Jin's love for pineapple candy, offering an explanation. Whether it's only eating pineapple candy or using a coffin as a bed at their core, they're both clumsily seeking attention. That afternoon at the Blue Sky Hotel, dusk had fallen. On the phone, Zhang Lan sobbed heart-wrenchingly, her eyes red and wide, and commanded him urgently, "You're never allowed to scare me like this again." Seeing his sister crying so choked up, Zhang Yuan smiled bitterly in helplessness, as if he'd committed a grave sin, and quickly grabbed Feng Jin to defend himself. "It's fine, I'm really not hurt. If you don't believe me, ask Feng Jin." The other cooperated honestly, "That attack was just a gentle breeze to my brother." Then they both looked at the phone in Zhang Yuan's hand. On the other end, Zhang Lan still cried out in pain, "But it still hurts." Zhang Yuan kept explaining, "It doesn't hurt or itch really." Then the little girl cried even harder, shouting, "But it still hurts me to watch." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan's expression grew even more awkward. He looked at the phone and coaxed her, "Then don't watch." Hearing this, the voice on the other end cried even louder, shouting at him, "No, if you're hurt you can't hide it from me." Feng Jin, seeing Zhang Yuan's expression and this awkward sibling scene, secretly laughed to himself, thinking happily, as expected of little Lan, one thing subdues another. In Zhang Buyu's office, a committee member looked at him worriedly and confirmed, "Young Marshal, the University League hasn't seen a death in over a decade." He clasped his hands nervously and added, "The Virtual Ability User Forum is in an uproar over Wen Renju." He gestured wildly as he reported, "Team leader Liu of Sanshin Academy publicly condemned the South China Military District for hosting the University League with insufficient medical equipment, leading to the fall of a genius. That article's sarcasm was so sharp it might as well have named you directly." Seeing this, Zhang Buyu still sat calmly at his desk with Zhang Yuan beside him in cat form, lying on a cat pillow. The man continued asking him, "Are we just going to let them slander us freely?" At this, Zhang Buyu propped his chin on his hand, smiled smugly, and looked at him to confirm, "If a dog bites me, I have to cook that dog before biting back." Seeing this, the man didn't understand what he meant and stood there speechless. Then Zhang Buyu's expression turned serious, and he frowned as he asked the man, "Has Wen Renjia's body been sent to the Virtual Control Bureau?" The man quickly replied, "It's already been sent." Then he confirmed to the reporter, "Good, Mr. Zhang, go ahead." Then Zhang Buyu walked to the window and called to ask the person on the other end, "Director Wang, have you used the virtual scan to check Wen Renjia's memories?" A report came back quickly. No clues were found in his memory suggesting he was manipulated by others. Then he confirmed further, his heavy-handedness during the match was entirely his own impulsive rage. Hearing this, Zhang Buyu responded calmly, "Is that so?" He looked down through the glass window at the dark sky below, and Zhang Yuan also poked out his cat head to listen. Then he hung up, turned to look at him, and asked, "Young Marshal Zhang, what do you plan to do?" Then he added, "The masses have sharp eyes. Just find and reveal the truth." Zhang Yuan, lounging lazily on the cat cushion, looked up and confirmed, "That still won't avoid criticism." Hearing this, Zhang Buyu also stiffened, frowned, and looked at him to confirm, "Where there is killing, there will be resentment." Then he blamed himself, "Because I ordered the abandonment of treatment, their resentment is unavoidable." Then he reverted to a cute act, touching his forehead with both hands, smiling like a cat, radiating light and shooting heartbeams at him to confirm, "I can't just act cute in front of everyone on behalf of the military district." Then he asked himself, "Can I get away with acting cute?" Seeing this, Zhang Yuan squinted and commented, "Young Marshal Zhang, you're being sarcastic again." Then he pointed at Zhang Yuan lounging lazily on the cushion with the other hand in his pocket and joked, "You're scolding the bear for acting cute, don't take it personally." Seeing this, his gaze turned less friendly as he warned Zhang Buyu, "Scold me again and tomorrow morning I'll brew your coffee with my butt." Seeing this, Zhang Buyu quickly clasped his hands together, looked at him with teary eyes and meowed like a cat, "Meow meow." Zhang Yuan beside him looked at him and reminded, "Speak human." Zhang Buyu only let out a repentant ying. Then at the Four Seasons Green Hotel, Guan Tisheng, while browsing online, stared wide-eyed and angry at the screen, puzzled. Last night the forum's tone was blaming the committee's negligence. How come today everyone's turning on us for being too arrogant? Seeing this, Tong Xiaotong beside him also looked and confirmed, "You and Wen Renju were both pretty arrogant." "It's nothing." Hearing this, he didn't admit fault but frowned and shifted the blame to him. "It must be Zhang Yuan deliberately smearing me." "Look how dumb he is." Tong Xiaotong silently frowned and concluded in her mind, "These three dumb teammates are all terrible." Then she added, "Especially Guan Tisheng. No sense of responsibility as a man, just causing trouble everywhere. I shouldn't have teamed up with them." Then Tong Xiaotong's body suddenly jolted. She blushed, widened her eyes and shouted in her mind, "Not good, this damn feeling. Did my period come early?" Then she shouted, "I'm going to the bathroom," and ran off quickly to check. Guan Tisheng, left behind, was still buried in the screen and only let out an "oh." Then, while reading comments, he frowned and concluded, "Feng Jin refused to save Wen Renju and let him die, yet we're the ones suspected of not being worthy of the league runner-up. HMPH, they must have bought bots. I'll buy bots to attack them too." Suddenly, a phone rang from somewhere, making Guan Tisheng look over and mutter to himself, "Oh, Xiaotong forgot her phone." Then he looked at the screen and asked himself, "The caller ID shows her powerful second uncle." Then without hesitation he picked up Tong Xiaotong's phone, grinning lecherously as he did something. In another city, Zhang Tianchuo sat on a chair in the living room, scrolling through his phone, puzzled. "Strange, why are there suddenly so many posts smearing Zhang Yuan on the virtual ability user forum?" Chu Ren beside him also looked at him, sitting on a nearby chair, and judged while scrolling, "Feels like high-level bot tactics." Hearing this, Zhang Tianchuo wasn't about to back down and decided, "How can that be? I'll buy 10 times the bots to fight back." Hearing this, Chu Ren shouted in panic, startled, and quickly stopped him. "President, calm down. This involves the South China Military District's official stance. Spreading rumors will get you investigated." Hearing this, he quickly snapped back to reality, stared at his phone with a smile, and made another decision. "Right, I'll have my sister help Dad check who posted those and send that rumor-spreading bastard to the Virtual Control Bureau." Then, in a room at the Virtual Control Bureau, a man ran in, panting, and announced to those inside, "Stop investigating the rumors on the Virtual Ability User Forum. Come with me directly to make an arrest." They looked at one of the girls, puzzled, letting out an "ah." Then he burst into joyful laughter and explained, "I just received an anonymous tip with solid evidence." Then he called out the specifics. "The rumor monger is Guan Tisheng, staying at the Four Seasons Green Hotel, room 1206. Hearing this, the group of arresters excitedly cheered, "Let's go, let's go." But a voice at the door dampened their enthusiasm. "Wait, you can't arrest this person." Lin Han beside him, shocked and confused, asked him, "Director Li, why?" The man had just walked in calmly and announced to the group, "Number 49 Ruins just said that Zhang Yuan deliberately provoked Wen Renju into over-attacking and demands we punish him severely." Hearing this, Lin Han exclaimed in surprise, "What?" Then Director Li's expression darkened. He pointed at them, scowling, and explained, "When gods fight, mortals suffer. I'm just a small bureau chief of Guangyuan City. I can't make this call." Then he ordered Lin Han, "You're Director Wang's man. Go report to him." Hearing this, Lin Han scratched his head, stiffened in embarrassment, and thought to himself, "Great, number 8 and number 49 Ruins are fighting. Even Director Wang probably can't handle this." Then he decided in his mind, "Forget it, I'll report it anyway." Then in a room, Director Wang's voice rang out, "So that's the situation." He picked up a cup of tea from the table, then turned to look at Zhang Yuan, who was pouring tea, and said helplessly, "Uncle really has no choice. I have to come directly to you two for instructions." On the other side, the two young men communicated telepathically. Zhang Buyu looked at him and reminded, "Young Master Yuan, remind Senior Yi that the oolong tea has been steeped 3 times. The pot's temperature isn't enough." And he confirmed to him, "It's fine, Wang Padi is from Shandong, he only knows coffee, not tea." Then he picked up the teacup, took a hearty sip, and marveled in his mind, "This tea is really good. Zhang Yuan even knows how to brew tea with hidden fire, a true tea master." Seeing this, Zhang Buyu behind him pointed at him and said, "Young Master Yuan, you're right, Uncle doesn't understand tea." Zhang Yuan looked at him and asked in confusion, "Can you read Uncle's thoughts too?" In response to his question, Zhang Buyu explained, "When we're connected, the thoughts you read with telepathy I can read too." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan, as if learning something new, asked back, "It can do that?" The scene was one of two people whispering, with one who didn't understand tea. But the tea drinker sitting in the middle was quite harmonious. Then, Wang Potting looked at him, frowning with a guilty expression as he explained, "Zhang Yuan, it's not that your uncle doesn't value you, but you're still the nominal reserve number 8, technically under number 4's thumb." Upon hearing this, he also looked at him, and let out a disappointed, "Oh." Then Zhang Yuan cast a cold glance at him, tinged with a hint of contempt, and retorted, "When cooperating with your Void Administration Bureau on a case, is it about rank rather than right and wrong?" At this, Wang Potting awkwardly turned to look at the other two, stammering. Before he could say anything, Zhang Buyu extended his hand with a smile, and asked, "I believe Director Wang isn't that kind of person, right?" Seeing this, he grew even more embarrassed, turning to the two and quickly explaining, No, what your uncle means is, Zhang Yuan, why not just quit the 9 vaults and transfer to the Academy of Sciences?" Hearing this, he looked at him, blinking in confusion. Then Wang Potting continued to explain further. As he explained, he stared at him. "You're already an honorary academician now. In a few years, when Feng Zuzhen retires, you should aim to become the dean," he added. "And the work at the academy is stable, safe and respected. All 9 vaults members are their bodyguards." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan gave him a firm glance and stated his view, "Director Wang, regardless of whether I transfer later or not, this time I'm going to clash head-on with Tong Xianyuan." At this, Wang Potting beside him stammered in confusion and difficulty, asking, "Why do that?" Seeing this, Zhang Yuan didn't hesitate to explain, "If I were the one being targeted today, I could just transfer and ignore him." But he cut himself off, then asked Wang Potting with righteous indignation, "What if the victim today were a weakling?" He then added his judgment. "If I back down, that evil influence will harm the weak. They won't be able to retreat even if they want to." Hearing these words, the other two looked at him, mouths agape, faces full of astonishment. Then he frowned with determination and continued, "The 9 vaults are China's trump card. If it's rotten, what we should do isn't distance ourselves from it." He paused, then stated firmly, "It's to heal it." Seeing this, Wang Potting also looked down at him, closed his eyes and confirmed, "I've learned my lesson." Then he looked straight ahead, spread his legs, propped his hand on his forehead and firmly voiced his thoughts. However, given Tong Xianyuan's relationship with Feng Jing, he couldn't possibly make a big deal out of Wen Renjia's death. Seeing this, he also looked at him, his tone full of surprise and astonishment. Zhang Yuan continued, "There are hidden circumstances in this matter. I hope Director Wang will be wary of someone issuing false orders." In response to his words, he quickly stood up and said firmly as he walked, "Your uncle will return to the Void Administration Bureau to investigate the truth. No matter who's behind it, your uncle will give you an answer." The other two sat in their chairs, still watching his retreating figure. Then Zhang Yuan turned around, propped his hands on his thighs and asked Zhang Buyu, "Young Master Zhang, what about you?" He also looked up at him and asked, Zhang Yuan asked Zhang Buyu, "What do you want for dinner?" Hearing this, his eyes sparkled, and like a happy kitten he placed his hands between his legs, gripping the chair in a cat-like sitting posture, and said excitedly, "Make a few specialties from Shandong." Then he quickly imagined dozens of dishes, listing them: braised prawns, spiced chicken legs, 4-flavor cabbage rolls, mushroom soup, 8 treasure chicken, spicy beans. Then he made the final call, "Anything is fine, everything you make is delicious." Seeing this, Zhang Yuan also tilted his head and looked at him, replying, "Okay." Faced with this odd reaction, Zhang Buyu still didn't sense the danger and asked innocently, "What are you laughing at?" Then he heard the sound and began to scold him. "Next time I ask you to help with poison testing, I'll definitely make you some dark cuisine." Hearing this, Zhang Buyu acted cute again, putting on a pitiful wet kitten look, reaching out to him and whining. "Then forget it." After returning, Wang Potting investigated the matter. He clenched his fist on the table, his face serious as he frowned, and asked, "You said it wasn't number 4 who ordered you to punish Zhang Yuan, but his assistant Lu Guai?" Seeing this, Director Li quickly bowed and added an explanation. "Usually it's him who conveys instructions to us on behalf of number 4. Before he could finish, Wang Potting roared with a furious frown. "Ridiculous!" He sat at the table, with the bureau members standing around reporting, led by Director Li. Then he roared angrily at Director Li again, "Let me ask you, what is the Void Administration Bureau?" "It's a state agency for investigating and apprehending void energy criminals." Then he answered himself. Then Wang Potting slammed the table in anger and roared, "Even if number 4 came in person, he would only share the mission with us." Then he added, "Not make us his dogs." Seeing this, Director Li across from him could only lower his head and tremble as he admitted fault. "It was a moment of confusion on my part. It won't happen again." Then Wang Potting propped himself on the table and ordered the crowd, "Let's go, follow me to arrest Lu Guai." Then he clenched his hands, his face full of determination, frowning and angry as he added instructions. Lin Han, take a team to the Four Seasons Hotel to arrest Guan Tisheng, he added, and bring Tong Xiaotong back for questioning. Upon hearing this, the subordinates behind him also bowed solemnly and accepted the order. Yes? Then the group quickly arrived at the hotel entrance. Wang Potting looked down, his face full of confusion as he confirmed, "Is this Lu Gui? How is he different from the photo?" Seeing this, Director Li also replied with difficulty, "This is an old photo of him." They were holding a photo of a thin man. Then Wang Potting looked at the man in front of him again, and judged with a frown, "Looks like he's been living well, brand name clothes, beautiful women by his side, fat enough to render a few caddies of oil." Immediately after, the bureau members surrounded Lu Gui. Wang Potting shouted and pointed at them, ordering the arrest. Hearing Lu Gui's things drop, the woman beside him was also pushed down, screaming, "Ah!" the group's aggressive momentum. Seeing this, Lu Gui finally reacted, roaring in anger, eyes wide. "Void Administration Bureau," then he questioned the crowd. "Do you have any idea what you're doing, arresting me for no reason? Can you bear the consequences?" By then, his hands were already restrained, lifted to both sides. Then Wang Potting turned and pointed at the woman who had been with him, ordering, "Don't let her escape, catch her." The girl, seeing this, also turned her head, her body still trying to flee. Then his face turned as green as rotten flesh, cold sweat pouring out. And he roared inwardly, "It's over. Everything I have today is thanks to marrying into the family as the husband of Number 4's cousin Tong Xiaoji." Then he confirmed that if the Void Administration Bureau got evidence of his affairs, he was finished. Thinking this, he stopped struggling and after being subdued shouted, "Director Li, let's talk this out. At least let me go first. Name your price." Seeing this, Wang Potting turned to look at him, frowning and sighing. "Tisk, bribing on the spot. Xiao Li, have you ever taken favors from him before?" Seeing this, Director Li began to panic, awkwardly denying repeatedly, "No, at most a few meals, absolutely no monetary transactions." Then Wang Potting frowned, crossed his arms and looked at him seriously. Lu Gui looked at him, panicked, his face even paler, mouth agape as he judged inwardly, "Not good. This must be Wang Potting, the big director of the Void Administration Bureau headquarters." Then he recalled in fear that he had heard his void reading ability could read others' memories. He couldn't hide any secrets from him. Immediately after, he broke free from the two restraining him, fell to his knees and cried out, "I'm willing to confess, please show leniency." Seeing this, Wang Potting still coldly crossed his arms, looked at him firmly and ordered, "Take him away." Immediately after, at the Void Administration Bureau, a report was quickly submitted by Director Li. Holding the report folder, he handed it to Wang Potting while confirming, "Lu Gui has confessed to all his crimes," but he paused. Seeing this, Wang Potting also asked in confusion, "But what?" Then Director Li briefly summarized the report. A total of 6 murders, a pile of bribery charges of various sizes, but none related to number 8. Hearing this, Wang Potting also exclaimed in shock. 6 murders? Then Director Li pointed and explained. They were all women he had affairs with. Afraid his wife would find out, he killed them after he was done. Brutal methods. Seeing this, Wang Potting also looked aside and judged. "The woman beside him was lucky we showed up." Then Director Li continued. "Number 4's cousin, Tong Xiaoji, said she wanted to see Lu Gui. By now she's all ready," but before he could finish he was interrupted. Tong Xiaoji roared in anger, frowning, eyes wide, full of grievance. "Lu Gui, what have I ever done wrong to you that you treat me like this?" One was handcuffed to the interrogation chair, while the other, losing her composure, looked at him and roared in anger. "Back then you said you didn't want to go to the battlefield, and I did everything I could to get you an early discharge. When Xiang Yuan entered the 9 vaults and you wanted to be his assistant, I begged him for a whole month before he agreed. He still stubbornly insisted, trembling with grievance as he said, 'Wife, let me explain.' Then Tong Xiaoji couldn't take it anymore and cursed him, 'You shameless pig, I don't want to hear your explanation anymore.' Immediately after, a furious roar came from inside. 'Go to hell!' Tong Xiaoji rushed over at top speed and delivered a penetrating punch straight to Lu Gui's head, splattering his brains. Seeing this, Director Li and Wang Potting ran in. He paused, stammering as he scolded her. "I said it was a visit. How could you punch his head off?" Wang Potting beside him was also speechless. Tong Xiaoji was full of anger, her hands still clenched, dripping blood, trembling as she said, "I couldn't stand that scumbag for another second." Seeing this, Wang Potting quickly propped his hand on his forehead, looking troubled as he ordered, "Tong Xiaoji has obstructed official duties. Arrest her and let her cool off." Suddenly, someone ran over in a panic, shouting, "Big Director, something terrible has happened. Lin Han is in trouble." He grew more nervous, frowning and eyes wide as he continued. "Tong Xiaotong refused to cooperate with the arrest. Ultra-high temperatures sent our people and Guan Tisheng all to the infirmary." Hearing about another troublesome matter, Wang Potting held his forehead, looked up and cursed. In another mountainous area, Tong Xiangyuan was answering a phone call in an open space. The voice on the other end shouted nervously, "Xiang Yuan, something's happened at home. Come back quickly." He glanced at his teammates who were cooking and calmly retorted, "Grandfather, I'm on a mission abroad. How can I just withdraw?" The others were still focused on cooking, not noticing his call. The voice on the other end also shouted, "With your abilities, can't you just end the mission early?" Seeing this, Tong Xiangyuan also retorted in confusion. What exactly happened? Then the other side couldn't hold back anymore and shouted, telling him the truth. Lu Gui was caught by the Void Administration Bureau for fooling around with women. Xiaoji punched him to death at the bureau, he added. And even Xiaotong was somehow taken into the bureau. Come back and handle this quickly. Hearing this, Tong Xiangyuan's expression was full of shock and panic, unable to believe his ears, with many questions rising in his mind. Then Tong Xiangyuan calmed down and said to the person on the phone, "The Void Administration Bureau wouldn't arrest people without reason. Something must have happened. All right, I'll call the bureau and ask." He stood with his hands on his hips in a desolate forest. Then Tong Xiangyuan, full of worry, dialed a number while gloomily judging inwardly. This morning, Xiaotang's teammate answered the phone for him. "I told him to directly contact Lu Gui to solve the problem. It shouldn't be a problem, right?" His hand kept swiping, and then he called Wang Potting. He was also in his office, sitting at his desk, answering the phone seriously and confirming, "Number 4, no matter what you say today, you can't post bail for them." The young master ordered that uncle must handle things impartially. Hearing this, they quickly ended the call. Tong Xiangyuan swiped through his contacts again, his face full of conflict as he judged, "Sigh. Can I only turn to Zhang Buyu?" Then the phone rang with a prompt when dialing Zhang Buyu's number. "Sorry, the number you dialed is switched off." This made Tong Xiangyuan tremble with anger, holding the phone. Then he threw his phone forcefully onto the grass, disregarding his image as he roared from the mountaintop, "Zhang Buyu, are you settling a personal score and adding fuel to the fire?" Meanwhile, at Zhang Buyu's home, Zhang Yuan was in the kitchen using a spoon to take seasonings for cooking, unable to help complaining inwardly. Letting young Master Zhang go out to buy some soy sauce. Why isn't he back yet? Forget it, I'll make the spicy 8 treasure dish first. After deciding, the pot sizzled with food and spicy soy sauce. Then Zhang Yuan poured the entire bottle of soy sauce into the stew pot. Judging inwardly, spiciness is a kind of pain. Young Master Zhang has a high pain tolerance. I'll use the amount of chili that's usually suitable for Lanlin's taste. The food steamed with a rich aroma, and then, as if sensing something, he glanced outside and judged inwardly, "HMPH, there's unusual movement outside." Immediately after, he said to the shadow at his feet, "Yi Zhen, go out and take a look." It obediently moved and replied, "Yes." Zhang Yuan still held the large ladle, stir-frying the vegetables in the pot, one hand on the pot handle. Outside, Tong Xiangyuan sprinted over, drenched in sweat, hands on his knees, bent over and panting, roaring inwardly, "Phew, I'm exhausted. This place is the address of Zhang Buyu written in the files." Then he looked at the house in front of him, and his expression began to darken as he complained inwardly, "The country where I was on the mission was too poor. There were no passenger planes back to China. Lu Gui is dead, so no one arranged a private jet for me to return, and I couldn't find anyone to help." Tong Xiangyuan's face was pale, and he continued while panting, "In the end, the locals found me a cargo plane, and I flew it back myself. Luckily, Zhang Buyu lives in a neighborhood opposite that's sold to void energy users, with a ready-made helipad." After catching his breath, he looked at the kumquat tree next to Zhang Buyu's house, reached up to wipe the sweat from his face and muttered to himself in confirmation, "I'm so thirsty. Eating 2 of his kumquats shouldn't be a problem, right?" As soon as he decided, he reached out and stood on tiptoe to pick the oranges from the tree. In the distance, Yi Zhen saw this, his mouth wide open in shock. Then he swung his long chain and roared angrily at Tong Xiangyuan, "Bold thief, put down those kumquats, surrender immediately." Tong Xiangyuan had just put a segment of orange into his mouth, and he also turned pale with fright, one hand still holding a half-peeled orange, eyes wide with some panic. But then Tong Xiangyuan quickly regained his composure, one hand gathering source energy, the other still eating the orange to quench his thirst, his mouth stuffed full, glaring at Yi Zhen. After it made its move, he was knocked to the ground, mouth agape, using telepathy to call for help. "Lord Number 8, save me, someone out here has source energy and I'm being suppressed." Hearing how pathetic it sounded, he also confirmed, "Come here." Immediately after, Zhang Yuan ran out from the door of Maze, still holding the large ladle, roaring, "Thief stealing kumquats, don't even think about resisting." He looked at him with a conflicted expression as he ran over. Seeing this, Tong Xiangyuan also panicked, mouth agape, looking at him and roaring inwardly, "Isn't this Zhang Buyu's house? Who is this person?" Then he raised the large ladle like a weapon and swung it at Tong Xiangyuan, roaring, "Take this." Then he kept swinging the ladle and charging at him, while he quickly dodged backward, but was still too slow, getting the orange he was munching on knocked out of his hand. Then on the other side, Yi Zhen also grew larger, frowning as he chased Tong Xiangyuan, Seeing them pressing so hard, he fell to the ground, reaching out to shield himself, panting and roaring, Wait, sorry, is this the Zhang residence? Seeing this, Yi Zhen also roared back, What Zhang residence? This is the Zhang residence. Hearing this, Tong Xiangyuan quickly roared an apology, Sorry, I came to the wrong place. Then Zhang Yuan also chased after him with the large ladle, roaring aggressively, Gu wants to run? Stop right there. Yi Zhen quietly followed behind him, while Tong Xiangyuan kept running and looking back at them in panic. As he liquefied, he glanced back and made a judgment. Damn, this guy can strike 20 times a second, faster than Waguo's #1 swordsman Qi Shu. If I don't run, I'll definitely die. But the droplets of his body began to scatter in all directions. Below, Zhang Yuan reached out and executed the eternal ice technique. A circle quickly formed in his palm and Tong Xianyuan's body immediately started to freeze. Zhang Yuan shouted, Liquefaction? Ha, not a single drop will escape. Inside the ice, Tong Xianyuan's water-formed body was trapped and he gaped in shock. Meanwhile at the supermarket, Zhang Buyu was still resting his chin on his hand, staring at the various bottles of soy sauce on the shelf, weighing his options. Which one should I buy? Light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, thin soy sauce, black bean soy sauce, spicy soy sauce, or chili soy sauce? Which one is the right choice? If I buy them all, I won't be able to finish them and it'll be a waste. He wore a thoughtful expression. Suddenly, the shopkeeper looked outside, stood in surprise behind the counter and exclaimed, Hey, it's snowing in Guangyuan City? Zhang Buyu also looked out upon hearing this, his eyes wide with confusion as he shouted, Ha! His voice was full of bewilderment. Over by Zhang Yuan, after capturing Tong Xianyuan, he looked at the orange tree that had been partially stripped bare by theft and made a judgment in his mind. Tisk, this thief has stripped half of young Master Yang's kumquat tree. He'll definitely be heartbroken when he comes back from buying soy sauce. Then, placing his hand on the trunk, he muttered to himself, I wonder if the authority of life works on plants. A green authority of life materialized in his palm and a massive green energy circle enveloped the tree before him. The fruit began to grow rapidly, prompting Zhang Yuan to cheer inwardly, Not bad, it works. Then he raised his hand to stroke his chin, looked up at the pairs of kumquats on the tree and silently cheered, I went overboard again, my obsessive-compulsive disorder kicked in, he added another judgment. If I start something, I have to finish it. All beings are equal. In the sunlit courtyard, Zhang Yuan focused intently, holding a bag to collect kumquats while picking the fruit with his other hand. In the distance, another block of ice had appeared in the medicinal garden. Meanwhile, Tong Xianyuan had just returned home. Staring at the table, he muttered in panic, his eyes full of question marks. What happened? In the end, he was so stunned that the bag he had just bought slipped from his hand. Below, Yi Zhenru, who had been waiting eagerly, caught it with enthusiasm. Then she ran toward the hand holding the soy sauce bag and shouted excitedly, Lord 8, the soy sauce you ordered has arrived. But Zhang Buyu remained motionless, staring at the several kumquat trees in front of the door, unable to speak. Then he glanced at the bitten kumquats on the ground and made an inference. There are a few half-eaten kumquats on the ground. Someone was eating kumquats at my place but got frozen by young Master Yuan before they could finish, he muttered to himself. This is the physical phenomenon of water freezing. Finally, as if understanding something, Zhang Buyu let out a cold laugh and concluded in his mind. He deliberately had Wang Padi shift the blame onto me. The phone was set to airplane mode. Looks like the fish has taken the bait. Inside the house, Zhang Yuan was carrying dishes while apologizing to Zhang Buyu. Young Master Zhang, I accidentally made your kumquats too big. They looked a bit ridiculous, so I picked all the fruit. Seeing this, he looked at the table full of spicy food and affirmed, Just cook whatever you want. I'll finish it all, not a single bite left. Immediately after, Zhang Buyu picked up a candied hawthorn stick, took a bite, and while chewing, couldn't help but look up with wide eyes and praise him. This is amazing. I've never eaten such a delicious candied hawthorn in my life. Can you add some fruit shaved ice and a midnight snack? He then made a suggestion. Across from him, Zhang Yuan said nothing, sat down on a chair, closed his eyes and calmly responded to Zhang Buyu's words. We'll talk after dinner. You said you wanted to try the specialties of Shangdang, and after thinking it over I decided to let you taste my signature dish 8 treasure spicy sauce. Then Zhang Yuan added, You might find it a bit spicy. If you really can't handle it, don't force yourself. Immediately after, Zhang Buyu dipped his spoon into the dish and scooped up a bit of the spicy food. He then took a big mouthful, chewed with his eyes closed in enjoyment, gesturing with his hand in the air before his entire body began to tremble violently. Finally, his face scrunched up as if about to breathe fire. He clenched his fists tightly, his body stiff, and shouted, Surprisingly satisfying. Then, with a meaningful smile, Zhang Buyu pointed toward the yard outside, closed his eyes and informed him, Young Master Yuan, the person you froze in the yard is probably Tong Xianyuan, number 4 of 9 ruins. Immediately after, the horns and tail of a little demon appeared on his head. Zhang Buyu softly announced, he must have had a long journey, hungry and thirsty, which is why he stole the kumquats. Invite him in for dinner. Seeing this, Zhang Yuan looked at him in surprise and asked back, since when did you become so kind-hearted? Then Zhang Buyu defended his actions. Tang Xiangyuan's crime doesn't warrant death, we should show him some humanitarian concern. As Zhang Buyu had said, he obediently went out to thaw Tang Xiangyuan, then calmly invited him in, walking behind with his eyes closed and a slight smile on his lips. Tang Xiangyuan looked at Zhang Yuan awkwardly and said, brother, I didn't mean to eat your kumquats. I'm really sorry. I'll pay you back. Then they sat down. Hearing this, Zhang Yuan frowned with some displeasure and said, the kumquats belong to young Master Zhang, and so does this dinner. He added, he's reluctantly sharing half with you. Stop talking nonsense and just eat. On the other side, Tang Xiangyuan looked at him with both embarrassment and fear, forcing a smile and nodding. Okay, he held his bowl and dared not argue. Then, while eating and drinking with his head down, Tang Xiangyuan began to scheme in his mind, who is this claw-wielding expert? With Zhang Buyu around, he probably won't hit me again, right? Then he made another judgment. He's so strong. I should quickly recruit him to 9 ruins as my successor, and I can retire. As his chopsticks picked up an ultra-spicy dish from the table, Tang Xiangyuan added in his mind, he's handsome enough to match Tang Tang. The moment he put a piece of spicy meat into his mouth, his face immediately turned pale as if breathing fire, his body stiff and trembling. And he screamed inwardly, what kind of hellish food is this? If I've done something wrong, punish me with the law, not with chili peppers. Across from him, Zhang Buyu rested his chin on his hand, looked at Tang Xiangyuan kindly, nodded and asked, this was originally my dinner. You're not going to disrespect me, are you? Tang Xiangyuan's body trembled from the burning sensation. As he looked over, his mouth was so swollen that tears began to flow and he was left speechless. Then Zhang Yuan conveyed his inner dissatisfaction to Zhang Buyu. Young Master Zhang, if you dislike this dish you can just say so. Seeing this, he also looked at him, his hands placed properly on the table, and explained in his mind, no, I genuinely think it's delicious, but I can't be the only one suffering the consequences. Hearing this, he also made a judgment. Looks like your tolerance for spicy food is pretty good. I can unlock new dishes for you. Upon hearing this, he demanded a matching condition, paired with the authority of life. Hearing this, Zhang Yuan confirmed, that'll cost extra. They exchanged smiles across the table full of food. Then Zhang Buyu extended his hand toward Zhang Yuan and smiled as he introduced him to Tang Xiangyuan. Number 4, let me introduce you. This is a freshman from Chengying Academy named Zhang Yuan. Seeing this, he was also very surprised, then quickly turned his head to look aside and asked with a kind smile, so you're the top scholar from Chengying Academy? Wait, isn't that a school under the East China military region? He remained motionless at the dinner table. Then Zhang Buyu introduced his other identities. He is also a special investigator for the Virtual Bureau and an honorary academician of the Academy of Sciences. Upon hearing this, Tang Xiangyuan was stunned. He stood up, scratching his head in confusion, while Zhang Yuan still sat calmly with his eyes closed, his hands on the table. Then Zhang Buyu's voice rang out again, delivering the final blow. Finally, he is also number 8 of 9 ruins, your colleague. Hearing this, Tang Xiangyuan's face turned pale, and he trembled as he shouted in a low voice, ha 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 ha. Then, with his eyes half open and half closed, Zhang Yuan sighed softly. I never thought my colleague would stoop to stealing kumquats, he added. I clearly saw in your file that you own dozens of mansions, hundreds of luxury cars, and even a diamond mine. Now fully aware of Zhang Yuan's identity, he also stood up, waved his hands in front of him, and awkwardly defended himself. Little 8, don't misunderstand. I really didn't steal them. Those properties of the Tong family aren't mine either. Seeing this, Zhang Buyu lifted his head, removed his hand from under his chin, and announced, Number 4, there are cameras in my yard. They've recorded everything. At this, he became even more embarrassed and let out an ah. Finally, Zhang Yuan tilted his head, looked at him seriously, and asked back, Tang Xiangyuan, do you know where you went wrong? Then he calmly pointed out his mistake. You didn't prioritize correctly. You handed over power to others, and when trouble arose, you distanced yourself from them. Hearing this, Tang Xiangyuan frowned in dissatisfaction and shouted loudly, I didn't know they would. But before he could finish, Zhang Yuan interrupted him. With his eyes closed, he accused his relatives and his irresponsibility. They openly plundered the people's wealth and acted recklessly because of your past negligence, not because of force majeure. He added, whether your relatives are good or bad, their current status all comes from the power of your position as number 4 of 9 ruins. Then, thinking of him and those 3 relatives, he made a judgment. You can delegate power, but you cannot delegate the responsibility that comes with it. You still have to bear it on your shoulders. They committed crimes using your power, so the one who should bear the responsibility is you. Then Zhang Yuan walked over to him, who was trembling at the table, unable to argue, looked at him seriously and affirmed, "Of course your past achievements have already offset the sins of these relatives." On the other side, Zhang Buyu listened quietly to their conversation. Zhang Yuan added, "It won't be enough to cripple you, but you must understand that your power comes not from your achievements, but from your combat strength." Then Zhang Yuan's expression turned darker and colder, and he sneered as he made a judgment. "The power of 9 ruins all stems from the rule of the strong being respected, a tribute to void ability users." Then, with a grim expression, he threatened, "Under this rule, my strength surpasses yours. I can kill you directly without any reason and face no consequences." At some point, Zhang Yuan had already circled behind Tong Xiangyuan and directly placed his hand on his shoulder, startling him. Then he leaned in and asked, "Are you afraid?" Faced with this action, Tong Xiangyuan was somewhat startled and didn't react in time. Then, trembling, he stared back and answered, "Yes." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan seemed to understand his feelings, his eyes calm and emotionless as he reminded him, "When you are at the bottom, you will naturally be afraid. Those at the bottom unconditionally obey those at the top. That's called servility." He imagined a spider web with a fly stuck in it, flapping its wings futilely, while a spider slowly approached, ready to devour it, and made a judgment. "But when you reach the top, you will forget this fear." Then Zhang Yuan fired a shot with an air bullet. Then, spinning it with his finger, he calmly walked away from Tong Xiangyuan and continued to remind him, "Servility has 2 sides. Those at the top oppressing those at the bottom is also servility. The root of servility is blind worship of the strong. What you truly fear is not someone stronger than you, but the worship of strength." Zhang Yuan added, "The law of nature is the survival of the fittest, but what makes humans human is that they use intelligent methods to prevent humans from slaughtering each other based on strength." With that, Zhang Yuan turned and walked somewhere. Seeing this, Tong Xiangyuan quietly observed him. Then he reached out, picked up a small knife and continued. "In today's Huaguo, 9 ruins gives power to the strong," he interrupted. Then quickly returned to Tong Xiangyuan and placed the knife against his neck. "This is a compromise for survival. If you want to be a human, use this power cautiously." Seeing this, he also nervously tilted his neck back, looking at the approaching knife, and swallowed his saliva. Zhang Yuan continued to remind him, "On the other hand, if you insist on enforcing the rule of the survival of the fittest among humans, then don't blame me for expelling you." Then Zhang Buyu, who was nearby, also approached them, placed his chopsticks on the dish in front of him, and said with a calm smile, "You can't eat humans, but you can eat braised prawns." Behind him, Zhang Yuan still held the small knife against his neck, but Tong Xiangyuan had calmed down and lowered his head. Then one person handed him chopsticks with a prawn clamped between them, while the other held a knife to his neck. Finally, Zhang Buyu reminded Tong Xiangyuan to eat it, then be a good person. Tong Xiangyuan's face turned pale under this terrifying threat. Then tears fell from his eyes and Tong Xiangyuan began to cry. "Wu," as if understanding the truth, he sobbed with his head down. "Wu, it smells so good," he ate while crying pitifully, leaving the other 2 speechless. Zhang Buyu kept giving him prawns. Elsewhere, Tong Xinyue sat cross-legged while answering a phone call. Her expression wrinkled, and she calmly confirmed, "Lu Gui deserves to die 1,000 deaths. Killing him was only right. Those people from the Virtual Bureau want to punish me clearly without distinguishing right from wrong." Then a voice of confirmation came from the other end of the line, comforting her. "Don't worry, Xiangyuan has returned. Dealing with them will only take a few minutes." Seeing this, someone from the Yanyi Bureau reminded her, "Who allowed you to make a phone call in the detention area?" But she ignored them and cheered happily, "Xiangyuan, you're here." Then Lin Han, who was beside her, stammered awkwardly, "She is number 4's cousin. We dare not delay." Seeing this, Wang Padi quickly frowned and shouted angrily, "Ridiculous. This is the Virtual Bureau." Then he questioned him, "You represent the law, order, and the people of Huaguo. If the people refuse to bow their heads, you must be firm, not cowardly." Then, without hesitation, he looked directly at his cousin and confirmed, "Tong Xinyue disrupted the Virtual Bureau's law enforcement. Punish her as she deserves." Then Tong Xiangyuan added, "If there have been similar behaviors before, deal with them all together." Hearing this, Tong Xinyue's face turned pale. She looked up at him and stammered in panic, asking back, "What, Xiangyuan, I'm your cousin. How can you treat me like this?" Then he replied firmly, "The law shows no mercy. It's the same for everyone." Immediately after, without hesitation, he cupped his hands and instructed Director Li, "Investigate the entire Tong family. Don't give them any special treatment." Standing beside him, he also confirmed solemnly, "Yes." Then Tong Xiangyuan added, "Not just the Tong family. In the future, treat those with connections the same way." Then, with a serious and determined expression, he shouted, "From now on, I, Tong Xiangyuan, will be your strength for impartial law enforcement." Then, in the interrogation room, Zhang Yuan and Zhang Buyu sat on one side, accompanied by 2 people from the Virtual Bureau. In front of them sat Tong Xiaotong, her head bowed and full of regret as she explained, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. At that time I was really confused and not thinking clearly when I used my ability to attack someone." She continued to plead, "Please let me go." Faced with these words, Zhang Yuan remained unmoved. He calmly confirmed, "We already have a general idea. Now please explain in detail why Guan Tisheng answered the phone for you." Upon hearing this, she sat on the chair and asked back in confusion, "Guan Tisheng answered the phone for me. When? I don't know anything about it." Beside her, Zhang Buyu watched her with his arms crossed while Zhang Yuan continued to ask, "This morning your second uncle called you, and Guan Tisheng answered. What happened then?" Hearing this, she seemed to understand something and quickly replied awkwardly, "I was in the restroom at the time and didn't bring my phone." Then she cursed inwardly, "Damn it. If he keeps asking me why, I'll have to tell them I came to the capital right in front of them. That's too embarrassing. I'll just say I had an upset stomach." On the other side, Zhang Buyu, hearing her thoughts, put on a serious expression and asked him, "Young Master Yuan, if you find it a bit awkward to hear her thoughts, you can turn it off." The person beside him looked at Dong Xiaotong with a serious expression and confirmed, "I'm fine. If you mind, you can turn off the rational notification." Then Zhang Buyu spoke up and gave his judgment. "As long as we hold back our laughter, we'll be fine." Seeing this, he let it go and replied, "Then suit yourself." On the other side, Zhang Yuan crossed his arms and continued the interrogation. "Let's set that aside for now. Today you resisted and attacked the virtual bureau staff. I suspect you were influenced by Guan Tisheng's temptation. Are you aware of that?" Hearing this, Dong Xiaotong looked at him honestly and answered, "Not really sure, since the interference effect varies from person to person. The reason we can team up together is largely because our mental resistance is strong, making us less susceptible to interference." Zhang Buyu listened calmly beside him. Seeing this, Zhang Buyu muttered something darkly in his mind. "Young Master Yuan, I think there's something wrong here." Hearing this, he glanced at him in confusion. "Oh," he said, needing an explanation. Seeing this, Zhang Buyu spoke up in his subconscious, "The Guan family and the Zhang family have been close for generations, so I have some understanding of the interference ability." Hearing this, he urged, "Go into detail." Zhang Buyu then explained unhurriedly, "This interference ability, literally, its effect is to throw a person's thoughts into chaos." Zhang Buyu imagined a scene where a person surrounded by interference had a shadow behind them, and continued, "Once a person's thoughts are disrupted, the emotions suppressed by reason are inadvertently released. After all, the emotions people usually can't resolve are mostly negative ones." Then, Zhang Buyu crossed his arms, leaned back in his chair, furrowed his brows and kept explaining, "No matter the ability, the related memories don't disappear after the effect ends. The chaos in thoughts and memories caused by interference will naturally continue to affect a person's thinking. That's precisely why Tong Xiangyuan firmly believes interference is an extremely sinful ability. He is very dissatisfied with the Guan family's interference." Finally, Zhang Buyu couldn't help but sigh. "It's a pity that Tong Xiangyuan still prioritizes protecting himself. I've deliberately created opportunities several times to suppress the Guan family, but he just went through the motions." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan lowered his head without responding, lost in thought. Then Zhang Buyu squinted and questioned him. "Dong Xiaotong being able to team up with Guan Tisheng, that doesn't add up." The two walked out of the interrogation room. Zhang Yuan, with his hands in his pockets, walked down the corridor and gave his judgment. "Dong Xiaotong probably doesn't know much more. It's best to go to the hospital and ask Guan Tisheng." Zhang Buyu beside him agreed. "Yeah." Suddenly, Zhang Yuan stopped. Then, as if remembering something, he turned to Zhang Buyu walking behind him and confirmed, "Young Master Zhang, I've thought it over carefully. There are some strange inconsistencies in Guan Tisheng's matches." He looked up at him, listening intently. Zhang Yuan recalled Guan Tisheng's matches and further judged. "In their match against Hanlin Academy, I sent off a man who got a red card for a lethal attack on Guan Tisheng. Thinking back now, that person might not have intended to kill, but perhaps he was influenced by the interference. The opponent swung his sword, but he dodged." Then Zhang Yuan thought of Lu Bo's team's match and further judged. In their match against Lu Bo's team, the referee directly interrupted Su Weiniang and Lu Bo's tactical discussion and shouted loudly. That might also have been due to interference. That Guan Tisheng, upon seeing him, panicked and shouted, "Why did Zhang Yuan suddenly show up?" Back to reality. Zhang Yuan narrowed his eyes and said more firmly, "Even Wen Renjia's death during my fight with him was likely the same." Zhang Buyu beside him closed his eyes to steady himself and gave his serious decision. "Even if Wen Renju were alive today, when all the truth is revealed, I would still abandon him." Then he added darkly, "Weapons themselves have no good or evil, only advantages and disadvantages. Wen Renju was already this crazy after being hit by interference, his thinking clearly twisted to the extreme. The price he paid to correct his mistakes has already outweighed the value he could create for the military district. Then Zhang Yuan walked forward, turned back and calmly pointed out to him, "But your rational notification clearly says you want to save him." Zhang Buyu behind him lowered his head and sighed. Then he got into the car, and Zhang Buyu reminded him in a coaxing tone, "You're the commander, you can't think that way, so just pretend you didn't notice." Then Zhang Buyu sat in the driver's seat, looked out the car door and urged Zhang Yuan, "Get in, we'll deal with everything after we've sorted things out." He also looked into the car and confirmed, "Okay." Then the two drove to the hospital, and at the ward door someone came out to greet them. "Lao Ba, young marshal, you're here." Then he asked the people inside, "Are all the people burned by Dong Xiaotang's high temperature here?" Hearing this, they confirmed to him, "The virtual bureau staff are all here. Guan Tisheng is next door." Seeing this, Zhang Yuan walked toward the virtual bureau staff. He reached out his hand to them and used the authority of life. Immediately, a brilliant light like a small universe appeared on the man's body. Then the man sat up straight and asked in confusion, "I'm healed." Then Zhang Yuan turned and left. Another virtual bureau staff member beside him looked at him joyfully and cheered, "Lao Ba healed us. He's actually a healing type." Seeing this, the healed man lying on the bed also let out a confused "ha." Then he walked to the next room. Guan Tisheng sat up from the bed, looked at his own hand and asked himself in confusion, "How did I suddenly get healed? Who healed me?" Beside him, he and Zhang Buyu looked at him and said, "All right." Then he interrupted him. Next, he pointed at the other calmly and confirmed, "List all your crimes one by one, Guan Tisheng." Zhang Buyu behind him was stunned, impressed by his coolness. Then the other quickly jumped off the bed, rushed toward him eagerly and shouted, "Zhang Yuan, why are you here? Wait, young marshal." Zhang Yuan had just walked in, hands in his pockets, and said arrogantly, "I don't like nonsense, you'd better not test my patience." Zhang Buyu behind him also walked in. Then both of them squinted, looking at him with disgust and contempt. Zhang Buyu behind him used sealing interference and then reported to Zhang Yuan, above in his subconscious, "Guan Tisheng is bold enough to abuse interference, so we need to seal it first." Seeing this, he confidently questioned him, "Dong Xiaotong using high temperature in a panic, that was caused by your interference, right?" The two looked at him identically, hands in their pockets, while the guy stubbornly shouted back, "You're talking nonsense, slandering me." But his heart had already betrayed him. The virtual bureau people came, and I used interference to provoke Dong Xiaotong into fighting them, but I ended up getting caught in the crossfire. The guy's face darkened, he bit his lip nervously, frowned, and further judged, "I want to plead innocence, but it seems I can't." Zhang Yuan came in and immediately asked about interference. Did he find out about my scheming against Wen Renju? Then he asked himself in confusion in his thoughts. On the other side, the two heard this and calmly questioned him, "Tell us, how did you become teammates with Dong Xiaotong and Wen Renju?" Seeing this, Guan Tisheng still tried to defend himself. "We met by chance at the same school and formed a team. What else could it be?" In his heart, he recalled Wen Renju arrogantly controlling sand, hands on his hips, standing proudly amid a crowd's cheers, thinking, "That fool Wen Renju never studied hard. He relied entirely on talent, was praised to the skies by a bunch of people, and pretended to be a hard-working ascetic. Absorbing the Void Star Sand Spirit Snake King made him think he was invincible." Then he confirmed meanly, "I just used a little interference to show his true colors, turning him into a fool who only knows how to kill." Then he recalled Wen Renjia's state when creating a sandstorm, his face dark, desperately unleashing techniques. Then Guan Tisheng judged himself in his heart. "I was ostracized and shunned because of interference, he shouldn't have it easy either. The teacher once taught not to abuse overly strong abilities. He brought death upon himself." Then he recalled Dong Xiaotong looking at him with contempt and continued cursing in his heart. "And that damned Dong Xiaotong, relying on absorbing space to cheat and directly ascend under my interference. He obediently followed into my team and worked like a slave for me." Then he proudly shouted in his heart, "Only interference is the #1 ability in the world. Those fools in the military district don't understand anything." Seeing Zhang Yuan persistently questioning him like this, he frowned angrily, pointed at him, and shouted affirmatively, "Young marshal, I'm innocent. I didn't do anything." Then he cursed and accused him, "Zhang Yuan is despicable and shameless. He killed Wen Renju and wants to frame me. Be careful not to be fooled by him." Seeing this, Zhang Yuan looked at him with disdain and didn't answer. Then his face darkened with anger. He glared, gritted his teeth, and thought in his heart, "Although my dad told me not to use interference on the Zhang family, at this point if I don't, I'll really die." Then his body emitted a technique and he shouted confidently, "Taste my interference, young marshal." Seeing this, Zhang Buyu stepped forward to block in front of him. Guan Tisheng, seeing this, panicked and stepped back, shouting in confusion in his heart, Why can't I use it? What's going on?" And he answered himself in his heart where the other couldn't hear, sealed thanks. On the other side, Zhang Yuan glanced at him, exceptionally calm, while Guan Tisheng, with a hint of contempt, tested, "Young Master Zhang, he wants to interfere with you, and you can still stay calm?" Then Zhang Buyu sighed and gave his thought, "More sadness than anger. Only after sadness comes anger." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan asked in confusion what he was sad about. Then Zhang Buyu confirmed, "Don't ask, it's over." Finally, he walked toward him calmly, hands in his pockets, and probed, "Guan Tisheng, you're so skilled at using interference, you must have harmed a lot of people, right?" Seeing him approach, the guy lost his composure, collapsed to the ground, and stammered a denial. I haven't." Then Zhang Buyu reminded him, "If you hadn't used interference on me, I could have spared you for the Guan family's sake and only cut you down." Then Zhang Buyu bent down, grabbed the back of his neck, making Guan Tisheng wince in pain and close his eyes tightly. Then he looked at him with a contemptuous and disgusted gaze and questioned, "Do you really understand why interference has a bad reputation but hasn't been banned and instead has brought the Guan family wealth and honor?" Seeing his expression like a vengeful ghost, the guy's face tensed up in fear and he looked up at him. Finally, Zhang Buyu looked at him calmly, squinted and coldly reminded him, "Interference is a sharp weapon, but it can only kill." Then he added, "The Guan family has its current status because they willingly became the Zhang family's blade, vowing to use it to slay those beasts in human skin." Then Zhang Buyu continued, "Not using interference on the Zhang family is the bottom line the Zhang family set for the Guan family. Now that you've crossed that line on behalf of the Guan family, the entire Guan family is doomed." Then he let go, making the guy collapse to the ground in even greater panic, his face pale, looking up at him in terror, his mouth wide open. Then the guy was taken to the interrogation room and sat opposite Wang Potting. He took out a piece of paper, looked at the other across from him, and reminded him, "Guan Tisheng, same old rules. You know you have to write a confession first, then the void projection." The guy was trembling all over, crying miserably, and stammered, I can't write it." Seeing this, Wang Potting looked at him with contempt and questioned, "You don't know how many crimes you've committed?" Hearing this, the guy trembled and sobbed. Finally, with no other choice, he reached out his hand and golden energy quickly spread into the air. That was the void projection. Then Wang Potting confirmed to him, "Fine, if you won't write, then give up resistance. Accept the void projection obediently." Seeing him, the guy's body began to emit golden light, and he sat in the interrogation chair, head down, sobbing uncontrollably. Then electric currents and golden energy surrounded Wang Potting, swirling around his feet, and he judged in confusion in his thoughts. HMPH, from the moment he absorbed interference, he used it on ordinary people for no reason, observing the changes in the affected. Then he read Guan Tisheng's memories. He was holding a stack of money. Then the guy left the store carrying a box, not forgetting to glance at the motionless clerk lying on the floor. Seeing this, Wang Potting understood and confirmed in his thoughts. He first interfered with the convenience store clerk to steal money, then killed the store manager with a knife. Then came another memory. He hit and killed a girl on the road while riding a bike, and she lay on the ground covered in blood. Wang Potting understood on his own and confirmed the crime. The driver was interfered with by him, and to claim a huge insurance payout, he drove into and killed his wife, faking a car accident scene. Seeing this memory, his expression darkened, his face turned black, and he trembled with rage, shouting in his heart, "Besides that, there are countless cases, so many that even he can't count them. No wonder he can't even write a confession." Finally, he couldn't hold back anymore, slammed his fist on the table and lost control, cursing, "Beast, a beast in human skin." Then he turned to look at the group of virtual bureau staff and reported, "Interference is indeed extremely dangerous." Then he added, "Do as the young marshal says, immediately arrest all members of the Guan family tonight." On the way home, Zhang Buyu reached up to scratch his head, covered his mouth with the other hand to yawn, and then complained, "We've been at it all night, it's already 4 a.m. Then he walked and asked Zhang Yuan beside him, "By the way, is your water pipe frozen by my eternal ice domain?" Then he added, "Even the bathroom is unusable." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan walked side by side, hands in his pockets, looked at him, and confirmed, "I reported it to Tong Xiangyuan to have someone handle it. It won't be back to normal until at least tomorrow evening." Seeing this, Zhang Buyu yawned and judged, "Oh, then you can sleep in the office tonight." Then the two reached the car, and Zhang Yuan couldn't help but ask him, "Are you sure it's okay to drive when you're this tired?" Seeing this, Zhang Buyu groggily scratched his head, gripped the steering wheel, and confirmed, "My car has autonomous driving, as long as I don't fall asleep while sitting in it." Seeing this, Zhang Yuan gave his judgment, "I think you'll fall asleep." Seeing this, he affirmed, "Not if we keep talking." The two stood on opposite sides of the car, talking back and forth. Then Zhang Buyu quickly sat in the driver's seat and flipped a switch on the console. The car immediately sounded the prompt, "Autonomous driving mode activated." Then he started chatting casually. "After all this running around, we were all fooled by that beast Guan Tisheng." Zhang Yuan, sitting in the passenger seat, calmly leaned back, closed his eyes to rest, and murmured in confirmation, "Yeah, who would have thought? Guan Tisheng used interference to brainwash Wen Renju." Then he added, "Turning a normal person into a madman, who eventually died from the backlash of his own ability." Then he added, "Even after Wen Renjia's death, he spread rumors to blow things up, showing how despicably he eavesdropped on Dong Xiaotang's phone calls. Zhang Yuan further judged. To maintain his innocent and pure reputation, he even dared to secretly answer Dong Xiaotang's calls to harass Tong Xiangyuan. Then he connected the whole thing. Tong Xiangyuan, without understanding the situation, dared to give Lu Gui's assistant's phone number to Guan Tisheng, making the virtual bureau almost think it was internal strife in 49 Void and number 8, with Tong Xiangyuan acting as the bridge for Lu Gui and Guan Tisheng to meet. Then Zhang Yuan gave his judgment. Tong Xiangyuan chose to turn a blind eye when faced with responsibility, becoming an accomplice to countless opportunists. Then Zhang Yuan added, "The worst part is that Tong Xiaotong was affected by Guan Tisheng's ability, and almost made a huge mistake." Guan Tisheng gripped Tong Xiaotong tightly, revealing a lecherous smile as he manipulated her with his power, while she wore a stubborn and determined expression. Zhang Yuan continued, "If her willpower hadn't been relatively strong, she would have ended up like Wen Renju." In the car, Zhang Buyu, sitting in the driver's seat, turned to him and asked, "What are you going to do with these people?" He sat calmly in the passenger seat, eyes closed, and replied, "Let Wang Padi handle the sentencing, and we'll fill in the details later. Tong Xiaotang's interference is essentially the same as a mental patient's, so she still needs mandatory treatment." The two sat in the car as it drove home automatically, but then Zhang Yuan raised his hand to his chin, squinting as he judged, killing Guan Tisheng outright would be too easy for him. It's better to send him to the research institute as experimental material. Let him die after using up the remaining heat. He then added, "As for the rest of the Guan family, the grudges between you aristocratic families are none of my business." Beside him, Zhang Buyu raised his hand to cover a yawn, leaning back in the driver's seat to confirm, "Is that so?" Hearing this, Zhang Yuan looked at him in surprise and asked back, "What's wrong? Do you want me to take action against the Guan family?" At this, Zhang Buyu softly denied it, saying, "Not really, since I'm still conflicted myself." Seeing this, Zhang Yuan asked Zhang Buyu in return, "Didn't you just say you wouldn't let the Guan family off?" Then Zhang Buyu raised his hand to cover his face, closed his eyes to compose himself, and explained to Zhang Yuan, "The Guan family has done countless dirty and thankless jobs for the Zhang family over the years. I couldn't have become the commander without their help. Even when they occasionally overstep, I turn a blind eye and suppress it." Then Zhang Buyu recalled the process of rising to his current position and said, "I made a name for myself at 17, became commander at 20, and suppressed hundreds of cave openings. Behind this glorious image lies countless filth and blood." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan couldn't help but ask him curiously, "Then why have you never thought of resigning and going back to your hometown for a clean slate?" At this, Zhang Buyu spoke without hesitation, "But when I see the pharmacy in the early morning, the subway during rush hour, the employee lunch at 2 p.m., and the taxis late at night," he added, "when I see my compatriots struggling to survive, being drained of their surplus value without realizing it, I can't help but think Zhang Buyu," as their car sped on under the night sky. Then recalling that cute bear, he spoke darkly and firmly, "The aliens raised in the Fang realm can eat the food produced by farmers without doing any work. The stable environment created by workers and cave energy users protects them from other external enemies." Zhang Buyu added, "If there were another immunity token like the cute bear preventing them from being killed for their crystals," then he questioned doubtfully, "how many people would want to become a cute bear and live in this ideal place?" At this, Zhang Buyu couldn't help but turn to him and say, "The irony is that there are countless people in this world who are cute bears in human skin." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan looked calmly ahead and expressed his view. "Humans are advanced animals, inherently possessing animal instincts," he then added. "Only by overcoming these instincts can humans truly be considered human." Hearing this, Zhang Buyu retorted, "But there are also people in the world who have learned physical and mental interference, making others abandon reason and become beasts driven by instinct." Then, sitting in the passenger seat, Zhang Yuan crossed his arms and looked out the window, asking back, "In essence, interference is a low-tier version of the cute bear." He then confirmed to himself, "They are both effective tools for forcing others to behave badly, but the cute bear's packaging is more refined and harder to detect." Seeing this, Zhang Buyu lowered his hand from his face, looked ahead with flushed cheeks and confirmed, "So I'm afraid of the cute bear." Then he added, "I'm afraid it might turn me into something inhumane, and I'm afraid you might be seduced by its power." Then he added, "Turning into something not human." Suddenly, Zhang Yuan turned into a cat and lipped toward him, making Zhang Buyu look over, his face red and mouth wide open as he shouted, "Ah!" Then on his shoulder he whispered a reminder, "Face your inner fear." Seeing this, Zhang Buyu, sweating and in pain, shouted, "Ah! Don't disturb me while I'm driving." Then he reminded, "It's green, it's already green." The car quickly started. Hearing his excuse, Zhang Yuan reminded him, "It's in autopilot mode now." But Zhang Buyu still insisted, "Driving while playing with a cat is dangerous. Stay away." Then he argued to him, Animality is part of being human, we need to learn to reconcile with ourselves. Hearing this, Zhang Buyu stubbornly retorted, "No." Finally, Zhang Yuan stopped teasing Zhang Buyu and asked softly and seriously, "Have you figured out how to handle the Guan family?" At this, Zhang Yuan fell into thought and asked him back, "If the cute bear can replace interference, do you want to replace them?" Hearing this, Zhang Yuan in cat form confirmed with determination, "Good, I'll show you what a physical forbidden technique, strategic plunder, is right away." The next morning, after waking up from the coffin in Zhang Buyu's office and opening the lid, he walked to his bed, which doubled as a sofa, put his hands in his pockets and judged, "It's 6 a.m. I'm a dead man now. I can go without eating or sleeping, but this guy can't." Then he hesitated inwardly, asking himself, "Should I wake him up for work?" Zhang Buyu was still sleeping soundly, holding his phone and covered with a coat, oblivious to the world. Then the phone rang with an incoming call, showing the contact name Zhang Ling. Seeing this, Zhang Yuan bent down to look and thought to himself, "Zhang Ling seems to be Zhang Buyu's father, the former commander of South China." Then he muttered to himself, "Is it my turn to answer someone else's call now?" Zhang Buyu's phone kept ringing, and finally he picked it up and made a decision, "Answer." Then he put it to his ear and said, "Hello, old Commander Zhang, this is 89 Cave." He then informed the other party, "Little Commander Zhang is sleeping now. If there's an urgent matter, I can help wake him up." Hearing this, Zhang Ling on the other end glanced at his phone, his face darkening a few shades, and asked him, "Calling me old Commander Zhang, it seems little 8 is ready to handle the Guan family matter." Zhang Yuan on the phone confirmed, "Yes, old Commander Zhang won't stop me, will you?" He replied, "Of course not." On this end, Zhang Ling softly instructed him, "Your uncle's bone dragon loves to sleep. Let him sleep until you're done with the Guan family." He looked at Zhang Buyu, who was sleeping like a dead man on the bed, and asked the old Commander Zhang on the phone, "Are you using me as a knife?" Seeing this, he frowned and asked coldly, "Didn't you want to be the knife yourself?" On this end of the phone he said, "You sure know how to joke." Then he couldn't help but remind him, "About the 2 kids, you're still 2 years from turning 18. Just don't let my son be convicted of child molestation. Goodbye." Then he hung up. He took the phone away from his ear, slowly lowered it, squinted, and muttered in confusion, "Old Commander Zhang actually said my age. He knows I'm Zhang Yuan." Then he realized the main issue in that sentence. Wait, what does being convicted of child molestation mean? Can watching cartoons in an infinite dream get you convicted of child molestation? Then Zhang Yuan relaxed and said, "Forget it, I'll decide on my own." He then turned into a cat, bypassed the guy pretending to be dead and sleeping, and walked step by step toward the door, confirming, "His dad said to let him sleep a bit longer, so I'll reluctantly take over his shift for a day." At the military district, a group of young people asked Lin Dongliang, "Is Zhang Buyu coming today?" He stiffly shouted at him, "Today is review day. The commander has to come whether he wants to or not." Seeing this, Yan Tuo couldn't help but turn and ask him, "Why are you so angry so early in the morning?" Then he became the target of that anger. Lin Dongliang shouted at him, "You don't know what he did yesterday. In just 24 hours from morning to night, he caught the Guan and Tong families and threw them into the Cave Management Bureau without releasing them. Anyone with connections also got locked up." A person with a green mushroom head behind him closed his eyes and judged, "So we put him in the commander's seat," then added, "Now that his wings are hard, he catches us on a whim and won't even give us crystals." Seeing this, Yan Tuo looked at them in surprise. Then he looked at the crowd behind and raised his hand to inform them, "Review starts at 9. It's 8 now." The crowd started to stir. In the military district, the thoughts of the people kept echoing. "We'll sit in front of the training ground later for a silent protest. 100-year dynasty, 1,000-year aristocratic family. If he dares to disrespect us, we'll pull him down." Zhang Buyu even dealt with the Tong family. "GUC will definitely join us in resisting him. If Zhang Buyu is too tough, I'll take my whole squad and jump to another military district. The Zhang family alone can't stand against all of us aristocratic families. This time Zhang Buyu has to compromise with us." They were deeply convinced of their judgment. Meanwhile, Zhang Yuan, filling in for Zhang Buyu, sat in the office listening to the secretary's report. "Young Marshal, what should we do? If this matter isn't handled well, it will definitely damage your authority." Seeing this, the subordinates below also shouted, "These people are real bastards." One couldn't help but shout again, "You fought for so many cave crystals and resources for them, and they dare to threaten you in return." He sat in his chair looking determined and confirmed, "It's fine. If they want to jump ship, no other military district will dare take them." Then he added, "In a one-on-one fight, they can't beat me. If they don't want a real deadlock, they'll have to compromise with me." Then he condensed a piece of icy cold ice and murmured, "These cute bears, sucking the blood and sweat of the working people, only want to profit for themselves and their families." Then Zhang Yuan judged, "Today I need to straighten them out and make them reflect on who the true masters of Huasha are." Outside, a bird was struck by his ice and began to fall. dark clouds gathered outside and the bird happened to fall stiffly in front of the green mushroom head, making him shout in shock, "What's that?" Others in the military district also pointed at the sky and asked in confusion, "Why did it suddenly get dark?" Others then looked up. And in the sky, spiky ice balls kept falling, hitting several people in the military district, scaring them into shouting, "Hail, help, this hail is bigger than a basketball, this is definitely not natural." They were hit, bleeding and falling. Seeing this, the green mushroom head panicked and shouted to confirm, "The young marshal has called in reinforcements to deal with us. Defense types, go!" Then one person frantically created a shield and called out, "Only rap can counter a basketball. Brothers, sing together." The others quickly followed and sang, "Hey, boom kalaka, hey kalaka, hey kalaka, hey kalaka." Sharp snowflakes and stiff ice balls kept coming. Several defense and healing types worked non-stop. Their singing continued, "Bang kalaka, bang kalaka." Seeing this, one person couldn't help but shout to stabilize the situation, "Who's singing? Can you stop causing trouble?" On the other side, a defense type struggling to maintain the shield was already exhausted and shouted, "Captain, the brothers can't hold on, retreat." The captain, standing in the shield, angrily shouted, "Retreating after just 5 minutes means bowing to Zhang Buyu, doesn't it?" Above them, sharp snowflakes and rock-hard ice balls kept falling. One person couldn't help but curse, "Damn it, stop using fire abilities." The ice balls melt into water, freeze on the ground. Are we trying to ice skate? Above, the secretary looked at the dense clouds below and asked in confusion, "Young Marshal, when did you absorb such a powerful ice ability?" He sat calmly in his chair, pulling out his other identity to explain, "I'm Xuanming's physical collaborator." Seeing this, she asked in confusion, "Is there a physical collaborator?" Then he lowered his head and softly affirmed, "All cave energy has a physical essence." Below, the protective shield gradually shattered under his fierce attack. The crowd below began to scatter, shouting, "I can't hold on anymore, goodbye. Whoever wants to protest, go ahead." Then another quickly reminded, "Giving in to Zhang Buyu now will bring more trouble later." Then another collapsed to the ground and confirmed, "I give up. The young marshal won't really let us die." They were beaten into a mess. Mu Heng tried hard to heal the wounded with her life authority and reminded everyone, "Ice balls have no eyes. Giving up really means death. Stop struggling and surrender quickly." Seeing this, a few cowards quickly ran in and shouted, "Whoever wants to die can hold on. I'm going to surrender to the young marshal, goodbye." That includes Chief Shang. Seeing this, Lin Dongliang couldn't help but sigh darkly. Retreat, retreat, we're just outmatched." He reluctantly yielded. The mushroom head standing in the crowd also judged, "The news must have leaked. Zhang Buyu called in reinforcements first. How despicable." Another beside him spread his hands and confirmed, "The young marshal's fighting style has always been unorthodox. He'll do anything to win. He hasn't failed in 8 years. The healing type quickly stabilized their energy to treat the wounded on the ground. Suddenly he walked down from above, stood before them and taunted, "I thought you were so tough because you had strength, but you couldn't even last half an hour." Seeing this, everyone looked at him. Finally, their inner thoughts kept spilling out. "The young marshal's Mandarin sounds especially standard today. Is it my imagination?" Then another asked himself inwardly, "It's so strange. The young marshal's accent today isn't Donggua Zhu." Then he questioned them, filled with dissatisfaction. "Zhang Xiao's Mandarin is clearly standard. Don't talk nonsense, forget it. I'll use the cute bear to fix it later." Their messy thoughts, even small details like accents can be ignored. So he did it, quickly reaching out to them and asking seriously, "I really don't understand. What are you resisting by getting hit by ice balls here?" Then he answered himself, "Isn't it because of the Guan family?" Seeing this, the mushroom head quickly cried with snot and tears, complaining, "We've fought and bled for you, and in the end you deal with us. Doesn't your conscience hurt?" Then another questioned Zhang Yuan, "Without us, where would your achievements be today?" Seeing this, he immediately used super cute bear on them, his body radiating a dazzling positive energy light, and reminded them, "When did you ever fight for me? You clearly wanted to support a leader to benefit your families, and I just happened to meet that requirement." Under this skill, the 3 ringleaders were stunned, staring wide-eyed and shouting inwardly as they looked at him. "What he says seems to make some sense. Has the young marshal awakened some strange thing? Why do I suddenly feel that my resistance just now was meaningless?" Seeing this, he had just stepped forward when their group lowered their heads solemnly and explained with helplessness, "Today your protests to me are merely about upholding the rules of human relationships among the noble families," he said. Then added, "However, all rules without the support of power are just scraps of paper ready to be torn apart at any time. You can oppose me freely, and I can retaliate freely. In the end, whoever has the bigger fist holds the final say." Upon hearing this, the crowd fell silent, staring at him in stunned amazement. Then, as Zhang Yuan stepped onto the platform, he grinned smugly and asked the crowd below, "I used the power granted by the noble families to gain strength, but instead I suppressed them. Do you accept this?" Lin Junliang shouted in response, "Definitely not. The green-haired leader beside him also chimed in loudly. I don't accept it either. Hearing this, Zhang Yuan clenched his hands behind his back, let out a scoff and said, not accepting is exactly right. Then, looking down at them from above with cold, contemptuous eyes, he confirmed, people are selfish. If you place a selfish person in a position where they can suppress you, you are destined to be betrayed. Following that, Zhang Yuan stood on the stage, reached out his hand toward the crowd below, and began to shout loudly. The laborers used their blood and sweat to create the weapons and protective gear in your hands. At the same time, they nurtured the alien races in the Fang realm for you to hunt ruins, yet you use this power to benefit the noble families. That itself is a betrayal of them. Hearing this, the crowd below looked up at him in shock. Then, pacing on the platform, he continued, as long as humans have selfish motives, conflicts of interest between different classes are inevitable, and they will try to break the rules that disadvantage them. Selfishness cannot be eliminated, but unity can erase the power gap between classes and enforce fair and just rules to the end. He then added, equal people do not pursue empty emotions, but the protection of their actual interests. No one below could refute him. Then Shang Chong shouted up to him in confirmation, even if we all unite, we still can't beat you. Zhang Yuan, looking down at them from above, shrugged and confirmed, that's because there are too few of you. If you fought alongside the masses, who could shake you? Then Zhang Yuan extended his hand to the crowd below and called out loudly, times have changed. In today's Wagwo there is no longer an emperor high above. Everyone, including you, is the master of this land. Protecting the people's interests means protecting your own interests. The crowd below, still not fully recovered, just stared at him in silence. Then they shouted in unison, fight for the people, fight for the people. Behind him, the secretary, blushing, mentally evaluated him with a newspaper headline, today the young marshal is exceptionally handsome. Meanwhile, Zhang Yuan stood at the front with his hands behind his back, his hair fluttering in the wind, smiling proudly as he listened to the shouts below. Next, in Zhang Buyu's room, he had already returned to his true form and, holding documents, asked Wang Padi, interrogating those officials all night. Hard work, Director Wang. He collapsed into a chair and confirmed, thanks to you and Commander Zhang for the initial screening, the workload has been greatly reduced. Zhang Yuan then picked up the files and began organizing them. Then, resting his head on the chair's back pillow, he turned to look at Wang Padi's haggard appearance and sighed. Almost all members of the official family have absorbed disturbance energy and used it for shady dealings to varying degrees. But their other crimes go far beyond just one or two. He paused, then added, former Southern Commander Zhang Hongling repeatedly ordered the officials to disturb others with energy. The targets even included Yi Zhengfeng and Wu Mo's younger brother, as well as their father Feng Jinglei. These two ordinary families watched the other villains. Hearing this, Zhang Yuan held the documents, his face dark, and gritted his teeth as he confirmed. All cases involving Zhang Ling will not be stored in the Virtual Bureau's archives. They will be organized separately and kept by me. He then added, other criminals will be dealt with according to the law. Then, standing up with authority, he looked into the distance and confirmed, disturbance energy is too dangerous. It must never be allowed to circulate. He then added, I will, in the name of the 8th and 9th ruins, fully manage all ruin crystal disturbance energy. Ordinary ruin energy users are forbidden from absorbing disturbance energy. Beside him, Wang Padi, hearing this, lifted his haggard face to look at him. Under the effect of super cuteness, everyone went crazy for him, pulling out photos to play matchmaker. An elderly woman said, young Marshal, my granddaughter is 20 years old, kind and virtuous. Could you give her a chance? The young man said, young Marshal, my cousin's younger sister is 25, gentle and considerate, never had a boyfriend before. Another bespectacled young man also said, young Marshal, my uncle's daughter is 16 and excels academically. At this moment, Zhang Yuan, disguised as Zhang Buyu, thought helplessly, it's all my fault for using super cuteness too strongly, accidentally unleashing my charm and attracting a bunch of matchmakers for Zhang. Zhang Yuan couldn't help but tally Zhang Buyu's composition: 5 pride, 10 cunning, 10 gluttony, 15 straight-laced man, 20 brainlessness, and 40 comedic talent. Zhang Yuan thought, usually Zhang is too lonely, there's no one at home to cook for him. I need to help him find a partner. So Zhang Yuan instructed the secretary, schedule all blind dates for tomorrow afternoon. Arrange them reasonably, prioritize minors, and they must know how to cook, the secretary replied. Yes, after handling everything, Zhang Yuan finally returned to his room. He sighed in relief and muttered wearily, finally some quiet time. So old Commander Zhang anticipated this situation and specifically reminded me not to let Zhang Buyu commit the crime of seducing a minor. Yi Zhen sighed behind him. The 8th's consideration is truly thorough. Zhang Yuan turned into a black cat and jumped toward the window, calling out to Yi Zhen. Zhang Yuan asked, I treated the noble families this way today. Do you hold any resentment? Yi Zhen said. Resentment for what? The Black Cat Zhang Yuan said. The difficulties you faced in life were almost entirely caused by the noble family's abuse of you, yet I showed them leniency, urging them to reform. I also handled the officials impartially, without exterminating them, and even wanted to protect your enemies. Yi Zhen was silent for a moment, then confessed, It would be a lie to say I don't hate them, but I understand that what I truly hate is not any specific noble family member. It's the noble family's ethos of prioritizing personal connections, Yi Zhen said. Although Juyue isn't good, Mr. Bai was right. The talent for absorbing ruin crystals depends on family lineage. That's the greatest injustice in the world. Yi Zhen said calmly, As long as this injustice exists, the noble families will always exist. No matter how we struggle and resist, we can only barely survive, the Black Cat Zhang Yuan said. I'm sorry, in the end I chose to prioritize the bigger picture and let you down, Yi Zhen said. Actually, from the moment Zhang Buyu knelt before me, most of my resentment had already dissipated. There are probably many people like you in this world. Yi Zhen smiled faintly and said, Those who don't hesitate to dirty their hands to push this filthy world toward the light. So rather than resentment, I feel more hope, the Black Cat Zhang Yuan said. Then I'll take that as your approval of my actions today. The Black Cat Zhang Yuan raised an eyebrow and glanced at the connecting door to the back room. He secretly transmitted a teasing message. Zhang, how long do you plan to eavesdrop from the next room? Can you pretend you're still unconscious? It's been over 3 hours. Have some tea, have some tea, have some tea. After a while, Zhang Yuan sat in a courtyard and said, The 9th ruins can indeed issue a ban on disturbance energy, but that requires converting your provisional status to official. Is it convenient to convert now? Chi Tu said, Anytime. Chi Tu said, You said you don't like others deciding your life without permission. So I specifically called you here this time to confirm this directly with you. Becoming an official member means you will become the last trump card for all ruin energy users in Wagwo, facing the most dangerous and difficult tasks without the ability to refuse or evade. Have you truly decided? Zhang Yuan replied, I have. Chi Tu warned, You can't throw away your identity badge like you did with the drones last time. Zhang Yuan said lightly, Uncle Qi, banning disturbance energy offers no personal benefit to me. If I didn't have the awareness to bear the future responsibility of Wagwo, why would I do such a futile thing? Zhang Yuan said, This land holds my ideals and the people I care about. The 9th ruin's responsibility happens to be to protect them. So I want to become the 9th ruins, and I also need the power that comes with this responsibility to help me better achieve my goals. Zhang Yuan called out, Uncle Qi, what is your ideal? Qi Tu replied, I admit I'm a bit of a lovesick fool. Nearly 20 years have passed and I still can't let her go. I joined the 9th ruins back then to escape reality, and later worked hard just to become someone worthy of her. Zhang Yuan said, The 9th ruins is the backbone of Wagwo's people, and the 6th seat is its leader. That has nothing to do with whether you love some Feng or not. Qi Tu couldn't help but shed tears. Zhang Yuan said, Free your career from this burden, don't forcibly tie it to your emotions. You also want Feng to marry Qi Tu, not the position of the 6th seat of the 9th ruins, right? The secretary came over to Feng Zuzan and said, Dean Feng, the 6th seat asked me to give this to you. Feng Zuzan frowned and opened the letter to read it. What's this? 6 o'clock tonight. Feng Zuzan read the letter's contents. At the bridge where we first met, be there or be square. What era is this? Arranging dinner with a little note, Feng Zuzan said. By the way, which bridge did I first meet Brother Tu at? It's been so long I have no memory of it. The secretary suggested in surprise. Really can't remember, you could ask him. Feng Zuzan asked, Where is he? The secretary quickly replied, He should still be in the nearby purple 9th ruins courtyard. Back in that elegant courtyard, Zhang Yuan had already left, and Qi Tu was nowhere to be seen. He had gone into the room to freshen up and dress up. Qi Tu, now clean-shaven, stood before the mirror, muttering to himself, Shaving makes me look a bit younger, but time spares no one. Zhang Yuan said, When in doubt, recite the second-to-last line of Record of Yueyang Tower. But that's too straightforward, better read to the oak tree. Just then, Feng Zuzan pushed the door open and walked in. Brother Tu, where do you want to go for dinner? Let's head there together. Qi Tu was so startled he shouted something incoherent. Feng Zuzan said nonchalantly, Why use such childish note-passing tricks? Qi Tu said, I'll go sit in the courtyard for a bit while I get ready. Feng Zuzan replied, After a while, Qi Tu was ready, fully prepared to fulfill his long-cherished wish. Qi Tu looked around for Feng Zuzan and was about to call her, but stopped. He saw Feng Zuzan standing on tiptoe admiring the courtyard scenery. Qi Tu asked, You've seen this courtyard scenery for so many years, aren't you tired of it? Feng Zuzan turned around and replied, No, spring, summer, autumn, winter, sunny days, rain, snow, mornings, noons, nights, every time I come the view is the same, yet somehow not entirely the same. Qi Tu mustered his courage and said, Azan, I have something I want to give you. Qi Tu took out a ring box and said, I bought this ring 18 years ago, intending to give it to you, though it's a bit late now. And it's lost its original meaning, but I still want to give it to you. Feng Zuzan held the ring and sighed. What do I need this cubic crystal cut from carbon element in the middle for? Chi Tu changed the subject and said, it's called a sense of ceremony. Feng Zuzan replied, sense of ceremony my foot. This is you summoning a demon with consumerism. Chi Tu covered his face helplessly and said, fine, fine, fine. You don't like the carbon crystal. How about I read you a passage? Feng Zuzan said, go ahead. Chi Tu cleared his throat and said, if I love you. Feng Zuzan said irritably, you love me and still need to add if, what's that about? Chi Tu stammered. Feng Zuzan said speechlessly, you helped me raise my son for over a decade and you still can't tell that I love you, Chi Tu said. But last time I hinted at marrying you, you told me you were already married to science. Feng Zuzan replied matter-of-factly, love is an emotion, marriage is a contract. They're completely different, Chi Tu said in exasperation. A straight-laced woman like you, do you love me or not? Can you give me a straight answer? Feng Zuzan said happily, I do love you. Feng Zuzan leaned in and asked, I want to marry you as my wife, will you marry me or not? Chi Tu said shyly, no you. You finally, Chi Tu said, yes, 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 I'll marry you, okay? You're the tree and I'm the cotton, all right. Feng Zuzan said joyfully, I've been waiting for you to say that. Here, in another bedroom, Feng Jinglei said to the black cat Zhang Yuan, Yuan, you did it. My mom said she's going to hold a wedding with Uncle Chi next year. How did you do it? The black cat Zhang Yuan said, I've fulfilled your wish. Let Uncle Chi read a passage to that Feng person. Feng Jinglei was silent, unable to imagine Feng Zuzan's reaction when Chi Tu read the passage. Finally, Feng Jinglei said, forget it. Whatever, which table do you want to sit at for the banquet? Zhang Yuan said, sit with Lanlin at the kids' table. Feng Jinglei said, then it's settled. Set an alarm so you don't oversleep. The black cat Zhang Yuan replied, okay. Zhang Buyu said, it's over. You've completely ruined my morning tea ceremony. From now on without coffee I can't eat anything. Zhang Yuan said helplessly, you've seen me brew coffee so many times and you still haven't learned. Zhang Buyu said, I've tried but the taste never comes out like yours. Zhang Yuan asked, did I ever tell you that I don't need to eat or sleep and I have no sense of taste or smell? Zhang Buyu replied, I can tell. Anyway, every time you make a new dish you ask me to check the saltiness. Zhang Yuan said, so if you tell me the taste is different, I really wouldn't know. Enough of that. Wang Padi just messaged me saying that all the officials including Guan Tisheng have had an accident. Zhang Yuan said, they've been going crazy since last night, endlessly reciting famous tribulation novels from the Tomato Novel website with low ratings, including but not limited to The Victim's Wife is Stunningly Beautiful. My life is at your mercy and thrown into a snake pit at the start. Commander Zhang, any clues? Zhang Buyu replied nonchalantly, those who play with people's hearts will eventually be played with. I call this phenomenon turning the tables on them. Zhang Yuan asked, when you arrested them you didn't use the infinite dream. Did you deliberately wait until you had leverage over the Zhang family? Zhang Buyu was stunned by this. Zhang Yuan said seriously, old Commander Zhang ordered the officials to disturb others with energy. The heads of the major noble families likely knew about this long ago. Even if it were made public, it wouldn't shake the Zhang family's position. On the contrary, if I chose not to disclose it, it would tie me to the Zhang family. Zhang Buyu said awkwardly, all right, I admit I'm cunning and unscrupulous, and I wanted to drag you onto the same boat. Zhang Yuan said calmly, I saw that, but your magic was so brilliant that I willingly let myself be deceived. This joy came too soon, leaving Zhang Buyu stunned speechless. Then he scratched his head and used his signature topic-changing technique saying, what was it? Today is the last match of the University League. What ruin crystal do you want as a reward? Zhang Yuan asked in surprise. I can choose, Zhang Buyu said. The reward ruin crystals were set from the start. All ordinary abilities, not strategic level ones. I'm afraid you might look down on them. Zhang Yuan became interested and asked, what are they? Zhang Buyu listed them one by one, starting with force, super reproduction, cutting, super resolution, mental breakdown, isokinetic, temperature. In addition there was also soul-slaying fury, which Wen Renju could absorb but did not report, and the super extreme Eagle Saint originally intended for Yang Sheng. Zhang Buyu said, also I found you a ruined star of a broken level calamity. That is, immediate break can see through lower level abilities without affecting the effects of other abilities. For example, if you break my infinite dream, you can forcibly turn the dream into a lucid dream, whereas Yang can only break the dream, not turn it into a lucid dream. Zhang Yuan asked in surprise, I only mentioned immediate break a few days ago, and you've already prepared it for me? Zhang Buyu replied, that's right, for this ruin star, do you want to go through the league process or the 9 ruins process? Zhang Yuan said, The league process means the rewards for the top 3 in the individual and team competitions are implanting a calamity-level ruin star. The individual competition rewards I want are immediate break, supercharge, distant soul burst, and super resolution. I won't participate in the team competition rewards. Let my teammates divide them among themselves. On the day of the university championship, the host's voice echoed through the dome gymnasium. Hello, dear audience. You are now watching the 2043 Ruin Energy User University Championship. The highly anticipated individual competition finals will begin in 5 minutes. A male and a female host said, contestants Zhang Yuan and Feng Jing from Chengying Academy have each fought through many battles and finally meet in the finals. They are not only classmates but also teammates on the same team. 3 days ago they just won the team championship. The two stood on the field facing each other. The host said, facing Feng Jing, the strongest healer in Huaxia, will Zhang Yuan choose to be courteous or go all out? Zhang Yuan turned to the referee and asked, the individual competition uses a complete double elimination format. I have to lose 2 rounds for Feng Jing to win, right? The referee replied, correct. Feng Jing is in the loser's bracket and has already lost once. If he loses again, you win, Zhang Yuan said. Oh, then I forfeit the first round. Feng Jing said, so confident you can beat me 100? Zhang Yuan said, the first time we fought you forfeited, so I'm forfeiting 1 round to return the favor. Feng Jing said, I'll gladly accept. The female host said, oh, it seems they intend to settle it in 1 round. This round is the real deal, the referee shouted. Both contestants prepare. Feng Jing assume a defensive stance. Zhang Yuan also entered a combat stance, and the referee began the countdown. A palpable aura seemed to rise between the two, making the audience watch with bated breath and excitement. The referee's final countdown sounded. 1. Suddenly, Feng Jing rushed over and shouted, rock, paper, scissors. Zhang Yuan was stunned, completely caught off guard, then reacted and raised his fist. The host said, at the start, Feng Jing suddenly shouted, rock, paper, scissors, and Zhang Yuan saw Feng Jing throw scissors while Zhang Yuan threw paper. The host said, Zhang Yuan quickly switched to rock, paper, scissors mode. This round of rock, paper, scissors was decided in a flash. The screen began replaying the process, the host said. This process was over before we could even see it clearly. A high-speed camera recorded the scene. Let's watch the video together. As the 2 hands rushed forward, Zhang Yuan's hand showed a tendency to open into paper. The host said, as soon as Feng Jing said rock, paper, scissors, Zhang Yuan reacted. Feng Jing threw a fist, Zhang Yuan threw paper. So Feng Jing's index and middle fingers spread slightly. The host said, during the movement, Feng Jing's 2 fingers opened, preparing to form scissors. So Zhang Yuan's originally open hand instantly retracted, the host said. At the same time, Zhang Yuan's hand also began to retract, preparing to form a fist. The female host, Cheng Yun, said excitedly, in this short 0.1 seconds, both sides changed their moves simultaneously. In the end, Zhang Yuan came out on top. This match can be called the pinnacle duel of psychology and hand speed. Feng Jing crossed his arms and said, using an ability for rock, paper, scissors is too much, isn't it? Zhang Yuan replied, no choice. My automatic prediction means I can't lose at rock, paper, scissors even if I want to. Feng Jing turned and left, saying, I'm done, bye. So the referee raised his hand and shouted, the winner, Zhang Yuan. The entire stands erupted instantly. Excited cheers filled the sky. In the Zhonglin team's viewing room, Zhan Shang said, the double champion of the individual and team competitions. Zhang Yuan is truly top-notch. Zhonglin shouted happily, as expected of my brother, even in rock, paper, scissors he's the strongest. Zhonglin immediately called Zhang Yuan and asked, brother, congratulations on winning the league double championship. When are you coming back? Zhang Yuan replied. Now, Zhonglin let out a confused ah, only to see Zhang Yuan open the door and walk in carrying 2 trophies. Zhonglin exclaimed, brother, can you teleport? Zhang Yuan said, simple. The siblings sat on the sofa and Zhonglin said, actually, it's not that I thought it was cool and made you compete, but, Zhang Yuan said, it's because I'm someone who particularly values spiritual contracts. You were afraid I'd get angry and tear up the agreement with Lin Dongliang in the heat of the moment, and then feel guilty afterward. Zhonglin replied, Zhang Yuan looked coldly in another direction and said, now it's time to settle old scores with him. Elsewhere, Lin Dongliang paced back and forth anxiously, muttering to himself, he did it, he really did it. At first he said he wanted to make it into the top 10 of the individual competition to prove his talent was higher than Zhonglin's, and that he could fight in her place. And Keika brought people over and said, Lin Dongliang, now that the league is over, the grudge between you and the Zhang siblings should be settled. Lin Dongliang said, now that things have gotten this bad between Zhang Yuan and me, I'm afraid he won't want to join the Nighthawk team. And Keika said, in your dreams. And Keika said, have you seen this file? This is all the evidence of the crimes you've committed since becoming a Ruin energy user. Today I am charging you with a series of crimes including aiding murder and illegal transactions, and I will send you to a military court. Even after being arrested, Lin Dongliang remained stubborn, saying, "What? I've never done any of these things." And Keika said, "Do you still remember those ruin energy talents you discovered among ordinary people?" Lin Dongliang said frantically, I haven't paid attention to them for a long time," and Keika said calmly, "One of them, after countless failed attempts to absorb ruin stars, was abandoned by you. In despair, he committed suicide, and 2 people faked their deaths to escape the military district. Currently 1 person is confirmed dead, and the other has been apprehended. Furthermore, the most brutal one went mad and became a serial killer, taking revenge on society." And Keika said, "Additionally, you kidnapped the minor Zhonglin, causing her irreparable harm. All of this adds up to a death sentence." Lin Dongliang shouted in panic, "No, I didn't. These were all things they did themselves, nothing to do with me." And Keika said, "The 8th and 9th Ruins have ordered a strict investigation into ruin star interference control and to check whether all related personnel have committed the crime of incitement." "Have you heard about it?" Lin Dongliang said. "I didn't use interference abilities. I relied on ruin energy sensing to discover talents." And Keika said, "What's the difference between your method of discovering talents among ordinary people and interference?" Lin Dongliang still tried to deny it. "I did nothing wrong, I'm innocent. I didn't make them do it." And Keika said, "Interference itself is not a crime, but inciting others to commit suicide, escape, or murder is a real crime." And Keika didn't want to say more, and ordered, "Take him away." Lin Dongliang shouted resentfully, "No!" Soon, it was the day of the blind date arranged by Zhang Yuan for Zhang Buyu. The secretary said, "Young Marshal, I have arranged today's blind date schedule according to your wishes." The matchmaker aunt pointed to the several young women behind her and said, "These ladies are all extremely skilled. The dishes they make are guaranteed to suit your taste." Zhang Buyu asked, "Where are the dishes?" The matchmaker asked, "Do you want them to cook right now?" Zhang Buyu said matter-of-factly, "Applying for a chef position without bringing any dishes?" Then he took out a lunchbox and showed it off, saying, "See this? This was made by my cat. Anyone whose skills aren't as good as this doesn't need to come." Then he held up a photo of Zhang Yuan in his black cat form and said, "This is the cat. Cute, right? Anyone not as cute doesn't need to come either." Upon hearing this, the matchmaker said loudly, "Spread the word. The young marshal is a furry. All of you dress up as cat girls." The young women said no problem, and then left under Zhang Buyu's dazed and bewildered gaze. After a while, Zhang Buyu was covered in cold sweat and fear, and a soft, strange voice sounded, "Young marshal, meow meow meow." It turned out that besides the catgirls there were also 2 extremely muscular catmen meowing for affection. Zhang Buyu shouted in terror, "I understand the logic, but why are there men, no trap boys?" The matchmaker rubbed her hands together and said, "Don't be too hung up on gender." Then she led the group closer, making Zhang Buyu shout even more frantically, "Don't come any closer." "I." Zhang Buyu, desperate, made up another excuse. "I'll come clean. I'm a mecha fetishist. I only like non-living beings. Priority goes to a pre-404 version of the Type 59 tank. Or even a bunny girl figurine collection will do," Zhang Buyu said with extreme confidence. "If I marry a carbon-based life form, I'll kill my wife to prove my Tao within 3 days. I mean what I say. If you're not afraid of death, come on." Unexpectedly, there were indeed those unafraid of death. Adhering to the policy of whoever is afraid get lost, a catgirl stepped forward and said, "I would be willing to die to marry the young marshal." So Zhang Buyu got scared. He smashed a window with one palm strike and jumped out, saying, "I can't afford to mess with you, so I'll just leave," accompanied by a long, regretful tone, "Young marshal." During free fall, Zhang Buyu quickly used super resolution, and the ground below exploded, completely decomposing into a dense layer of high-pressure gas that released upward. Zhang Buyu landed safely. Zhang Yuan in his black cat form was waiting below and praised, "Impressive, using super resolution to decompose the ground into tiny particles. The gas expansion from the vaporized particles creates an airflow used as a cushion for landing, ensuring a stable touchdown," Zhang Buyu said. "A bit wasteful." Unexpectedly, those catgirls had already teleported below and were vigorously chasing after him, shouting, "Young marshal, don't run." Seeing this, Zhang Buyu was scared out of his wits. He immediately picked up Zhang Yuan in his black cat form and used super disguise to escape. Zhang Yuan in his black cat form then transmitted a message, "Master Zhang, you're not getting any younger. Stop running away from the big matters in life." Zhang Buyu replied, "This 7-foot body of mine is already dedicated to the country. Women will only slow down my sword-drawing speed." Zhang Buyu said, "Enough of that. Let's go see the good stuff I prepared for you." Zhang Yuan asked, "What stuff?" Zhang Buyu replied, "Ruin stars, of course." Zhang Buyu took out a wooden box and said, I've given you all the alien ruin stars I could get my hands on. At least one of each type, with dozens of the most common ones. Zhang Yuan reverted to human form, picked up a ruin star, and said in confusion, "My constitution only allows me to absorb the same type of ruin star, to level up. I can't use so many different kinds." Zhang Buyu said smugly, "HMPH, I've carefully considered your constitution that allows you to absorb ruin stars infinitely without fear of explosion. I've come up with a earth-shattering upgrade plan." Zhang Buyu said, "The K-Da ability is based on multiplicative calculations. So, by absorbing some lower-level self-expanding abilities and activating them simultaneously, you can easily reach 100-fold K-Da. At that point, you'll be an omnipotent god." Zhang Yuan was stunned after hearing this and said, "Using this method, I can activate the super-expanded upgraded version of all abilities, with the minimum absorption of ruin stars. This unique and innovative way of upgrading is something only you could think of." Zhang Yuan reached his hand into the box and shouted, "Absorb all." Terrifying blue-white energy radiated outward. Zhang Buyu shouted excitedly, "Go for it, star-devouring beast. Dinner is served." Zhang Yuan's massive array of skills then upgraded at a terrifying speed. After absorbing a huge pile of ruin stars, Zhang Yuan sat in a chair holding his head. Zhang Buyu stepped forward and asked worriedly, "Young Master Yuan, are you okay? Did absorbing too many ruin stars at once cause a problem?" Zhang Yuan replied, "That bad premonition is back." Zhang Buyu understood and asked, "You mean the bad premonition that appeared when you awakened the ability to foresee the future?" Zhang Yuan replied, "Yes." Zhang Yuan said somewhat dejectedly, "Just after absorbing these ruined stars, I feel that the truth I've been searching for is right in front of me. Even if I don't want to face it, I can't avoid it anymore." Zhang Buyu said, "It was I who discovered your ability to foresee the future, and it was I who used Infinite Dream to bring you closer to the truth." Zhang Yuan said, "I don't blame you. Even if the path to the truth is a dead end, we must continue walking it." Zhang Buyu sighed, "Alas." After a while, Zhang Buyu reached out and opened Zhang Yuan's golden coffin bed. He looked at the space inside and said, "Your bed looks quite spacious. Adding one more person wouldn't make it too crowded." Zhang Yuan looked up in surprise and said, "Zhang the liar you." Zhang Buyu raised his fist and said, "Even if the road ahead is a dead end, I will fight alongside you to the end. We may not have been born on the same day, but we will die on the same day." Zhang Yuan said, "This is the most difficult of all your wishes for me to fulfill." Zhang Buyu said, "Please." Zhang Yuan firmly grasped Zhang Buyu's wrist and said, "I will do my best." Infinite Dream was activated again, and Zhang Yuan appeared in a pitch-black space. Golden light gradually emerged, accompanied by the figures of two men. Zhang Yuan recalled that this was being sealed inside his own body for 4 or 5 years, merging into the dark world, letting him see what was inside. A voice sounded in Zhang Yuan's ears. "In my first life, when I had an accident, the person who saved me was a brown-haired doctor. His brainwaves were so weak that he was essentially in a vegetative state." The man with dark blue-green hair beside him turned his head and said, "Didn't you say he was the most talented person I've ever seen? How could you leave him like trash in a hospital room?" The brown-haired man said, "Lin Donglang's ruin energy sensing level is far inferior to mine. It's normal that he couldn't discover his talent." The dark blue-green-haired man asked upon hearing this, "But those people still reached an agreement with that girl, promising to cure her brother's illness." The brown-haired man said, "Yes." The brown-haired man said his condition could no longer be delayed. Restoring brain activity could only be done by you, and then he could recover slowly in the hospital. The dark blue-green-haired man agreed. Bring him to see me when the time comes." The dark blue-green-haired man reached out and used Infinite Dream. He said, "I'll open a real dream for you, let you return to reality, don't be afraid. As long as my power remains, you can live." The dark blue-green-haired man said, "Remember, I am the leader of Juyue, Corona White." Then the two left. Watching their backs, a voice sounded in Zhang Yuan's ears. "The leader of Juyue is the deputy commander of Huazhang, Yang Zongxing. I checked Yang Zongxing's file, and it is indeed this face. But in my first life this doctor never took me to see Yang Zongxing." Then the scene shifted again. The brown-haired young man was being escorted by two men in black. Seeing this, Zhang Yuan understood and thought, "Oh, because he was caught by the Ruin Energy Administration for illegal transactions with Juyue. I hadn't been discharged from the hospital yet at that time." However, later on, Yang Zongxing used the connection of Infinite Dream to find me. Yang Zongxing arranged to meet me in a cafe. Yang Zongxing said, "The truth about Ruin Energy is just like this. Are you willing to join me in creating a fair and just world?" At that time, Zhang Yuan asked, "If I refuse, will you kill me to silence me?" Yang Zongxing said, "I will erase your memory, making you forget you ever met me." Zhang Yuan said bluntly, "Then I refuse." Yang Zongxing asked why. Zhang Yuan replied, A person chosen because of their talent is destined not to fight sincerely for fairness and justice. If all members of Jueyue are selected this way, then this organization is bound to collapse in the future. Zhang Yuan thought, I rejected him, but he didn't strip me of my dream power, so I survived safely until 4 years later. Later, Yang Zongxing didn't come for me but instead turned his target to recruiting Yi Zhen. However, by then, Yi Zhen could no longer absorb the Void Star 3 times in a row to be reborn, and Yang Zongxing deemed this method ineffective for saving him. The ground was littered with the corpses of huggy bears thrown about. Among the crowd, Robert was also tossing a bear carcass toward Zhang Yuan's ear. To find another way to save Yi Zhen, Yang Zongxing struck a deal with the Lighthouse Nation, assisting Robert in infiltrating the Fang realm of the Central Plains divine sect in Huazhong to poach the huggy bears raised there. Yang Zongxing held a peculiar purple-red void star in his hand. Seeing this, Zhang Yuan thought that in his first life, without his interference, Robert successfully infiltrated the Fang realm and brought the huggy bear's void star back to the Lighthouse Nation. In exchange, the Lighthouse Nation gave Yang Zongxing an artificial void star imbued with rebirth abilities. Subsequently, Yi Zhen took the artificial void star and successfully awakened. Zhang Yuan mused that the artificial void star was an exclusive technology of the Lighthouse Nation, a consumable item that could activate its ability without requiring a person to successfully absorb it. But it could only be used once. Yang Zongxing used the artificial void star to cure Yi Zhen and recruited him into the 9 radiances. Zhang Yuan thought Yi Zhen used his mind-reading ability. Through it he discovered that Bai Luoho and Rong Rong were secretly betraying the 9 radiances, and reported them to Yang Zongxing. Yang Zongxing decisively and directly eliminated the traitors. Afterward, Yi Zhen became a key combatant of the 9 radiances. The scene shifted to Yi Zhen shaking hands with Robert, Zhang Yuan's ear. Yi Zhen, representing the 9 radiances, cooperated with the Lighthouse Nation again, intending to use his mind-reading ability to eavesdrop on the secrets of some void energy users in the Lighthouse Nation. The scene then shifted to a familiar figure walking alone down the middle of a road. Zhang Yuan recalled that the goal of this collaboration was to kidnap Feng Jing. Feng Jing's face was still as punchable as ever. Feng Jing was sitting alone at a dining table. I suddenly have a question. What kind of person is Feng Jing? The answer is, a lonely person. This was Zhang Yuan's conclusion after experiencing all the chaos. Feng Jing was different from ordinary people in every aspect. After labeling himself as an alien, he no longer expected to find recognition among humans. Yi Zhen used his mind-reading ability to discover Feng Jing's inner weakness, created a kindred spirit as bait for him, and ultimately succeeded in luring him onto the Lighthouse Nation's pirate ship. The Lighthouse Nation also successfully obtained cell samples from Feng Jing and began a series of studies on Su Ri in a nuclear submarine laboratory located in a deep-sea region. This purple dragon is Su Ri. It comes from the Calamity-level alien, the Nether Abyss Dragon. The Void Star of the Nether Abyss Dragon has only one ability, Su Ri. All other abilities have merged into its flesh and blood, becoming instincts and no longer exist within the Void Star. The Nether Abyss Dragon wields the power of time. The deeper its mastery, the further back Su Ri can rewind time. Combined with eyes that can see lifespans, they can use Su Ri to directly return a target to their weakest period. Using the collected cell samples and the Lighthouse Nation's catalytic technology, they successfully created a replica of Feng Jing. This replica grew at an extremely rapid pace. Within a year, it had even developed to a more exaggerated extent than Feng Jing himself. Just then, a cargo ship carrying many cultural relics and artifacts passed through the sea area. These cultural relics were originally stored in the Upper East Museum, and after being transported to the Lighthouse Nation for an 8-month exchange exhibition, were being shipped back to Huasha. The golden coffin in the exhibition resonated with the Feng Jing replica at the bottom of the sea, causing a void rift to quietly open on the sea surface. This void rift was the same one that had appeared in Upper East City 10 years ago. Last time, the darkness in the void rift took away a large number of people. This time, it took away the nuclear submarine carrying the Feng Jing replica. 3 years later, this void rift opened again at the Upper East Museum. The Feng Jing replica merged and evolved with the darkness, becoming the giant claw that crushed me to death. The giant claw's Su Ri sent me back to my weakest period, which was precisely when Yang Zongxing was casting the infinite dream on me. These two forces reacted simultaneously with the dark world inside the golden coffin, sealing a full 4 years of the world within my body. Zhang Yuan opened his eyes, feeling as if an eternity had passed. Zhang Yuan was already dead at this point. He was merely standing aside watching the blurry shadow of Feng Jing lying motionless on the ground. Zhang Yuan had only one obsession, to protect his sister. By assimilating with the dark world inside the Golden Coffin, the dark world gained Zhang Yuan's will. The final outcome seemed to be that I was reborn 4 years ago, but not by returning from death, Zhang Yuan muttered to himself in a daze. No wonder I looked like a zombie when I was reborn, caring about nothing except Lan Lan. But Lan Lan said to me. Lan Lan's crisp voice echoed in his mind, "Your world is too big, I would feel lonely in it alone. There are so many beautiful sights in the world, since you're here, why not go see them?" Zhang Yuan had never felt so calm, he said to himself. The current me is no longer just an illusory fleeting thought. Everything I have experienced in this world has formed a new me. As he was pondering, Zhang Yuan suddenly sensed something unusual happening. HMPH, what's going on? Why has this power suddenly become violent? It seems to be closing in, trying to attack me. Zhang Yuan immediately used break to observe. Zhang Yuan quickly discovered that the infinite dream left in his body by Yang Zongsheng was constructing a new world, trying to make him sink into it. Zhang Yuan dodged and said firmly, "I already know the truth. Why dream anymore? Get lost, don't come near me." He clicked his tongue in annoyance. What a hassle. If I max out all the abilities I just absorbed, I should be able to kick it out, right? Just then the system prompted. Your ability has been upgraded. Your ability has been upgraded. Your ability has been upgraded. Important things are said 3 times. Blessing level maxed. You have gained a new ability, Ultimate Wish. Red level 1 upgradable. Ultimate Wish increases all abilities of up to 6 targets by 448. Enter Invincible state. Ultimate Wish level maxed. You have gained a new ability, Ruinous Wish Calamity level, not upgradable. Ruinous Wish. Unleash any ability from memory with a 448 increase in effect. Also, Super Cuteness level maxed. You have gained a new ability, Divine Cuteness Calamity level, not upgradable. Divine Cuteness, your charm forges an eternal reign. Slow level maxed. You have gained a new ability, upgraded to Absolute Stillness, Calamity level, not upgradable. Absolute Stillness, pause the target's time. You have gained a new attribute, God. Zhang Yuan was almost stunned after hearing the series of new abilities he had obtained. What concerned him most was the phrase, "You have gained a new attribute, God." The scene before Zhang Yuan suddenly changed. He was surprised and confused as to how he had suddenly left the dark world. Where is this? Zhang Yuan slowly walked forward. In this river-like thing there seemed to be many scenes from ancient times, accompanied by annotations from a god's perspective. The earliest scene I could observe was him reaching out to cast a spell. The root of void energy is desire. He saw the strange things happening. Since ancient times, many powerful beings had longed for immortality, and to live in another world after death. Their desires and corpses were sealed in coffins. Prolonged contact with the boundary between life and death also caused them to lose self-awareness and turn into shadows. The Golden Coffin placed in the Upper East Museum sealed the shadow of the root. This golden coffin carried the fate of becoming a god, and the future would adversely affect the past. The boundary between life and death was broken by divine power. Void energy began to activate on the other side of the boundary between life and death. The active void energy eroded many shadows lingering on the boundary between life and death. Some shadows shattered into coffins before completing their evolution process, attracting their kind to the human world. Some shadows completed their evolution process inside the coffins and activated spatial abilities, opening passages to the other side of the boundary between life and death. The passages opened by mature shadows are void rifts. Some shadows harbored certain obsessions and always lingered in specific places. They usually remained silent unless they sensed a desire to open a passage. This desire usually came from the world on the other side of the boundary between life and death. The owners of these desires were typically a group of alien creatures. These alien creatures were originally ordinary beings with no special abilities. They were eroded by active void energy and began an endless process of self-evolution. Their evolution was also influenced by desires. Aliens craving love evolved cuteness. Aliens craving communication evolved rational common sense. Aliens craving the arrival of a savior evolved ultimate wish. And the void stars themselves had a desire to be used, which allowed humans to absorb their abilities and understand their usage. When an alien fully mastered a certain ability, this power would merge into its flesh and blood and be passed down through bloodlines. Other creatures that consumed flesh and blood containing void energy would also evolve void energy. Human scientists drew inspiration from this and began a research project called the Heavenly Void Experiment, aiming to endow humans with innate void energy. The first test subject was Feng Jing. He successfully obtained the power of the Nether Abyss Dragon, becoming a natural-born alien. The second, third, and fourth test subjects unfortunately did not survive birth. The fifth test subject was Zhang Yuan. he successfully obtained 3 abilities from an artificial void star: rebirth, blessing, and death sense. The erosion of void energy caused Zhang Yuan to be born with defects, but the rebirth ability allowed him to heal himself successfully. Possessing stronger survival abilities than ordinary people, he was less likely to die even from eating random things. Even his appearance changed for the better. The erosion of void energy also made it easier for the mother to miscarry. But Zhang Yuan instinctively activated the blessing ability, helping his sister to be born smoothly. This blessing ability also made Zhang Yuan a genius, able to learn everything at once. And even cooking tasted great. Death sense did not save Zhang Yuan from his fate of death, but after death it evolved into a precognition ability, which further developed into prophecy. Zhang Yuan finished watching all the scenes. Next came life at Yingcheng Academy. Then came the competition in Guangyuan City. Why are these scenes different from what I actually experienced? This Zhang Buyu completely resisted cuteness, and always went looking for cats instead of me. Although he communicated with me using rational common sense every day, he couldn't eliminate the negative energy attached when I absorbed the void star. There seemed to be future events later. I'll watch them first. Zhang Yuan learned that Su Weining had secretly absorbed healing wind, and was discovered by her family, forcing her to go through Feng Jing to the Academy of Sciences to have the ability removed. To predict the outcome of the surgery, Zhang Yuan initiated a long-term prediction of the future. His mental energy was exhausted, and he could no longer maintain the female projection. The Dark World used the residual dream power of Yang Zongxing to trap Zhang Yuan in a dream. In the dream, Zhang Yuan became a living person with endless vitality. All abilities were forcibly activated and could not be turned off, including mind-reading and cuteness. Zhang Yuan was completely unaware that he was dreaming, abandoned all thought in the dream, and acted only on instinct. In the dream, Zhang Yuan joined the 9 Radiances and became Yang Zongxing's adopted son. To avoid being recognized by acquaintances, he also changed his hairstyle. Everyone in the 9 Radiances, even the ghost-eye ladybugs they raised, were affected by super cuteness, and became Zhang Yuan's slaves without exception. Anyone he met during this time, Fan Le glanced at Zhang Yuan, was also turned into a slave by super cuteness. Seeing this, Zhang Yuan exclaimed in surprise. That's too absurd. Just a glance and he's clueless. HMPH in this dream, what I experienced was pretty much the same as Yi Zhen in my first life. At the end of the dream, the power of the Dark World leaked out, and the power of cuteness spread to these people in reality, turning them into slaves of cuteness in the real world, first Bai Shanli, then Yang Sheng, then Rong. These traitors to the 9 Radiances were all killed. Then Zhang Yuan entered the Fang realm again and absorbed a large number of Huggy Bear void stars, upgrading super cuteness to divine cuteness. Just then, the world changed color. Zhang Yuan obtained a forbidden power not belonging to this world, and became a god walking among men. Zhang Yuan stood before Yi Zhen and said bluntly, "Yi Zhen, if one day I am completely eroded by the negative energy in the void star and fall utterly," he said with a deep gaze, "please kill me with your own hands." Next came the subsequent development. Relying on the power of divine cuteness, I turned everyone in the world into slaves of cuteness. At the same time, the Lighthouse Nation failed to kidnap Feng Jing but found another person poisoned by the Nether Abyss Dragon. Suddenly, a figure appeared and said to Zhang Yuan, "This is not the place for you to be, nor is this the time for you to come." Zhang Yuan was bewildered and didn't understand what was happening. After thinking, he secretly guessed, "Is he the future me?" But then he suddenly snapped out of it. "No, he is the god at the end of the path of fate I just saw. He is the Zhang Yuan who became a god through cuteness, yet he is not me. My attributes and abilities haven't been restored, and time in this place should be frozen. Could this place be the only self-world that only gods can reach? I only just activated Ultimate Wish and obtained the god attribute, so I came here. The newcomer is not friendly. I'll win him over first and figure out the situation." Zhang Yuan then extended his hand to shake the others. "Hello, other me." The god Zhang Yuan frowned, staring intently at Zhang Yuan. "Strange, you have abilities I've never absorbed. Which period of me are you?" Zhang Yuan was startled. He can't see his own fate?" Zhang Yuan turned to look and said, "I need to think about this before I answer." After saying this, Zhang Yuan secretly thought again. The reason void rifts were born is that the Golden Coffin carried the fate of Zhang Yuan becoming a god. The reason Zhang Yuan is unique is that Zhang Yuan possesses the fate of becoming a god. I see. I only saw Zhang Yuan's fate in chronological order. That's why I felt that the future influencing the past was illogical. But if you step outside the timeline and look at it from the perspective of fate, first there is the fate of Zhang Yuan becoming a god through cuteness. From Zhang Yuan becoming a god through cuteness, 2 branches diverge. One is the Zhang Yuan who obtained the divine cuteness ability, and the other is the unique Zhang Yuan. From this many things happened and developed rapidly. For the Zhang Yuan who obtained the divine cuteness ability, initially Zhang Yuan wanted cuteness. Cuteness could make Zhang Yuan happy. Zhang Yuan lacked love, and the cuteness ability coexisted with the huggy bear. Thus, void energy could exist. As for the unique Zhang Yuan, others cannot obtain divine cuteness, and humans cannot absorb void stars infinitely. This reflects the gap in talent and the absorption limit. But conversely, after Zhang Yuan could obtain divine cuteness, he broke through human limits. Yet in the end, Zhang Yuan died and merged into the Golden Coffin. Zhang Yuan found it extremely strange. I can see his fate, but he cannot see mine. This shows that on the level of fate, I appeared later than him. He has already become a god through cuteness, but he still needs to add something to form the current god. That something is the gap between his fate and mine. My negative energy was almost completely eliminated by Zhang Buyu's rational common sense. He couldn't eliminate negative energy this way, so he had to find ways to sleep more. The negative energy contained in alien void stars includes not only the pain of death but also their desires in life. The Zhang Yuan who became a god through cuteness indicates that he has been deeply eroded by the negative energy of the huggy bear void star. Zhang Buyu knew that I had turned my excessive emotions into instincts, so his rational common sense could eliminate my negative emotions. He constantly executed, draw the wisdom sword, cut the cuteness threads. The wise do not enter the cuteness river. Punish first, then get angry, destroy the huggy bear body. Stop being human. Thinking of this, Zhang Yuan glanced at the god Zhang Yuan and secretly thought, I am unique. I am the real Zhang Yuan. Though he bore the appearance of a Central Plains man, he was essentially nothing more than a phantom shadow representing the true fate of half-barbarian city. If I acknowledged that this fate was unchangeable, then he would be my future. On the other hand, if I created enough divergence to steer the outcome of fate toward myself, the Central Plains would use the power of blessing to point toward the river's heart. Then he would be my past. The Central Plains god suddenly asked, What are you doing? The Central Plains replied, I think there are too many sentimental people in this world, so I'm blessing them. A 120 dose of rationality isn't too much, is it? The Central Plains grabbed Zhang Buyu in his hand, cast the ultimate curse upon him, and said, And this Zhang Buyu, too tangled up, unfit to be a commander, let him bear the ultimate curse. A clean, crisp punishment of 448 is perfectly reasonable, isn't it? The Central Plains god was simultaneously casting a spell to summon two swords. He said, Do you have no reverence for fate and causality? The Central Plains replied coldly, If fate is foolish and causality is rotten, then it doesn't deserve reverence. The Central Plains god, his face full of murderous intent, thrust his sword straight at the Central Plains. Seeing the sword flying toward him, the Central Plains also gave up resistance. Farewell, my past self. The Central Plains god raised his hand and slashed a sword at the Central Plains. The Central Plains closed his eyes hazily, feeling the flow of time surge again, his resolve beginning its countdown, yet the power of the dream still seemed to cling to him. Just then a massive black cat appeared, roaring at the Central Plains. Staying awake is so tiring, why not just sleep? The Central Plains looked at the beast before him in surprise and said, Oh, so it's you who wants to dream? The black cat continued. Come on, immerse yourself in the exquisite dream I've arranged for you, and experience the ultimate joy half-barbarian can bring you. The Central Plains didn't waste words and replied directly, I refuse. He immediately used the power of absolute immobility to create a vortex in front of him. The black cat was shocked by the Central Plains' actions. You've paused the time of the dark world. The Central Plains believed that the infinite dream couldn't activate immediately. As long as your time was paused, the dream's power could no longer erode me. The black cat said frantically, I am you. If my time is paused, yours will be too. The Central Plains calmly refuted it. No, you are the original owner of this golden coffin, and I am the Central Plains, the black cat added. We have long since merged inseparable. The Central Plains interrupted it. I refuse to degenerate while you crave it. When we no longer share the same thoughts, we grow apart. The black cat hastily explained, half-barbarian isn't degeneration. Don't you crave being loved by everyone, being held in the palm of their hands? The Central Plains shouted at it. Loving all things in the world is essentially recognition. Acknowledgement of the objective value of matter constitutes people's love for things, while recognition of subjective will constitutes love between people. The material brain allows humans to possess their own will, making people not only beings of matter but also beings of spirit. The Central Plains stood tall before the massive black cat and said, I want others to recognize me as a person with thoughts and convictions, not as a beautiful, powerful, rare beast. The black cat said in an angry tone, If you want to draw a clear line between you and me, then give me back my power. All the abilities you gained from Ruined Star were simulated by the Dark World. If you lose your power, you'll only be trampled under my feet. Suddenly, Zhang Buyu appeared, grabbed the central planes, and pulled him away. Successfully dodging the Black Cat's attack, Zhang Buyu said, "He's not fighting alone." The Black Cat looked at Zhang Buyu in utter astonishment and asked, "Zhang Buyu, how did you get in?" Zhang Buyu smiled at the Black Cat and replied, "I lay down in young Master Yuan's bed, closed the lid, and came right in." The central planes beside him added, "His rational common sense has always been connected to the dark world. Even entering the dark world wouldn't make him lose his way." The Black Cat, unyielding, struggled fiercely. "It's useless. All your abilities are within me, including mind reading. Two mere mortals can't shake me." The central planes curled his lips and asked with a smile, "Who said I don't have any abilities of my own?" He listed all his abilities in one breath. "The Celestial Ruins experiment gave me 3 initial abilities. My own evolutionary ability evolved Blessing into Ruin Prayer. Through Ruin Prayer I can unleash any ability from my memory." Every word from the central planes forced the Black Cat to take him seriously. "I just happen to have seen an ability that can cut through the dark world. An ability that even immortality cannot stop." The Black Cat frowned and speculated. "Are you talking about the first flash of the 9 ruins? The data shows that the effect of the first flash is to materialize light for attack, but there's no light here." Zhang Buyu happily took out a pen and held it up. "What a coincidence. I suddenly remembered today that young Master Yuan still owes me a pen. So I went to the convenience store and exchanged one using his points. And this pen just happens to have a 7-color laser light." With that, Zhang Buyu pressed the button and the laser light lit up. A powerful beam of light also appeared. Seeing the light source, the Black Cat couldn't open its eyes. It opened its mouth in surprise. "What?" Then the central planes and Zhang Buyu worked together. The two held the pen, turned on the light and shone it straight into the sky. "Because it's raining from the sky, we're going to tear this sky apart." Together, they shone the light at the Black Cat, using one stroke, one pen, Boundless and Ruin Prayer. The light of the first flash shot straight at the Black Cat, causing it to howl in pain. Meow! In just a few seconds, the Black Cat's body exploded, scattering into golden fragments flying in all directions. Zhang Buyu looked ahead blankly and asked, "Is it over?" But the central planes realized it wasn't over yet. Zhang Buyu looked ahead seriously and said, "Although the consciousness of the Golden Coffin's original owner is dead, the dream power of Yang Zongxing still remains." The central planes god appeared and said as the fragments of the dark world converged under the power of the dream, forming a phantom of fate unwilling to dissipate. The central planes god looked at them smugly. "It's useless. All your struggles are in vain, because the power of the gods has pierced through time and space, binding everyone's fate to me." The white buoys around represented individuals. "Yet all these buoys were bound by chains, firmly fixed to the chairs they sat on," he continued. "Everyone likes me and expects my response. Can you bear to disappoint their expectations?" The central planes looked at him indignantly. "You're just using god-level half-barbarian to forcibly twist their will, making them fanatically devote everything to you and humbly beg for your attention." He pointed directly at his face and continued, "Freedom is not seeking recognition. Today my mission is to break the shackles of god-level half-barbarian and return their freedom to them." But he coughed and said, "The power of the gods has already descended. Who can say?" Before he could finish, lightning suddenly appeared in the sky, making him look up in surprise. A massive claw extended from the beam of light, slowly descending. The claw then crushed his throne. Seeing this, the central planes also spoke, "A single ordinary day can make you no longer a god." He was heavily wounded and fell to the ground under the claw's attack. The true form of this giant claw had not yet been born. In an instant, a man emerged from the giant claw. "Open your eyes wide and see who I really am." At that moment he also recognized the man before him as Feng Jin. At the same time, the giant Feng Jin rushed over, letting Zhang Buyu and the central planes stand in the palm of his hand. The central planes said to him, "The fate you've woven has a huge flaw. The giant claw that killed me in my past life and the giant claw I will encounter in this life are not the same." Hearing this, the giant Feng Jin also became excited. "That means any ordinary day could become the giant claw, so I can too." The central planes added, "Ruin Star made me a god, which I absorbed today. So it only takes 24 hours of ordinary days to eliminate the god-making power, turning us all back into mortals." At this point, the central planes god seemed furious and shouted loudly, "How can you do this? Feng Jin's fate was clearly to retract his claw and live as a proper human. Why did you make him into a monster?" However, the central planes retorted, "Being human isn't about having a human form or power. It's about whether one has a human heart." Feng Jin also happily declared, "This is my way of being human." The central planes then floated up, reached out and cast a spell. "If you want to talk to me about fate, then let those involved in fate choose the future they want. Immediately, the Central Plains summoned a chair, sitting opposite the Central Plains god across a table. In the next second the Central Plains grew larger and manipulated Zhang Buyu and Feng Jin, who stood on black buoys. The Central Plains looked at the other coldly and imposingly, without making a move. "I can also attack you directly." At this, the Central Plains god reached out to grab the buoys bound by chains and said, "Tu Ka, in the future I will bring many benefits to the 9 ruins. I can also let Uncle Feng and Aunt Feng have a child to carry on your bloodline." Chi Tu and some others were bound by him. "Go, defeat the enemy across from you, and win a wonderfully beautiful future." Just then, the Central Plains summoned a swarm of spiritual butterflies. "You didn't think I was joking when I raised everyone's rationality to 120 in the multidimensional world, did you? With just a shred of rationality, the butterfly of fate can stir up a storm." The butterflies flew toward Chi Tu, gnawing at the chains on him. In an instant the chains snapped, and Chi Tu shattered the chains with his own power, roaring loudly. The 9 ruins is the trump card for protecting Huasha, not a dog tag to flaunt status. Seeing this, the Central Plains god said anxiously, "I've been so good to the 9 ruins, working like a horse for them without complaint." "Why would you do this?" Chi Tu said. "In your world I never seriously thought about my responsibility as the 6th seat of the 9 ruins. I just muddled through in that position," he continued. "But in this world I've understood my duty. The 9 ruins is a blade. Without a clear-headed wielder who knows the direction to swing, no matter how sharp the blade, it's meaningless." Feng Zuzan also spoke. "I like Brother Tu, not because I'm moved by his pursuit, but because I identify with his ideal of standing with me to protect Huasha." Dong Xiangyuan also believed. The 9 ruins cannot use ignorance as an excuse for its dereliction of duty. Another girl also agreed with the Central Plains. "You can't kill without understanding the situation first." Hearing this, the Central Plains god became furious. "Fine, fine, fine. You're rational, you're noble. What about Su Weiniang? In my world, no matter how stupid she was, I could forgive her. Even get her into the 9 ruins as the group's pet." As he spoke, he grabbed Su Weiniang by the neck, forcing her to kneel painfully on the ground. Then he walked up to her, raised his hand, and lifted her chin. "But here, she's about to be suffocated by a rare healing wind and die miserably on the operating table. If she doesn't follow the fate I've arranged, she'll never receive treatment." Feng Zuzan reached out and snapped the chains, shouting loudly, "This is a rare case of absorbing Ruin's star talent. Instead of studying her experience with absorbing Ruin's star, you're performing surgery to take something away?" Wanying's chains also broke. She listened tearfully as Zuzan said, "Stupidity has its value. She has the value of persistent perseverance. She just needs someone to guide her." Su Weiniang bent over and said painfully, "If you must take something away, please take away the ultimate curse on the Su family from me. I don't want others to pursue me. The power I gain without effort will negate my hard work." By now, everyone had sided with the Central Plains. He looked at the other excitedly. "Come on, keep going. Let me see how many people don't want to resist and willingly become your slaves." The Central Plains god frantically waved his hands to stop him. "No, not slaves. They all have pure, beautiful familial feelings for me. My half-barbarian only turns them into my family." He glanced at Yang Zongxing and continued, "My adoptive father will testify for me." He smugly thought someone was on his side. However, Yi Zhen was so angry he wanted to run. "Damn it, in your world, you used half-barbarian to screw me over, saying I was so ugly no one wanted me. You toyed with me," he glared and cursed. "That's because you willingly degenerated and betrayed Huasha, surrendering to the Iron Tower nation. But that's a separate matter." That Yang Zongxing also looked at him and said, "Interesting. I didn't expect that in the world where half-barbarian became a god, we would be father and son." He said his father gave him 4 or 5 lives worth calling him adoptive father. Yang Zongxing continued, "You carry my infinite dream within you. I can see your first life and all the causality between us. In your first life at 16, you were severely injured in an accident. I saved you with the infinite dream, but you refused to join the 9 radiances. 4 years later, you encountered a ruins hole in a museum. My infinite dream power was sealed inside you for over 4 years and reincarnated with you. But in this life after your rebirth, I didn't use the infinite dream to save you. I never heeded your warnings about choosing members for the 9 radiances, nor did I truly consider bringing Yi Zhen. You have mind reading, you recruit subordinates." From then on, the invisible butterfly kept flapping its wings. The butterfly was now resting on Yang Zongxing, constantly fluttering around him. "In your fate of half-barbarian becoming a god, the residual infinite dream power within me made you have a long dream. Becoming the successor of the 9 radiances, when you woke up, part of the dream returned to me. It made me have the same dream." The Central Plains god said to him, "It's not just a dream." Yang Zongxing suddenly fell into thought. "So after waking from the dream, I chose to recognize you as family, becoming your future adopted son." he said. Bai Shanli and Rongrong's plot against me was foiled by you. You saved my life and cleared the traitors from the 9 radiances. But none of this can happen again in reality. The Central Plains god didn't understand what he meant. Suddenly, a man beside Yang Zongxing explained, because I've solidified everyone's clarity, Yang Zongxing genuinely wanted to recruit Yi Zhen into the 9 radiances and never stopped paying attention to him. After hearing this, the Central Plains god trembled in pain, collapsed into his chair and wept. So this is why you betrayed me. What a fine fairness, what a fine conviction. I was so good to you, yet you refused to treat me fairly. Suddenly he thought of Lan Lan, turned and called her name. Lan Lan. Instantly, Central Plains Lan's figure appeared, rushing to him. He asked hopefully, "You'll choose me, right? I gave you everything. No matter how unreasonable your demands, I listened to you." Central Plains Lan glanced back at him with a displeased expression. "In my brother's world where half-barbarian became a god, I was spoiled into a fat, arrogant, lazy pig. The affection gained from half-barbarian was that kind of blind, doting love that doesn't distinguish right from wrong. So you love me the same way," but he argued. "Shouldn't loving someone mean accepting everything about them, including their dark side?" Suddenly, Lin Dongliang also spoke up from the buoy, agreeing with him. "Exactly, just like me." Then he flew down and continued. "I discovered Central Plains Lan's talent, made her a ruins user, a person above others. I gave her precious ruin star and a satellite phone. The Central Plains attitude was so arrogant I didn't pursue it, letting him and his sister go to school together. However, the Central Plains god shouted, 'You forced her to consume her lifespan to absorb ruin star,' but he argued, 'I didn't know about that. Consuming her lifespan was her own stupid decision. You forgave me for it too, didn't you?" Upon hearing this, Central Plains Lan was furious and pointed directly at Lin Dongling's face. "Enough, the ruined star fire cloud ceiling king you gave me was something you hoarded and didn't hand over to the state. The satellite phone you gave me is strategic material and requires approval. The funding for Chengying Academy to train ability users also comes from the military district. What right do you have to claim all this as your concern for me, making me thank you instead of the country, you scumbag who distorts the truth?" she continued. "If the love I possess is inherently corrupt, then I would rather not have it." With that, Zhang Lan picked up the strawberry-shaped necklace pendant and fell into thought. The others also expressed their own views. Love that doesn't distinguish right from wrong only fuels the darkness in people's hearts. Only by dispelling the darkness can we welcome the light. Go ahead, Zhang Lan, let us be your strength. In an instant, countless streams of golden spiritual energy surged toward Zhang Lan, infusing her with power. Energized, she flew into the air and cast a spell, the butterflies swirling around her. "What I like isn't a sweet strawberry cake, but a strawberry cake that lives up to its name." Zhang Lan summoned a sword and gripped it tightly. "Justice is not love and indulgence toward darkness, but hatred and slaughter of it. Only pain and blood can save those pitiable souls who have sunk into darkness without realizing it." As she spoke, Zhang Lan swept past Lin Dongliang and swiftly struck him with her sword. He collapsed without a chance to struggle. Zhang Lan continued, "Brother, the affection you gained from the half-beasts nurtured the darkness within you, and eroded your original intention." Zhang Lan stood tall, pointing her sword straight at the sky, and declared resolutely, "I am Zhang Yuan's sister, and I must protect your weakness. I will personally purge the darkness in your heart." This sent a wave of panic through the deified Zhang Yuan. A pained expression appeared on his face. At that moment, all those who worshipped Zhang Yuan charged down excitedly. Zhang Yuan's fan club vowed to protect him to the death. "Fight for that black-haired, long-haired little beauty. Sisters, unite to protect the cutest ultimate weakling." Even the demon beasts appeared for Zhang Yuan. "The Mo King. Mo King, Mo King, long live the Mo King. Only the Mo King can lead us to the light. I want to give the Mo King a litter of little Mo Kings." Meanwhile, Zhang Lan swung her sword, cutting the chains binding the crowd. They cheered. "We are FaceCon, not followers of an evil god. I am a clear-headed FaceCon. No need to cover up real feelings with boring emotions. That's right, we can ship couples, but our values can't be twisted." Zhang Lan swept her sword horizontally, a series of alien auras enveloping them. "Kill, kill, kill." The others joined forces, slaying all those aliens, leaving them howling in agony. The deified Zhang Yuan, seeing this horrifying sight, instantly darkened his expression and clutched his head, wailing, "No, impossible. Aliens are also lives. Why kill them? Foolish humans only ever know how to kill, kill, kill. Why can't humans and aliens coexist peacefully?" Meanwhile, the real Zhang Yuan sat there smugly watching him. "Because your slaves want to fight for you, to kill those of us who refuse to be slaves. If we don't want to die and don't want to be slaves, then we have no choice but to resist the gods." At this point, only bloodstains and the remains of the aliens were left on the arena. Zhang Yuan stepped forward, watching the other collapse in pain to the ground. "The outcome is decided. This farce should end." Just then, a part of the darkness was shattered, and light appeared. Zhang Yuan transformed into a masked deity. "Fate has finally submitted," he said. Look at the shadow beneath your feet. That is your dark side, also the projection of your fate. The light you yearn for lies in the opposite direction. Try re-examining your heart with a negative perspective. Zhang Yuan pointed his sword directly at the other. I know the pursuit of light is arduous and exhausting, but please don't give up. As long as you still face the light, you can surely become me. After hearing this, the deified Zhang Yuan had a different thought, and grasped the tip of the sword before him with his hand. In my eyes, your appearance is both evil and healing, and your sword is cold and sharp. But if this is the only path to the light, then let me use this illusory body to feel your true killing intent. With that, Zhang Yuan's sword had already pierced through his body. He struggled to rise, caressed Zhang Yuan's face and said, "But don't forget, you were once me." Zhang Yuan now softly replied, I will take you to the light with me." In an instant his body dissolved into nothingness, leaving only specks of golden spiritual energy. Zhang Yuan also breathed a sigh of relief. It was finally over. However, he mused to himself that although he had successfully changed the fate of the half-beast becoming a god, the result of that change was that he had temporarily become a god through some method of comprehensive expansion. Even if I used Suri to eliminate the power of the gods, the experience of my becoming a god cannot be changed. He clenched his fist. So, Zhang Yuan's fate of becoming a god is already a fixed outcome. I also cannot use the method of severing causality to eliminate abilities at their root, making the cave holes and aliens non-existent from the start. Zhang Buyu heard all of Zhang Yuan's thoughts. He walked over, turned his back to Zhang Yuan, and asked, "You know, I've already planned the omen for reversing causality for you." He glanced at Zhang Yuan and advised, "Recall what happened before you entered the dark world." The scene shifted and the two were back in the outside real world. Zhang Yuan glanced at Zhang Buyu and asked, "Using the infinite dream to deceive fate again?" Zhang Buyu explained unhurriedly, "Uniqueness is an attribute of a god. You are not yet a god, yet you possess uniqueness. This means you have the fate of becoming a god. If you have a foreboding feeling, it's likely your instinct resisting the fate of becoming a god, but you must first become a god to change your own fate. This creates an infinite loop." Zhang Buyu continued, "What Zhang Yuan believes will happen cannot be changed, but Zhang Yuan's will can be deceived." Hearing this, Zhang Yuan nervously pressed him on how he would deceive it. "I will use the infinite dream to mask your will, making you believe in the dream that you are in reality. And at this point, because your will has accepted that what follows is real, it becomes real in fate. Your becoming a god at this moment is true deification. And once you become a god, you can freely alter the rules of this world, even making the cave holes disappear at their source." Zhang Buyu continued, "After all this is done, I will then lift the infinite dream. Recalling the process of entering the dream, everything you experienced will turn into an illusory dream. The power of time will take away your fate of becoming a god, and you will never become a god, and your uniqueness will be returned to time." He took out a clearer system table for understanding. When Zhang Yuan's subjective cognition. At this moment, he possesses the fate of becoming a god. Then he believes he is a god. But when he uses the power of a god to change fate, he is no longer a god, having only become a god within the chain of causality, and the true timeline would be, he possesses the fate of becoming a god and has already become a god. But when he uses the power of a god to change fate, he does not become a god, and the fate of becoming a god is also destroyed. Because fate has changed, the cave holes have completely disappeared. Zhang Buyu looked directly at Zhang Yuan and said, "Simply put, as long as you willingly let me deceive you, you can steal the power of a god and use a new world, one without cave holes or gods, to change our world." After hearing this, Zhang Yuan immediately became excited. "Great, let the performance begin. Thief of fate, what are you waiting for?" But Zhang Buyu was still worried. "I'm only afraid that by then I won't have time to say goodbye to you. Good night, sweet dreams." At this moment, Zhang Yuan stepped into the dark world again as a god. He changed fate. The scene shifted in the morning. Zhang Lan's voice calling Zhang Yuan to wake up rang out. "Brother, get up, the sun is already burning your butt. Feng Jing has already bought breakfast and come to find us." However, Zhang Yuan was still snoring, mumbling, "Let me sleep a little longer." Feng Jing then said, "Let me wake him up." At the same time, a giant claw appeared in front of Zhang Yuan, startling him awake, his eyes wide open. He sat up abruptly, startled. "What the hell is this?" Feng Jing said it was a new glove he bought. "Cool, right?" Zhang Lan, standing nearby, also glanced at her brother. "Today is Aunt Feng and Uncle Qi's wedding. If you don't get up now, you'll miss it." The scene shifted to the wedding venue. As the host announced, Qi Shu happily put the ring on Feng Zuzan. The bride and groom take the ring as their pledge, vowing never to part for life. In the scene, Zhang Yuan was happily watching the bride and groom. "My name is Zhang Yuan, I'm 21 years old, and I'm attending my classmate's mother's wedding. The world I live in is a boring world without superpowers. Sometimes I wonder if superpowers ever existed in this world. But now I'm already at the ending. At this moment, everyone was also chatting happily. Dao Weinian was surprised to find that Si Yuan's sisters looked very similar, but both denied it, saying they didn't look alike at all. Zhang Lan looked at Feng Jing curiously and asked, "I've always been curious. Aunt Feng and Uncle Qi have completely opposite personalities, right? How did they end up together?" Feng Jing said he didn't understand at first either, but later his mother explained, and he got it. A man analyzes a flower from a rational perspective. A woman experiences a flower from an emotional perspective. From different angles, 100 rivers flow to the sea. They both recognized the same flower named love, he continued. But my parents are the opposite. Zhang Lan showed an interested expression. I see, love is an unexpected reasonable recognition. Meanwhile, Zhang Yuan looked at Feng Jing and teased, "You've already changed from Uncle Qi to Dad." Uncle Han laughed upon hearing this. A bunch of lovelorn fools only able to theorize on paper. But Zhang Er thought watching others fall in love was also a kind of happiness. Xie Yehan found it reasonable and suggested, "Then let's ship some couples that works. Ship, ship, ship." Instructor Lu Wen also spoke up. Old Six and Dean Feng tangled for over 20 years, dragging it out until now to get married. That's pretty normal. Dong Xiangyuan smelled gossip. Director Wang also said, "I heard that when Dean Feng's son's friend was vacationing in Shandong City, he taught his sister to read an article, and old Qi overheard it. That's why old Qi finally took the last step." At another table, Sha Jiwi was also happily chatting with a few old friends. "We haven't gathered in a long time, have we?" Old Commander Zhang agreed. "Every time we meet, we discuss war. If we don't gather, it means the world is at peace." And Junfeng also spoke up. "Old Sha is planning to retire next year. Old Zhang still has a few years," he said. "Wait until I can handle the Huajiyu Long River on my own first." The scene shifted to the airport. Zhang Yuan said to his sister, Lan, foster father said he'll pick you up at Shandong Airport. You're flying back alone, no problem." Zhang Lan then acted spoiled. "I'm already 17, why do you still treat me like a kid? All right, I'll see you off here." Suddenly, Zhang Lan asked again, "Brother, is the pen pal you're meeting in Guangyuan City a guy or a girl?" He replied, "A girl." She posted her own photo on her Moments, pretty good looking. Zhang Lan looked up at her brother in surprise. "Am I about to have a sister-in-law?" Zhang Yuan quickly waved his hand. "Impossible. She and I are just friends." However, Zhang Lan angrily scolded her brother. "I don't believe it. If nothing happens between you two this time, I don't care if you stay a bachelor for life." The scene shifted. Zhang Buyu, dressed in a maid outfit, was holding two different socks and asking everyone which one to choose, the black sock or the white sock. Yi Zhen looked at her brother and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "Junior Zhang, why are you cross-dressing to meet a pen pal?" He explained. "Because she mistakenly thinks I'm a girl, and I never had time to explain. I kept hesitating, and years passed." The young man leisurely eating an apple asked in confusion, "Senior Zhang, is your pen pal a guy or a girl?" Zhang Buyu wasn't sure either, but he thought it might be a girl. "Because I saw all kinds of strawberry cake making guides and very cute hair styling tutorials in her Moments." The girl next to him also offered advice. "Just wear your own clothes, don't cross-dress. Maybe when she sees you you'll finally get a girlfriend." The scene shifted to another setting. Old Bung was surprised to see Wang Padi in front of him. "Director Wang is on a business trip to Guangyuan City again," he replied. "Yeah, Old Pung, you know I, a Shandong native, can't go a day without coffee, and your coffee here is the most to my taste." Old Pung said, "My shop is full of young people. You're the only serious middle-aged man who comes here for coffee." Meanwhile, Zhang Yuan also arrived at the coffee shop and sat down at an empty table. At the table next to him, Tong Xiaotong and Wen Renju were also present. Wen Renju, "Our club activity next weekend is set for mountain climbing, okay, over here." Zhang Yuan and Zhang Buyu were sitting back-to-back at two tables, both texting each other. Zhang Yuan said, "I've arrived." The other replied, "I've arrived too. The one in white is me." Zhang Yuan replied, "I'm wearing lamp-colored clothes today." Suddenly, both turned to look at each other, both surprised. "You're a guy, you too." After a second of stunned silence, the two happily shook hands. "Great, now we don't have to worry about our friendship turning sour." Saying it that way kind of makes sense. Zhang Buyu asked Zhang Yuan, "What do you want to drink?" Zhang Yuan said, "I brought you a bag of coffee grown by myself at the school club." Zhang Buyu then took Zhang Yuan's hand and led him to the counter. "All right, let's grind it fresh and drink it now." At the counter, Zhang Buyu said, "The owner is my friend, he won't mind a little thing like this." Old Bung looked at Zhang Yuan and said, "You're Xiao Yang's friend, make yourself at home here, use whatever tools you want." Zhang Yuan happily looked at Old Pung. "Then I won't be polite." Zhang Yuan walked behind the counter and asked Zhang Buyu, "Want some latte art on your coffee?" He excitedly said, yes, then I'll draw a dream I had last night for you." After a while, Zhang Buyu saw his own face and a black cat on the coffee cup and exclaimed in surprise, "This is the thief of fate and the dreaming black cat." The two began chatting happily. "Sounds interesting. What kind of dream was it?" Zhang Yuan began to recount. "The dream started with me working as a part-time guide at a museum. And just like that, our story has come to an end with the most perfect and deeply emotional conclusion. Who would have thought that a blood-pumping journey of fighting aliens and ascending to godhood would end with such a grand, selfless choice?" Zhang Yuan willingly gave up his infinite divine powers in exchange for a peaceful normal life for his younger sister and all of humanity. The final scene of Zhang Yuan and Zhang Buyu meeting as ordinary friends in a cozy cafe, smiling as they talk about a dream where superpowers existed, truly leaves us with a beautiful, lingering warmth. That fateful encounter brings us to the end of Chapter 205, which also marks the complete and satisfying end of this season of the original manhwa. If you loved this incredible journey and the vibe of this channel, please drop a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to support BALA Manhua Recaps. Your support is the biggest motivation for me to bring you even more epic masterpieces. We have plenty of other incredibly badass, thrilling, and hilarious adventures waiting for you to discover in our playlists. Click on the recommended videos on your screen right now to join me on a brand new journey. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in our next stories.